It's not, oh, you're saved, get to work. It's that you hear that. That's not right. That's wrong. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that anywhere. Like, where are you pulling that from?
Why do so many pastors preach that then?
Because it's
isn't that nuts?
Because it's innately human to go to work.
Right.
Oh, do we need to get to work then?
That's right.
God's coming back.
He can't do it without us.
He's so screwed without us. There's no way he'll make it.
Yeah.
Right? Of course not, right? But that's what we put in our heart.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to tell you a little history, because I love history. Ross Perot ran for president.
He did.
Ross Perot made it to the stage, and he was on the debates. They had a third man on the debates.
Yeah.
That was a problem, because that took votes away from Bush, they said.
Right.
So now they only allow 2 people on the stage, because the polling is what gets you on the stage.
Correct.
And the polling is controlled by the media. The media controls the polling. The media is controlled by both of these groups. You're never going to see a third party on that stage.
Right.
Safe to say, right? Because they have to make a 16% in the polling. They control the polls. So you just have to really put your focus on this thing, like not succumbing to this, right? Okay. So when they really put their focus on the title, really focus on it, then you just see like it starts to click.
Right.
And their grades are getting better, and then the parents are like, wow, they're doing so much better in school. They're really cool. And you can see it.
Yeah.
And it's because they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Right? And it's like, isn't that the most important lesson in life?
Yeah.
When we recognize that, usually we're a little like, oh, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Everything's going according to plan. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
Day after day after day repetition. So that's what they can get from that.
Yeah.
From that, right? Now I believe, because I can't deny what has happened inside of me. Mm-hmm. Right? I can't deny the Holy Spirit. Right. It would be like meeting someone and then denying that you met someone, right?
Right.
Like, this has happened to me.
Right.
It really happened. Like, I have to tell you, this really did happen. So now the belief is so much more, right, than what we initially started with.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another great episode of the Why Can't We Talk About That podcast. Before getting to this week's guest, I want to remind you to please leave a review wherever you are listening from, and also to please continue to spread the word about this podcast. Word of mouth is really the only way that people can hear about it. As always, your feedback is greatly appreciated, so please send me an email at whycan'twetallaboutthat@proton.me. If you know anyone who is interested in coming on the show, please reach out. Now for today's discussion. My guest this week is Cort Newby. Our history goes back quite a bit. Our dads used to play tennis together when we were in high school. My cousin was a bridesmaid in his wedding. Things like that. But as has become somewhat of a theme with these episodes, I didn't really know much about him as a person before sitting down with him to record this episode. Cort owns a construction company and also spends significant time teaching martial arts. I really enjoyed getting to know him better, and I hope you will too. Enjoy the conversation.
I did one interview one time.
Oh, yeah?
It was for a radio station.
Oh, wow.
For class, for Taekwondo.
Okay.
And so they're supposed to get me in there. They didn't tell me what I was supposed to do. It's just like, okay, you ready? I'm like, I guess, yeah.
Oh, you had no idea what they were going to do?
What am I supposed to do? Yeah.
Oh, no.
They bring me in there. And I didn't know if it was going to be multiple takes, what it was, if it's a commercial, or were they really interviewing me? I didn't know, so they started asking me questions. If you ask me a question, I'm going to tell you. And usually a question that you ask me, I have to give you a backstory before you can understand.
Yeah, I'm the same way. People say I talk too much because I do that.
Right.
Can you just give me the answer? It's like, no, I want you to understand why I have this answer.
This is very prevalent to this.
Right.
So, of course, they start asking me. So I got to tell them the history of Taekwondo. So, 15 minutes later or more, I don't,
And was this
like,
live?
all right, well, thank you. Yeah, I guess so. I didn't know that either, right?
Oh.
So I'm like, okay, so we're going to do it again? Like, no, that was it. That's it. I was like, oh, okay. Is it done? Yeah. So
one take.
It was fine. It was good.
Oh, man.
But yeah, it was funny because it just turns into a history lesson. Instead of actually talking about our classes are on this night.
Right.
I'll tell them the history because I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
See, and I love that. I think that's awesome. I mean, but some people don't. Some people are just like, I mean, I've talked to people, and I wasn't kidding when I said what I said. They were literally like, dude, can you just give me the answer?
Right.
I was like, well, it kind of requires like, some explanation. So, it's like, let's do it, Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah, because if you don't have the understanding of how we got to this, right?
Yeah.
You could look at the situation and be like, oh, why'd you do that?
Right.
But if you understand the why, like, you're like, oh, well, yeah, I would have done the exact same thing. Right now, this conversation just flows on. Instead of me having to explain why I chose that.
Right.
You know the backstory. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. I
Exactly.
would do that too.
Exactly. So, cool, man. All right. So I usually start off just kind of having you just kind of tell me a little about you. I mean, we kind of have some connections that go back, and I don't know if you remember any of those or not.
Oh, yeah.
But like, that our dads.
Tennis.
We're friends, tennis players,
tennis.
Okay.
I remember that. Yep.
I wasn't sure you remember that or not because
you were older than me, so
how old are you now?
I remember I'm 44 now. I'll be 45 here shortly.
Oh, not too much older. I'm 46.
But I remember just being a little older than me. Going and your friend, you guys were really good, and my dad was being a big tennis player.
Yeah.
I really liked going and playing at Minami Center there.
Okay.
We did a lot of that as a kid.
And
you guys were.
Oh yeah, we were there all the time, dude. Yeah, that was fun. Did you ever play like for high school or anything?
I never did. By the time I went into high school, I was so involved in martial art and breakdancing and all that stuff.
Breakdancing.
Yeah, I was big in all that.
Oh man, we're gonna talk about that then because that's been in the news.
Yeah, I was really big in all that. So I never did the sports he wanted me to do in high school, right? Because we have all the dreams.
Yeah.
And then I went through it the same.
Right.
I'm thinking I did not do sports in high school. I was into martial art. I did taekwondo. Right?
Sure.
That was my sport, which is a sport, and we'll
right.
get into that.
Oh, I agree with you.
A very athletic.
Yeah.
Sport,
Oh yeah, man.
When people talk about sports, right?
Yeah.
We'll get into that. But yeah, so it was the same thing with Henry, right? I'm like, yeah, man. So you're gonna wrestle because and then the same thing. He does 1 year of it, and I don't want to do this.
Okay.
And then you realize as a dad, I did the same thing to my dad.
Yeah.
It's just natural. Like, we just do that to our dads. Like,
so maybe it's like reverse psychology you got to use.
It is.
Tell them you want them to do the sport that you don't want them to do, and then they won't do it.
Right?
But do both of your boys do taekwondo, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's cool that they share that with you.
Right.
So you have two kids, both boys.
Both boys, yeah.
And they're
17. Henry's 17. He'll be 18.
Okay.
His senior year. Dang. And then Bruce is 12. He'll be 13 in a month.
Okay.
A month and a half.
So pretty big gap in between the two.
Yeah, almost 5 years. Over 4.5, almost exactly.
Okay. Now, does that work out well with their age gap? Are they close because of that, or not close?
I would have liked them to be closer, about 2 years apart.
Okay.
Like room for a kid in between, right?
Right.
And that would have been the plan.
Okay.
But it's funny. I love history.
Yeah.
We got to know history.
That's right.
We have a gap between that gap because when we were young, right, 20 years ago, whatever.
Yeah.
You didn't just have maternity insurance, right? You had to go and submit, we're going to try to have a kid. You had to submit, approved for maternity. It took almost a year to get approved.
Oh, crazy.
Have a kid, right? Isn't that crazy? And people forget that entirely now.
Well, now you just do that after.
Yeah.
You're just like, all right, we're having a kid. Let's go.
You had to prepare.
Right.
And we were trying to get the insurance in line. It took over a year.
Yeah.
And then finally got it in place. So then that's why the delay with him. It's
Okay. Are they close as brothers though? Yeah. They're good friends and stuff. Okay.
Yeah. They even though they have that gap.
Yeah.
Henry was always kind of ornery to his brother.
Oh, really?
Orneriness in him.
Interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that. Yeah. I wouldn't have guessed that from her either. But they're both very quiet.
Yeah.
To me.
Just
I guess you have to be in the inner circle.
To his brother, right?
Yeah.
So it was funny because Bruce is he's a very fun guy but emotional guy. Right?
Okay.
So his brother would be honored to him all day, and then he knew where he slept. So
payback.
Yeah.
Nice.
In the morning.
Oh man.
Wake up, brother. Bang.
That's
He'd hit him
funny.
right between the eyes. He'd wake up. Bruce punched me in the face. Yeah. Yeah, he learned fast not to.
That's awesome.
To his brother.
That's so cool.
I love that about Bruce.
And his name is Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne.
Correct? That the middle name's Wayne.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, is that because you guys are Batman fans, or is that like a family name or something, or?
No. So again, I don't know the backstory. So Henry. Mm-hmm. So my name is Cort, right? Mm-hmm. But it comes from Courtney. Mm-hmm. And I've gone by Cort since forever.
Yeah.
Friends call me Cort.
Right.
And it's Cort. So when you grow up and you have a name that's unusual, you want a normal name. It's
Yeah.
just natural. And if you have a normal name, you want an unusual name. So
Right.
it'd be different. It's just
Right.
natural. So
Yeah.
I want normal names. So my kids are going to have normal names like king names, right? Like
Right.
you can't go wrong with that. You can James, Robert. You know, you can't go wrong with
Yeah,
that. It's a
yeah.
classic name. So I loved Henry. I always loved the name Henry. So Henry got Henry.
Okay.
And middle name, we were looking for middle name. And his grandpa, his great grandpa on my wife's side, he would call him Gavino,
Okay.
which is Gavin.
Okay.
So he ended up, because he thought his name was going to be Gavino,
Yeah.
it just stuck. So that became
Okay.
Gavin is his middle name. So he's Henry Gavin Newby, which is
Interesting.
555. Just perfect. It ended up
But that wasn't on purpose.
HGN. My name's CGN, right? And
Okay.
it's 5, 5, and 5. So now we're up against it. So now we got Bruce, and we're like,
Now you got to continue the thing.
Bruce is 5,
Yeah.
Newby's 5.
Yeah.
Where do we find out 5? See, if it was up, he would have been Lee.
Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Okay.
My uncle's middle name's Lee. Right?
There you
so
go.
It's keeping the family.
Yeah.
Bruce Lee Newby,
and,
right?
and you do martial arts, so it would have been
Right,
perfect.
perfect. But I said, man, I can't name him that because that's cliche. I can't name him Bruce Lee. Right? So, and then we said, well, we got to find a 5. So we're looking through 5, 5, 5, and Wayne is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
W-A-N-E.
Yeah.
Wayne. Or Wayne. W-A-Y-N-E. Right?
Yeah.
So I said, man, that's perfect. So, but I'm like, man, this Batman though.
Yeah.
So we're like the last day in the hospital. You guys need to have a middle name or he's getting no middle name. And finally it was my sister-in-law was like, just do Wayne. I said, all right, Bruce Wayne.
Nice.
So he's always been Batman, so they call him like BW. And
That's so cool.
Batman. Bruce Wayne, right?
Yeah.
But he loves it.
Did he like Batman because of that?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, he did. He latched onto
He loved
it.
Batman,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Loved Batman, hated the Joker.
Nice. Well, you got to, man.
Yeah, but he and
Arch
then even
nemesis.
now he still is pretty partial to it. And then it doesn't bother him. Like some kids that would bother him, right? They'd be like, "Oh, why'd you name me that? I hate that. It stayed with me."
Yeah.
No, not him. He loves it. He loves
So
it.
cool, man. I love that.
He even starting 7th grade right now on his thing because of for whatever when you sign up as a kid, he's kindergarten or preschool. When they signed him up, they put Batman. It's a nickname, Batman, right?
Oh, really?
So he's going into 7th grade, and what does it have as his nickname on his thing? Batman.
Still there.
So he's going to go in the day of school,
Oh, no.
and it's going to say Batman. So one of the teachers is a friend of my sister-in-law.
Uh-huh.
So she calls up my sister-in-law, like, hey, your nephew, I don't know if you guys know this, but on his name tag, on his school, because they went by their nicknames instead of their name,
Yeah.
it says Batman. And he's like, cool.
Oh, he's cool with
Yeah,
that.
he's like, and I'm like, I don't know, dude. That's gonna stay.
You would
with
think
me, though,
going
now
into
in 10th
junior
grade.
high,
Yeah.
you might be like, okay, it's time to leave that behind
I
me.
kind of warned him. I was like, I
Yeah.
know, I love that you think it's cool.
Right.
That's awesome. But I am gonna warn you, this stuff stays with you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You might not want to have that hanging on
Yeah.
in high school.
Right.
And
I mean, unless you want to be a superhero.
Right.
In which case, that's going to stick with you anyway.
maybe. Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, and he's been doing kickboxing lately. He's been doing the Muay Thai
Yeah.
like fights.
Okay.
So he doesn't have a problem with like
Yeah.
people bullying him or anything.
Yeah, I bet.
So he can be whoever he wants.
Is kickboxing part of the Taekwondo?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
kickboxing, that Taekwondo is kickboxing.
It is kickboxing, basically.
It literally means the art of kicking and punching. Kickboxing, right? Mm-hmm. But it's the Korean version.
Okay.
And the way we did it in the 90s, right, when we started.
Okay.
And it wasn't what you see now, right? Because it's progressed, it's
Right.
evolved, everything evolves. It evolves or dies, right?
Sure.
So this has evolved on over the last 30, 40 years. That evolved on from the 40 years before that when he began, right?
Right.
So you're looking at something that has progressed. So what we did in the 90s was kickboxing. So
Right.
when we go to a kickboxing, that's what we did.
Okay.
So to go to the Olympic Taekwondo for me has taken time because that was way foreign. Like
Okay.
it took a time to
Right.
adjust to this.
What do you mean go to the Olympic?
Well,
Taekwondo, what
the
do you-
tournaments are like Olympic style Taekwondo.
Oh, wow. And these are the ones
That's the rules.
that you do, or you and your students?
Listen to everyone, yeah.
Okay.
And then the kickboxing is a different rule set.
Okay.
So if you kind of think of it as the art of the martial art is the art of the martial art, it may have a vast library of technique and everything else, and
Right.
takedowns and throws and chokes and whatever else, right?
Okay.
But the sport that they practice the art in has a set of rules, right? Mm-hmm. And they practice under that set of rules, or they compete under that set of rules. The art may have things that are illegal in that set of rules. You just don't use those things, right?
Depending on the tournament you're in, you mean? That the tournament has rules against that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So and that's important to recognize with all martial art, because a lot of times people will say, well, this martial art's better than that martial art's better than this one. No, you're practicing this martial art under a set of rules. You're competing this set under a set of rules.
Right.
The art itself, like judo and jiu-jitsu, perfect example, Brazilian jiu-jitsu we talk about. It's really Brazilian judo. It goes, the Gracies were taught by judokas. Okay. It was judo, but it has progressed on and
it's like morphed into something a little different.
Into more, right? It's evolved.
Okay,
right?
Gotcha.
With the advent of technology, better equipment, better mats, better this, better that, right? And then they splinter and then they diverge into different things, right? Mm-hmm. So, but the root of it was the same root. It came from the same place. Okay. Right? It wouldn't. So when we talk about those things, like we just said, if you don't know the history of that, you think they're different things because you're only looking at the end products.
Yeah.
You don't know that they came from the same thing.
Well, and I couldn't tell you the difference between like ninjutsu, judo, taekwondo, karate, like kung fu. There's all these things. I just assumed it was kind of the same thing, just coming from different countries.
Yeah, there's that too.
Okay.
Because each country's going to have their own flavor.
Right.
So that's kind of, we like to separate things as people into, this so we can understand these things, but a lot of it came from the same root, right? So it's more of it's a different thing. It's a thing that has grown in this way, where this thing coming from the same thing grew this way. And this thing grew this way, right? So things are more like branches on a tree. So that's kind of important to recognize.
But would you say that the tree itself encompasses all of the martial arts?
Oh, yeah.
Or are you saying like there's a taekwondo tree that's morphed into different branches and there's a kung fu tree that's morphed into different branches?
So we could say that branch morphed from the original root, and it's gone into its own things.
But when you say original root, you're talking about all of the different martial arts are all coming from the same.
And then some of the branches go back together and intertwine, right? Because you have these mixes of arts and hybrids and different things.
Okay. So what brought you into taekwondo specifically?
Well, I started in judo.
Oh, you did? Okay. Yes. And how old were you when you started?
I was a little over 10. I want to say around 10. It was like it was early 90s.
So like elementary school age.
Yeah. I want to say 4th or 5th, somewhere in there.
Okay.
So when we first started. But I grew up always like doing like fighting. Like yeah. We just would fight. Like it was so weird to me now.
Like at school, you just get into fights all the time?
Yeah, it was just fighting. Like, we're going to fight. And then...
Like for fun or because like you were actually mad at each other?
Both. Like, yeah, but like it was like that.
There was a thrill to it.
It was really common. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, so when I talk to people, like, I've never been in a fight. It's like...
You're like, what?
That exists, right?
Yeah, right.
Really? You could grow up and never be in a fight?
Never be in a fight, yeah.
That's, like, to me, that's like, wow. I didn't know that... Like, I thought that was just part of being a kid, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, so I mean, I always wanted to learn, like, karate. I came up in the 80s, right? We all grew up in the 80s. So,
yeah.
Man, ninjas,
Karate Kid.
Ninjas and karate was the thing, right? Like,
yeah.
Man, that was a real serious career opportunity for us in the 80s, right? Like,
yeah, man.
What are you going to grow up? I'm going to be a ninja, of course. Right. Aren't you going to be a ninja too? As a ninja? I mean, those were all,
Right. That's awesome.
So, I really wanted to do it, and my mom was like, "Yeah, no, you're not," because I was really competitive. I just have a competitive nature. Every game, like, what are the rules? Okay, I'm gonna win.
But you would think if you're getting in fights at school, your parents would rather you do that in a controlled, more like competition style, right?
Yeah, but if you don't come up in that, right? So my parents not that, so they don't realize that there's an avenue to cope with that behavior, right?
Okay.
Right. Which is important for parents to realize. That is like the right thing to do, right?
Right.
Yes, take the rambunctious child and it's overly aggressive and put them in martial arts. So now they have an outlet for it, right? Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But sometimes parents, we don't always see that. We think let's abstain from this.
Right.
He needs less of this. Right?
He needs less fighting.
Right. So, that would have probably been a good thing, a good outlet for me.
Right.
But I had to wait till I was older. And then I didn't even get karate at first. So that was, like I said, I was so competitive. My mom said, no, you're not doing karate because you're too competitive. You take everything emotional. Everything's a competition. Like, there's the last thing I want you is punching people, right?
Right.
So, no, you can't because you punch people.
Yeah.
So it was out, and then I don't know how, whatever it was, one of my friends had come, and he was doing judo. So I told him, oh, man, I want to go, Mom. I think it was Marty, my friend Marty. He was doing judo, and I said, man, I want to do judo. And she said, I already told you can't do that, blah, blah. And I said, no, Mom, there's no punching. It's judo. It's just Japanese wrestling. It's just wrestling.
Nice.
And she's like, I don't believe you.
You
So I had to have
it.
his mom come and tell my mom, no, it's just, they just wrestle in their pajamas.
Oh,
right?
nice.
Judo,
Yeah.
She's like, oh, okay. So we go down to Minami Center.
Okay.
And at the time, teaching the class is Sensei Itsu Yamamoto. And he is Thomas Yamamoto's grandfather's brother.
Oh, really?
Small world, right?
Interesting.
Small world, yeah.
Okay.
Which I always laugh because Thomas never got to do judo with him.
Yeah.
They would have let him.
I was going to say, as far as I know, he doesn't know any martial arts.
And I'm talking like this. His grandfather's brother is like a big guy
well-known
in judo. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Japanese man came here, like yes, and he did none of it. I was like, oh man, your grandpa's brother is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, he's a guy, right?
Yeah.
So, and he said he had done a little research, like looked into it. So it's really
Okay.
cool. And I actually have a picture of him that I gotten from.
Okay. And he was the one teaching?
He was the instructor. So he did kendo, the sword.
Okay.
The sword, and then he did judo. He was very high up in both.
And now judo is simply holds and that kind of stuff. There's no punching or kicking involved?
Judo is a complete system. It has a 10 laws of 2 striking in the system. Like I said, the art of it has everything.
Gotcha.
So judo itself comes from the original jiu-jitsus. And you don't mix up the original jiu-jitsus with Brazilian jiu-jitsu because it's not. It's different.
Okay.
It's a different thing. The original jiu-jitsus come from the samurai.
Oh,
right?
nice.
These were the battlefield art that the samurai practiced, right? The samurai were clans that would go under the shogunate that was the main, right? So think of it as like battalions or divisions in feudal Japan. This is how the military, right? There was a class system, and if you were of that military order, right, that's what you were going to be, and you grew up, and your family was that, and everyone showed you honor because you were the samurai, right?
Right.
They policed everything, right? They were the police, they were the military, that's what they were, the samurai. Then we had Admiral, Commandant Perry. So Japan would not trade with anyone.
Okay.
If you ever study the history of Japan, after a certain time, 1000 or whatever it was, I don't remember when exactly, but they quit trading with everyone other than the Dutch. They had one port that they would trade with the Dutch.
Is that because they were scared of diseases and stuff? Because that's a lot of that was passing around back then through that, right?
Like going through the history, you could probably find 100 reasons why they didn't want outside influence.
Right.
The emperor was like, no, you know, they see what was happening to China. Like all these things, right, were all played a part in it, I'm sure. But basically, they shut the doors on Japan for like 200 or 300 years, right? It's a long time.
Yeah.
They would not trade.
Wow. And
Commandant Perry, an American, of course, in America, right?
Yeah.
You wonder why men in America have a very interesting relationship, I will say.
Right.
It's very interesting. It's Britain and Japan, too.
Okay.
So, worth studying.
Yeah.
If you love history.
Yeah.
But he pulls up in Edo Bay, Tokyo.
Okay.
And he says, we're going to the Philippines for a year. We'll be back. When we come back, and he pulls up with 2 gunships right next to him.
Oh, wow.
And this already is breaking Japanese. Like,
right.
This is like an act of war.
Yeah, yeah.
Pulls in their bay with gunships. When we come back, you will trade with us. And he leaves. And when he came back, they traded with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it opened up.
Okay.
And that was the Meiji Restoration after that. They wanted to get rid of the old way and modernize, right? Mm-hmm. So this is going around. The whole world was doing this at this time, right?
Yeah. Japan
Japan was kind of late to the dance, right?
Right.
So that was in 1850s. 1850s.
Okay.
I want to say 1853.
That was a good year.
He came. Yeah, 1850s when we started.
Yeah.
California.
Yeah.
So 1853 he came, went to the Philippines, came back in 1854 with they started trading. So at that point, if you ever watched the movie The Last Samurai,
Tom Cruise.
true story.
It's a good movie,
To a
dude.
degree, right? Obviously embellished and everything else. But
everything
that
in
really,
Hollywood is true, Cort. Come on now. There's no
Of
lies
course.
being told at all.
Of course.
Nothing's embellished.
So, but that really did take place in that they did that to those samurai.
Right.
They gunned them down with machine guns like that, and they charged them. That really happened. That part of the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, because they didn't, their loyalty was to the emperor. They're looking at this like basically the Congress, right? Was trying to overthrow the emperor, or the heads, whatever you want to call the oligarchy.
Right.
And so that's when they have war on it. And they
That's really
wipe out
cool.
the samurai. So then the samurai are like homeless nomads, right? The roaming around.
Okay.
So that's
what the Ronin is.
End up with the
'Cause
Ronin.
I've heard that too. There's been
Ronin
movies
is
about that too.
Samurai without a master, right? So
Okay.
if you were a samurai, like I said, and the head of your clan died, depending on situations and all that, you might have to kill yourself, right? And that's a samurai.
wow.
Or you would be a Ronin without a master.
Yeah.
So, that's...
You'd be
what's that one?
Roman. You'd be Roman as a Ronin.
Roman as a Ronin, yeah.
Yeah.
What is that? 47 Ronin, right? Remember that one? With,
The movie with
yes,
Keanu Reeves? Or
yeah. Yeah, similar like that. Remember he did
Okay.
honor, so then they were all Ronin because they didn't kill themselves. They were supposed to, but then they went back and avenged their master.
Right.
And then they did the Sapporo
Yeah.
and killed themselves.
Is that the fall on your own sword kind of deal?
Yeah.
Is that where that comes from?
What is it called? Harai...
Yeah.
Harikari,
Okay.
which means the cut, the wind,
Yeah. Which we would call Harry Carey.
Yeah, harai, but it's
Yeah.
the sweeping cut, or harai, because it's hari. Harai. So, I don't remember. It's Japanese.
Brutal, dude.
I love Japanese. Good, interesting language.
Yeah.
Tells you everything you need to know in the language.
Right. Yeah, we
very
hope
thorough.
to get over there someday. We've had so many exchange students from there at this point that we have, and they all say this. They all say it, right? They'll say, "Oh, come visit me. We'll give you a place to stay." So I mean, we literally, you look at the map of Japan, and we have someone like everywhere.
Oh,
Like we
that
probably
is
got
cool.
10 different points in Japan where we have. So someday we're like, we're gonna go and just travel the whole country, and and plus Bethany's part Japanese, so she's her mom knows Japanese, and she's learning
that's awesome.
because her grandmother on her mom's
Happy
side
go.
was full Japanese. So so there's definitely that's somewhere that both of us want to go at some point.
It's a little pricey. Pricey to fly.
Yeah. Well,
It is
yeah.
beautiful.
We were gonna drive.
Here it's beautiful all over.
Yeah.
Island. But yeah, they ended up basically just disbanding the samurai. And so those samurai they all had think of it like you have these clans, these gyms of samurai, these battalions. The system breaks down and they're disbanded.
Okay.
In that, you had the guy that obviously taught the hand-to-hand combat, right? The head instructors of these clans, right? These ryus.
Right.
They taught whether their focus would be choking, because different ones had different focuses. Some of them were in striking, right? We remember they're wearing armor, so there's certain strikes that are worthless to armor, right?
Right.
But throws were good.
Yeah.
You could throw them. Chokes were good. Like, so certain things develop because of war, right? And war drives a whole lot of things. Development, right?
Oh, yeah.
War drives development.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
More than anything else, right?
Right.
Like half the things we use came from war.
Yeah.
And then we're using
Yeah.
as normal everyday products, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, so that those guys were still around, but they were not in high demand. No one's going, I'm going to go do jiu-jitsu, right? Because it's like looked down on. It's very brutal. This is our old way. We don't do that anymore. Now we practice the new way. We're going to be Americanized.
Really cool, man.
And in that world, that's where Sensei Kano, Jigaro Kano, is the founder of judo.
Okay.
And he...
And what country does that come from?
Japan.
That's also Japan.
So he's
okay.
training under one of the one of the head guys in one of the Ryu systems that I always forget.
Ryu like Hadouken.
Yeah, well, that's where that comes from. So
Okay.
when I was a kid, we all called him Ryu, right?
Right.
He was right.
I was just gonna say that,
Because
and
we're
then
Americans,
like
we're
our kids,
pronouncing
they
it
all say Ryu. Like when they
because-
play Super Smash, oh, it's just Ryu.
Because-
That's Ryu.
because everybody knows that
Yeah.
it's Ryu.
Yeah, that's right.
But then when they come across it from Japan, they're like, Americans. Ryu. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's why they named him that.
Yeah.
After the Ryus, right?
Right.
That's like the different clans. That's why he's named that. Yeah.
Okay.
He actually comes from a karate.
Yeah.
Yokish
He doesn't
karate.
look Japanese anyway. I never understood. I always, because it always flies you where you're Japan, and I'm like, that guy's Japanese. Looks like a white guy. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, maybe, yeah.
But I don't know. I guess he's from Japan. Okay, apparently.
Apparently, yeah. So, but yeah, so that's where was I at though then?
I don't know, man.
I forgot to.
We were talking about how you got into judo first, which led you into.
So when he starts the judo, that's how judo began, from the jiu-jitsu. So he does this Ryu. That guy dies. And then, Fukuda, he dies. He trains that guy's daughter, which actually she comes to California, lives in San Francisco.
Dude,
becomes the highest ranking female judoka.
Anybody made a movie of her life? Because that sounds like it'd be a good one.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Fukuda. And she actually taught in our sensei. Sensei Cheryl trained under her.
Okay.
Small world, yeah.
Yeah.
But very cool. But from there he went to another Ryu because that guy dies. He ends up with the curriculum because he's the highest ranking student. Goes to this Ryu, Quito, and he ends up training with them. Gets another Ryu. So he ends up with 2 curriculums after he passed away. So he has 2 curriculums from these old Ryus, right? So he ends up forming Kodokan Judo with Kodokan Jiu-Jitsu. It was Kano Jiu-Jitsu at first, named after him. But then it becomes Kodokan, which means the study hall, the place to study the way. So Do means way. That's important to recognize. That's where he changed it. Jitsu means art. So when we see Jitsu. Ju means the same thing in both of them. It means gentle.
Okay. And
gentle, you think, well, what the heck is gentle about judo? Like picking another man up over your head and throwing him on the ground. There's absolutely nothing gentle. Right. What it means is to yield to something. So if I can meet a force like this, I'm not being gentle. But if I can go like this, and when it tries to push me, I yield to it. Right. I can reverse that force. Right. So that's the idea of judo is don't meet the force head on.
Right.
Right. Redirect the force.
You kind of use their own force against them in a sense.
The idea, right? Yeah.
Okay.
And because of feeling, you can feel it. If you get good at judo, you can do all these things. They're real. You can really do it.
And that's what the one you do now is jiu-jitsu.
So no judo. So
you do judo.
All of them.
But I mean, like what you teach, like and what's the name of your is it a dojo? What do you call it?
Dojo.
Is it like under your name? Is it like
again? Now, he hit it on the head earlier. Okay. Different ethnicities, right? So we teach Taekwondo, Korean martial art.
Taekwondo, that's what you said, okay.
And we teach Judo, Japanese martial art. So for me, I'm an American. If you talk about my gym, I'm going to say it's a gym. Right. But if you say you want to go take Judo, I'm going to say, come on down to the dojo. Okay. Because that's gym in Japanese. Okay. And if you say, well, I really like Taekwondo, I said, okay, then come on down to the dojang. Because that's gym in Korean.
So it's the same thing, just different language.
And if you're going to come in to do some judo with me, you're going to need to wear a gi. Because that's what we call it, a do-gi. Yeah. Judo gi. It's a judo gi.
I've never heard that called anything else, regardless of the martial art.
Taekwondo with me, you're going to do use your do-bak.
It's called a bak.
Do-bak.
I've never heard that.
Gi is not a word in Korean. Okay. But bak is. Okay. So, but guess what it means? The thing you wear to do Taekwondo. Or the thing you wear to do judo. Right? Right. So it's like lost in translation. We try to think, but it's just it's another language. It'd be like, it's Spanish.
And but is there a name for your business or your company or?
Santa Maria Taekwondo and Judo.
Oh, it's just Santa Maria Taekwondo and Judo. Are you still over by Spencer's?
Yes, we're in the 2-story building. We've been up there for almost 5 years now.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
We started out right behind Spencer's in that little one.
Yeah, that's the last time I walked over there. That was a long time ago.
1,000 square foot.
So the 2-story one that's down the other way now,
so now we're on the 2nd floor up on top there.
By Far Western?
Yes, right above them.
Right above the top thing. Okay, cool.
Right above them. Yep.
Okay. People have that idea that if you're not from where something originates, it's same with restaurants. I've had people tell me, I don't like going to a Chinese restaurant.
You should go to the back because all the cooks are Mexican.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and they're great.
Well, that's my point. Well, that's my point. People will say I don't like. They'll tell me I don't like going to a Chinese food restaurant when there's Mexicans are the ones cooking it. And I'm like,
fantastic,
because it's not authentic, right? That's what I think.
You have to do with it?
All I care about, if this tastes like really good Chinese food, I don't care who's making it, right? It doesn't matter to me at all.
That's the sadness of this world, right? We immediately,
it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Makes no sense.
Yeah, because I mean, you could have somebody like me and
so ethnicity automatically equals skill.
Right.
That was why. Where we? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they wonder why. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's weird, man.
Who builds this?
It's weird. So is that all you? Is that your only job? Is doing the dojo?
No.
So what else do you do for work?
I do things I don't want to do. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I own a construction company.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like house construction?
Well, we do everything, but predominantly we build cell phone sites for the cell phone companies.
Oh.
I build towers.
Like towers, okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever build the ones that look like trees?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Trees, water tanks.
We crack up with
Palm
those.
trees, eucalyptus trees, pine trees, like you name
Okay.
it. You've done them all, yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
25 years.
And you own the company? Dang, dude. That's awesome. So then the Taekwondo thing is more like
that's our outreach.
I mean, it's a hobby, but it's something that you also make money at and you enjoy and you know. Oh, you don't really make money at it?
I never did for money. You don't do martial art for money.
Okay.
It's the first thing that you have to realize when people at the minute is like, oh man, I'm up at gym, I'm this job, I'm gonna make money.
Yeah.
Man. You see they count like, man, there's like 20 kids here.
Yeah.
They do the math, they go, man, that's like $2,000. Oh man, that's a lot.
Right.
Then you realize, oh, well, half of them don't pay.
Yeah.
They can't afford to, so you're just letting them come for free, right?
Right.
Because it's for them.
Yes.
That's why.
I mean, you could be a jerk and be like, nah,
That's
you don't
why
pay, you're
I'm
done.
here,
You know.
And then all the equipment I give them, and then all that.
Yeah.
So it's just an outreach. It always has
Right,
been because it made my life better.
Okay.
And if I can reach someone else, then I've done my due diligence in life to make it better. And if I don't teach someone, who's going to teach someone?
Right.
Because I've been doing this thing for some years now.
Yeah.
And the people that I did it with, they're not here anymore.
Yeah.
They don't do it anymore. Like very few people keep doing it, right?
Right. Right.
So if that's the case, I can tell you about guys that I've trained that have become phenomenal.
Yeah.
Reach black belt. They're not doing it anymore, right? You know what I mean? Like they're not teaching it. So see what I mean? Like,
but do you think that's because life happens and they're more like, I have a family now. I have to make money. I have to get a job. I don't have time for this anymore.
Absolutely.
Kind of thing.
The amount of people that it will take it for their whole life, it's one. It's one, right? We do the numbers and we can do it, and it's really accurate. My friend Steve, who's taught with me for years, you know, we can say beyond a doubt, you know, it's been some 20-some years I've had people come through the door.
Yeah.
And I can tell you beyond a doubt of all the people that started, of 100 people, this many, how many will stay, how many will stay out of 1,000, out of the 10,000, how many will actually continue on and teach people.
Okay.
It's not many.
Yeah.
It's not many. It's like the equivalent of how many people at your church will become the pastor.
Right.
Right?
Right.
A lot of them might try. A lot of them might get in there and maybe even help a little while, right?
Yeah.
But how many really want to carry that whole burden, right?
Right.
So it's kind of like that. It's very similar.
Yeah.
It's very similar structural to a church too.
Okay.
How the
With pastors, though, I always say that if it's someone that really wants to be a pastor, I'm like, you shouldn't be a pastor.
Probably not. And I would say
people that have that ambition.
And I would say the same thing about.
Okay. It's more of a calling than a desire.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
For sure, because there's no like. You're not getting anything from it.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you that right now.
Well, I mean, you might be getting something, but not necessarily financial or anything like that. But I mean, you get the reward of knowing that you're helping kids, you're putting them on the right track potentially, right? I mean, you're giving them something that's going to matter.
It's not what would call a person to do it, right? Like the idea that it's instead it's as you do it, then you realize.
Okay.
It's more like your initial draw to it would not be to do that. You know, it's the person that really loves the martial art. That's the person that's going to stay because that's where they're fascinated.
Yeah.
They're fascinated in the martial art.
Right.
And through that, they recognize this is the vehicle that I'm using to better my life.
Right.
Right. And that's what we need as humans. We need a vehicle.
Yeah.
Right. That's what the Torah is. It's a vehicle. Right. That's what God says. What did He say? The law is the tutor.
Right.
The vehicle to sharpen yourself against, right?
Yeah.
We need a vehicle. And that's where people get mixed up. That's where the mix up comes with religion.
Yeah.
The vehicle's the religion.
Right.
The personal relationship with Jesus Christ.
Right.
Right? That's what matters.
Correct.
This is the vehicle.
Yeah.
Right? You can put another vehicle there.
Sure.
Really,
but there's some bad vehicles that aren't going to get you to Jesus Christ.
Well, no. We're already at Jesus.
Oh,
Jesus
okay.
Here, we got Jesus.
Gotcha.
We got Jesus, right?
Okay.
I'm just saying that Jesus salvation,
Right.
granted. But we
Right.
still got to better ourselves.
Yeah.
He works in us to better ourselves.
Sure.
But he uses vehicles to do this thing, right?
Gotcha.
Absolutely, right?
Okay.
So you could put yourself as under discipleship under some monk somewhere, right? People would
Yeah.
do that in the past. That was a big thing, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
Christian monks, yeah.
Yeah.
You do it, right?
Yeah. I could already do it. I already got the hairstyle and everything.
You're ready
I just need a
yourself.
robe.
You have to do it, yeah. So, but I'm just saying that those vehicles for betterment,
Yeah.
that's a real thing we need
Yeah.
as people.
Okay.
And fill in the blank, right? Like you could put another thing there. It could be something.
Right.
It could be each person's different. Each person can find their vehicle different.
Right.
But martial art is a definite vehicle for bettering yourself because you have to teach yourself to do this physical thing, right? But as you're learning and teaching yourself, right, you're learning how to learn.
Right.
And this is applicable to every aspect of your life. And when you can make that connection, right, it opens up everything.
Yeah.
But it's the discipline. You see, discipline is what equals it.
Right.
So if we take a vehicle that has no discipline, now, like you just said, it could be a bad vehicle.
Right.
It could be a vehicle of addiction, fill in the blank.
Right.
They're all vehicles.
Yes.
They're taking us somewhere.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I wasn't realizing you were talking specifically about Christians.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about like just in general, like if you have there's so many different belief systems that are these vehicles that are going to take you
Away from
to the wrong belief system or to the wrong, or maybe even into atheism or something, a religious system that doesn't lead you to Christ, kind of a thing. So do you do you find that in that working with the kids and stuff that how long have you been doing it now? Like teaching? 20 years or so?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you find that you have a lot of kids that you feel like are coming from bad situations and you're able to help them kind of get refocused and
I've seen that
Okay.
in my life. We've had the kids,
Okay.
the kids that come in that the parents don't have it together, right?
right.
And it can be like hard to watch, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You can be like, I've had the conversation with them, like, hey, like you have to say things sometimes generally, right? But the ones that need it, they hear it and absorb it, right?
Right.
So sometimes you'll say, the thing like, hey, just because people in our life maybe have made wrong decisions doesn't mean that we have to do that, right?
Right.
The things that like we set our own path,
Right.
and then really
Which is a
getting to recognize
huge
it.
message to give to somebody like that in this age of victim culture.
Right. Instead, they're like, "Oh, my parents did this, so
Yes.
therefore I'm going to do." No,
Right.
No. We can dig out of this. We
Yes.
can in ourselves.
Right. Right.
Everything you need is in you. Right. You
Yeah.
can do it. So you just have to really put your focus on this thing and like
Right.
not succumbing to this. Right.
Okay.
So when they really put their focus on the title, really focus on it, then you just see like it starts clicking.
Right.
And their grades are getting better. And then the
Yeah.
parents are like, wow, they're doing so much better in school.
Yeah.
They're really and you can see it.
Yeah.
And it's because they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Right? And it's like, isn't that the most important
Yeah.
lesson in life?
Yeah.
When we recognize that, usually we're a little older, we're like, oh, I was doing what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Everything's going according to plan. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
Day after day after day repetition. So that's what they can get from that,
Yeah.
learn from that, right?
Which is kind of the whole point of life is to be. I like that. So the whole point of life is to be doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Do the right thing. Well, and it's so funny, right? It took me, I was in my 30s and I realized it. Do
Yeah.
the right thing. Why do we do the right thing?
Yeah.
Because God said.
Right.
No, that's not why. Right?
Yeah.
Because that will only get you so far.
Right.
Because we're humans.
Right.
We're going to fail. 'Cause we're
Well, I would
terrible
say
at it.
if we're talking about Christians, I would say we're doing it. He's doing it in us and through us.
course,
It's not
of
a
course.
matter of
Absolutely.
us, but
And now I'll disclaim that everything I say from this point on, so you can understand, I have no belief whatsoever that it's me. It's
Yeah.
God working through me. It's always God working because I know what I'm capable of. My heart's susceptible to evil and everything
Right.
else.
right.
But I know that I'm saved, and through that, He's worked through me over
Yeah.
the last years and years and years, right, in my life, and I can see it.
Sure.
But nevertheless, right, we still our purpose is, because God said it, we do the right thing to do because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And when we can realize that,
Right.
everything else goes out the window. I don't need another reason.
Sure.
I do the right thing to do because that's the right thing to do.
Right, but when we get into who determines
That's it.
what the right thing is, that's where things get dicey. Unless you and I believe in Christianity, we believe in
Yeah.
the Bible, we believe in God in that sense. But then there's other people that say, most things like something
Yes.
like murder, it doesn't matter really what your beliefs is. Most people would say murder is wrong. Some won't. Some will say no, it's not. But the vast majority of people say yes. But then you get into something like, say, abortion or gay marriage or something like this is where one group of people will say this is not the right thing to do. And someone else will say this is the right thing to do. And that's right. That's where God comes into play. Because then you and I could say, well, it's not up to me. My standards don't matter.
Yeah.
It matters what the God of all the universe, the creator, has decided is right. He's the one that creates morality and says this is right, this is wrong, this is something I don't really care about or whatever, right? I mean, that's up to him. So, I mean, I guess if you and I can talk about it, we'll be in agreement. But if I'm talking to an atheist, and that's kind of where I always get to with them with morality, and I say, well, is rape wrong? And they'll say, well, of course. And I'll say, why? And first they're kind of taken aback, like, what a stupid question, Ryan. Of course rape. I said, no, I agree with you, it's wrong. I'm just asking you why it's wrong. And what I'm telling them basically is you don't really have a reason other than I just think it's wrong, they'll say. I just think it's wrong. It's like, well, what if someone else just thinks it's right? Does it then become right? They'll say, well, no, it's still wrong. Right. So your reasoning saying the reason it's wrong is because you think it's wrong doesn't hold any water. Mm-hmm. If you ask me, Ryan, why is rape wrong? I'll say, well, because the God of all the universe created everything a certain way to function a certain way, and to rape somebody is outside of that function. Mm-hmm. That's outside of the morality that God has created. That is a wrong, evil thing to do. Right. So I have a reason behind it. It's like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So anyway, it's kind of it's interesting depending on who you're talking to, and that's why I love doing these, because it's like I have people from all walks of everything, different. I've had lots of Christians on here, obviously, but I mean I've had atheists, I've had all different belief systems. I've had people that are used to be Christian and now hate it, and they're against it, like they were raised in it, So it's just kind of neat.
Yeah, but to answer on that, the right thing to do.
Right.
Well, but again, if you follow that back,
okay,
rape.
Yeah.
You're forcing yourself upon something.
Correct. Yes.
It's the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
I
agree.
Where is another situation where I force myself upon something that's right?
Well,
right?
But hang on.
I force myself upon something.
Well, but hang on.
So
if let's say you're at a mall,
mm-hmm.
and a psychopath comes in there with a gun,
mm-hmm.
and you're behind him and he doesn't see you, and you know Taekwondo, so you go up and you force yourself upon him to knock him to the floor to stop him from shooting people.
But what was he doing?
He was doing something bad.
Yeah.
But what you did you forced yourself upon him for a good reason.
The rapee was not, right?
Correct.
So
yes. Oh, absolutely. I agree with you on the rape thing. I'm just saying that you asked if there's ever a situation where you force yourself upon somebody where it's not wrong, and I was thinking,
well, this is a different situation, right? So now, here you have a perfect point, though.
All right.
Because in somebody's view, believers,
mm-hmm.
that would be wrong for me to do until he acted.
Right.
And in some, they would say, well, yeah, it's still wrong because God's going to
mm-hmm.
jump in there and he's going to do something.
Right.
Well, could God use me to do that because I've been well-trained all these years?
Bingo.
Right? You see, bingo.
That could be the whole moment that he's been raising you up for.
So, ultimately, and then you could look at me and judge me and say, oh, he's a violent person.
Right.
And I would say, yes, I am.
Yeah. For the right reason, though.
I'm a violent person.
Yeah.
God made me that way.
Yeah.
But he's also given me the control
right,
through Jesus to handle what he's given me. Right?
Yes. Yes.
So, I've really recently having this conversation with another group of guys, and if we can look at all these things and say, if we were real good Christians, America would not exist because we would have done what the government said. Right at the end of the day, right? Yeah. Well, we could say this thing, right? We could go all the way back,
right?
But ultimately, we say no. We're Americans, right? We did not agree with what they were doing, so we stood.
Sure. And
we stood violently.
Yeah.
It was not peaceably.
Right.
Right. Maybe it started peaceably, but we had to answer violently, right?
Sure.
So is there this place for this? Well, obviously God uses it.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think all violence is wrong at all. I mean, I don't think that at all.
I think
sometimes it's necessary.
It is necessary. Would it be a right to have let Germany continue on?
Right.
Would it have been right? it wasn't right to let them get what they did get, right? And
right.
we didn't stand in front of that evil.
Sure.
So, you know, it is true. All it takes for evil to succeed is for good people to do nothing, right?
Right.
And so we are supposed to stand.
Mm-hmm.
Like the people that say that we're supposed to be passive, I don't think they read it right.
Yeah.
I don't think they read it right.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But when we stand, we're not standing in our own strength.
Yeah.
We're standing in God's strength.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
I mean, that's what I think. I have met Christians that don't really believe. I mean, that they'll say that, but then they'll talk about it differently.
But you must be very, very careful. It's a slippery slope because Christian nationalism sure does exist too.
Yes.
And we can end up down that road.
Right.
So it's with everything. And Paul said it. So so my defining thing in life is what he said, all things in moderation.
Yeah.
He means that because if you look at it, you can't go to the left or the right. You got to stay on the center because either way is a ditch.
Yes.
And you're going to end up down it, and it's a slippery slope, right?
Right.
So we can go either way very, very fast if we don't keep our eyes focused on Christ, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the most critical thing to recognize because we like to be a part of a group.
Yeah. Right. And I think that's by design, right? I don't think God created us to be solo, right? I mean, we're what's the word? Community beings, or I forgot.
Like-minded beings,
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's like I don't think he ever designed us to be alone, right? Even from the very beginning, God made Eve to give Adam a helper. I mean, yeah, exactly. Someone to, I mean, he's all by himself. He's just got the animals.
Right.
That can get boring. You know, so give him a life mate.
Yeah. But I find all that very fascinating. I just, I think you have to be very diligent. I think about what you allow to become angry over.
Right.
Because it's always been easy, but now we have these machines we've made that know exactly what buttons to push in us, very personally, to get our emotions going, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's like when you realize that, you have to understand you're being manipulated,
right?
Even by a thing that maybe has no malice, because it's weird, but it's manipulating you, right?
Right.
So
yeah,
I just think it's so critical to be observant.
Yeah.
To know your history because it's repeating itself over and over and over.
Right.
And when we can see a similar thing, what happened last time, right?
Right.
Oh, this is very similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we know where to go.
Right.
Yeah.
No, man, I'm with you. All right, so before we're going to jump into music here in a minute. But before that,
I didn't finish though.
Oh, with which part?
Kano. Sensei Kano.
Oh, let's hit. Yeah, there you go.
Because this is important.
Let's hit it.
This is the Gracies.
Like Hoist Gracie?
Wants to know about the Gracies, yeah. So
like really?
So this is where Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu comes from.
Okay.
So Sensei Kano in 1882 starts the Kodokan. All right, that's where I left off. Kodokan is the library of judo. It's the training hall. So at that point, judo starts. He takes it from jiu-jitsu, which was the gentle art.
Right.
Which art could be like the art of calligraphy, the art of cooking, the art of serving tea. They're very big on that, right?
Right.
And they take it from being an art, a set of pre-described things, to being a way, like we just talked about, of philosophy to better yourself.
Like a way of life.
Yeah, so it becomes judo. In that time, right, when it makes it judo, it's about a 20 to 30 year period it takes place. He's trained up multiple guys. 20 years, if you have a gym, 20 years now, you've seen a lot of people.
Yeah.
Go from 8 years old to 28 years old. You know, you just watch grow and grow. And they move on, man, and they do this and they do that. So when you train someone that long and you've had people come, one of the guys that trained with him was named Maeda. Okay. And Maeda, Mitsu Maeda, he had trained sumo until he was about 17. And he was a little guy. He's like, this ain't working out for you, man. Those are big dudes, right? So he goes off to college. Well, he ends up at the Kodokan doing judo, right? And he trains judo for 10 years, whatever it is.
Yeah. He
gets really good at judo, right? Imagine that. So he goes off with some of the other emissaries to America and starts fighting guys, like, you know, to show judo.
Right.
Wrestlers, goes to West Point, puts on a thing, beats his guy, does really good. So this guy moves around. He said, well, finally they break apart and he's doing prize fights, and that's like shunned upon in judo, like because Kano wants it to become a big thing to unify the world, not be prize fighting, right?
Right.
So he ends up in Europe doing prize fights, where in Spain he ends up with the name Count Maeda because he taps out big guys. He's a little dude, and he loses and he wins. He loses and he wins. It's not like he's undefeated or anything.
Right.
But they put on shows at the circus. So they'd have like this little Japanese guy comes out and he's like, he'll beat any man in here, and they come out and he beats him, throws him. His thing was, if I can throw you, if I can't throw you, you win $50. If you can throw me, I'll give you $250.
Oh, nice.
And back then, like this is like 14, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it was big money.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, so he goes on. Well, he ends up at some point in Brazil with the circus, put on shows, and one of the families that were helping him establish. So Brazil is the largest Japanese population outside of Japan. Mm-hmm. They own a ton of the rainforest.
Yeah.
Like a bunch. They have forever. They do all kinds of things there, right?
Yeah.
So one way that Japan works up prior to the war, they will bring in and colonize an area. Mm-hmm. We're seeing that now too with other countries. They'll colonize an area and then war kicks off. And guess what they have? They have a whole bunch of military-age men in your country.
Yeah.
Right? This is the Japanese method. And other countries have done it too, right? This is why we had the internment camps. There was a reason we did that.
Sure.
Because there was a plan, right?
Yeah.
And they caught some people.
Right.
Like, that really happened.
Sure,
right?
sure. Sucked for all those that
horrible,
were...
right? Horrible atrocity.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. Horrible atrocity.
Right.
But I'm just saying there was a reason, right?
Of course.
You have to always remember there is things.
Yes.
So Japan's very big in Brazil. Big population. He goes to Japan. In that, they're trying to find homes for people. One of the guys, Gustavo Gracie, is a higher up, like in the government. He's trying to get them a place, right? He was a somebody.
Yeah.
His son was Carlos Gracie, who, if you read Drysdale's book, it's pretty good, called Opening Closed Guard, goes into the judo background of jiu-jitsu, and he's a jiu-jitsu guy. So, I mean, it's pretty unarguable now. Like, the history was rewritten during the 90s for the Gracies, but now the history's come out. Like, it's judo.
Okay.
So, they make a deal. He trains the son maybe for a year or so, or he might have just came into the gym. This is where it's really cool, though. Mm-hmm. And this is why I don't know why they have to act like that, why they tell the story the way they do, the Gracies. Because it's awesome, the real history. Like, either way of how he trained with Maeda, the fact that Carlos Gracie was able to go on and do what he did with a minute amount of training, if he even trained at all, of ground fighting, and then develop that into what it is a testament to their ability, right? Like, they really took the judo ground game, and Brazil being a small place, they didn't have the big arenas to work on throwing, so they started doing more guard, more newaza, more ground fighting, because they're in these little rooms like this big with 20 guys, you know?
Wow.
So they're just ground fighting. There's no room in front. Yeah. So that's how it developed into what it is. But we didn't see this big thing, and you wouldn't know about this, but the big flux of all the open guard, the no-gi, all that stuff until the 90s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that all developed after Gracie did this UFC thing.
I was going to say, that's when like UFC started getting big, and then...
It was during the 90s that all this other stuff blossomed.
Okay.
And now we have what it is now.
Yeah.
So that's where it diverged. The real diverging. If you watch prior to that, they're just doing judo.
Okay.
It's judo, and the judo guys would fight judo, and some judo guys would win, some jiu-jitsu. It was like they just didn't want to change their name because
That's stubbornness.
That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Kano went around to all. He had emissaries, like I said, and Kimura when he came. That's one of the things, and they would give him black belts and say, well, "We know you're still using the name jiu-jitsu, but since Kano is codifying everything under the name judo now, and here you're a Kodokan black belt in judo," and some of the guys were like, okay, yeah, we'll do it. And then it was judo. Boom, they were all in. And then some of the guys were like, no, we're going to stay jiu-jitsu. And the Gracies were ones that stayed jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
So no, we like this name. We're going to
even though it's really the same thing.
It's judo, yeah.
Okay.
So I tell you, I like that history of that because it's important because there's a perfect example of how history was rewritten. But now if you look, the history's there.
Yeah.
Let's not rewrite history, guys. It's there. It's real.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with it.
That's cool.
It's cool the way it is, right?
Yeah.
So in the early 1800s, they conquered, Japan conquered Korea. And they took all their martial art and wiped out all their stuff, right? And when Japan conquers a country, they wipe out your history.
Oh, wow.
That's the way they work. Like some countries will let you, like, the Greeks were real good about letting you keep your own culture, but you just had to take on Greek.
Yeah.
Right? Well, Some like Japanese, they wipe out everything that you were and they make you them. So then that's a way of calling real. So they don't remember. So then they never retaliate a century later, right? Because they don't remember who they were.
Yeah.
So they did that to the Koreans. So in that process, that's why Taekwondo is really Shotokan karate Koreanized.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's where it came from. It came out of the Shotokan, which is actually in Okinawan, not even Japanese too.
Okay. Like Karate Kid too,
they got a
Okinawa.
whole story about it, yeah.
Okay.
The Koreans are funny because then they'll say, "Well, we actually talked to Okinawa."
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Like, it's funny. Like, I wonder if I'm sure there is like fights over where.
Oh yes.
Like which one actually started first.
So I think this is my personal opinion. A lot of people say it was the monks. The monks were training. They needed a way to stay healthy. Mm-hmm. So they started, the Kung Fu monks started doing it. They started doing the Kung Fu of a nature, some type of a Kung Fu, some sort of Tai Chi, just to stay.
Yeah.
And then they needed guards because there were a lot of bandits. So they would have a monk travel with them because they were pretty good. And then they would defend them. Like, this is the story, right? This is the wives' tale.
That's all you have.
Well,
right?
I don't think that's what happened. I think that what happened was Alexander the Great made it all the way to China almost.
Okay.
And they lived there. And they taught them how to fight. Okay. And they went from there and it blessed them. Because what they're doing is fighting. And the best fighters in the world at the time were the Greeks.
Okay.
And the Greeks wrestled. They did a thing called pancration.
Yeah.
Which is fighting.
Yeah.
I mean, they still did pancration. They try to bring it back. But
right.
It's. I think that's where it came from.
Okay.
I think it comes from the Greeks.
Okay.
I think that's where it comes from, the Greeks. And maybe further back than the Greeks. Mm-hmm. Right? Because I think if you follow it back, it says we were taught it in the book of Enoch from one of the fallen ones, right?
Right.
The art of war.
Wow.
So I don't know.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you, just because we're talking about, martial arts. You watch Cobra Kai?
Well, I've seen that. I'm not a big on the series. I watched a few of them, but yeah.
So we just started. We're barely in the third season. I guess there's 6, and I talk to people, and they're like, oh, and they start telling me, I said, no, don't tell me nothing. I don't know anything about any of that. I'm only in season 3. We started because I wanted to watch it when it first came out because I grew up loving the Karate Kid movies, loved them, and Bethany. Not so much, right? I mean, so when Cobra Kai came out, she's like, I don't really want to see that. I'm like, I can't get anybody to watch with me. And I got way too much going on to have time to watch something by myself anymore. It's like that never happens. So I didn't get to watch it when it came out. Well, then now Addie, who's now 16, got, I don't remember, friend must showed her a picture or something of Ralph Macchio back in the 80s. Yeah. So she's like, oh, he's so cute. She's got this crush on Ralph Macchio. And then... So she wants to watch the Karate Kid movies. So we go through watch Karate Kid movies. She's like, oh, these are good. She's watching the Karate. So we're all watching them together. And now I'm like, hey, now I might have somebody to watch Cobra Kai. Sure enough, he's like 60 now, but he's in the Cobra Kai. So then we started watching it. And I wasn't expecting it to be anything great. Just kind of something kind of cool, Dude, I love it. It's phenomenal. Yeah. It's such a good show.
I watched the first 2 episodes.
Okay.
I don't know if I've seen all of them.
But
I watched some of them. And I liked it. It was good.
It was
interesting.
Dude, there's so much emotion in there.
I just don't have the time to.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't think I have it anymore. I think it was free on something, or I might have watched it even on YouTube.
Well, that's how it started, was on YouTube, and then Netflix picked it up. So now it's on Netflix, and we have that. So that's how we watch it. But I mean, it's just the
I've been watching The Lord of the Rings, the new one.
Oh, see, I haven't started that yet.
Oh, I like it.
I've heard that one's great.
Man, I like it. Like a lot of people, everybody always got their things. They're, the agenda, this. I think it's good. And they're like,
is there an agenda in there?
I didn't see it anywhere, but
I haven't heard that yet.
I got to tell you this.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you the honest truth. I'm so blind to it.
Oh, okay.
I don't even care. I don't care. I grew up in the 80s.
Yeah.
Every single movie I watched had pornography in it,
right? Well, sure.
There wasn't a naked girl. And it was funny. We didn't know because we watched them on TV.
Right.
So then you'll rent the thing and you take it home and if it shows your kids, you're like, oh my God, I don't remember any of this. Right? So anyway.
You put on Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I don't remember that part.
Goonies, right? You're like, oh
Goonies.
My gosh,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, because we watched it on Saturday morning on the cable, right?
Sure.
So anyway, so I mean, I don't even care.
Okay.
But I'm so used to all this, I could just, whatever. So I thought it was good. A lot of people were saying it didn't follow the Sumerian, but I'm like, I don't think that was a complete book anyway, because it was just a bunch of stuff he had written, and his son compiled it. I'm like, he can really tell it any way you want.
Like years after Tolkien's death, they put all that together.
Right.
So
I was like, I think that they're doing a great job.
Yeah.
And the first season was excellent.
Okay.
If you haven't seen the first season,
I haven't seen any of
it all for you.
Yeah.
Phenomenal job.
I've heard.
of
Yeah.
what they did.
Okay.
And then the second season, it's like Star Wars is how I feel.
Okay.
You know how like the first one, Phantom Menace, was like, well, okay, I get it. And then the second one, Clone Wars, you're like, awesome,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then the third one, it is my favorite one after.
Yeah.
But as you're watching it, you're like, oh, it's like you already know the story.
Right.
Because it has to fold out the way it does.
Yeah.
So it's just fill in, but they're doing a good job.
But it's brutal though.
Right.
That whole end
That's
part.
how I feel about it.
See,
it's like you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So this is each episode. You know what's going to be the next one because they got to show that.
Yeah.
But they're doing a good job.
Okay.
And I think they're really doing a good job about how good he is getting in people's mind as the deceiver.
Okay. Cool,
yeah,
man.
the devil. They're doing a good job portraying
Okay.
that with.
They're bringing across the symbolism that Tolkien
Yeah,
meant.
with Sauron. Yeah.
Okay, that's so cool.
Even though he's like the second, because Morgoth was really the devil.
Uh-huh.
He's the one that played the music out of tune when they were in the. You ever read that part?
No.
Oh,
No.
Oh, Tolkien's fascinating, man, because he's talking when you realize like he's talking about God and heaven, right?
Sure.
Obviously, he's right.
Right.
He's a believer, so he's a Catholic. But he says, look, at the beginning, he names it that God made. He basically made all things, but what he does is when he brings these beings into existence, well, then the beings start playing music.
Okay.
And then the music, he's the orchestrator, and then they're playing the music.
Which is biblical.
Way cool, right?
Yeah.
And then after the song is all played, then creation begins. Well, the song is all creation being played in music, which is way cool, right? I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Like, Tolkien's awesome.
Yeah.
But what happens is Morgoth, the devil, starts playing his own song during this, and all this, and some of the angels or the beings, get drawn to him, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's awesome.
It's very cool. And then he cuts down the trees of life. One of the trees he cuts down.
So it sounds like there's
it's
more.
pretty cool,
There's more. It seems like there's more biblical symbolism in that than there is in the Lord of the Rings.
So there's a lot, yeah. There's
Okay.
a lot, man. Well, even in the Lord of the Rings.
I know there is, but I mean, you're talking about that's pretty specific.
When I first saw that, and this is 20-some years ago, because I was never really into the Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
I didn't even remember reading the book or none of that. And
Right.
I watched the first movie.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, I got to check out everything.
The first of the Peter
Once I get
Jackson,
interested in something, I'm
the Fellowship of the Ring. I mean,
yeah.
Okay.
And this is before internet, all that kind of stuff,
Right.
Right. So.
Right.
I mean, it exists, but it wasn't like now where you can just Google all these
You didn't
things.
have your
So I was like
smartphone,
going
yeah.
out. I was going out like reading books. I went and got smart. I'm going to read that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I was on it. So
Yeah.
that's why it really grasped me. Anything like that, it really grasped me. Like I love
Okay.
the Star Wars history too. Like if you
Oh yeah.
a
Yeah.
little bit of looking into that is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Like how they tie it all together now.
Right.
You know how they make these universes.
Right.
It's really cool.
So as a Star Wars fan, you probably agree then that like Jar Jar Binks is the best character that's ever come into the universe of
And
Star
my
Wars.
son says he's a dark Sith Lord.
See, that's the thing that goes around with my kids
Just
too.
playing.
You see this lore? He's actually he's undercover as a Sith Lord. It's like, shut up, come on. I mean, all these
If you
fan
saw
fiction
him, yeah.
theories. It's like, give me a break, dude. Some of them are so far fetched. Like,
Yep.
come on, ridiculous.
Yeah,
But
he's I never noticed where they killed Plagueis in the second one. They missed that. They could have made that a bigger deal.
in the second in
'cause
Attack of the
'cause
Clones,
he kills Plagueis in the second
Okay.
one. He's there with him,
yeah,
but they never make a big deal. Now knowing back, you can go back and you're like, oh yeah, that was Plagueis right there, because that
Okay.
was his master, Sidious, right?
right,
Darth Plagueis. Yeah.
right, huh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's my mind. Like I got to go into the history of the thing, because then that just
yeah, dude.
I'm in.
There's a source for everything. That's
Well,
what's
that's
kind
why
of cool.
I get fascinated with the Bible too. 'Cause
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Same.
Yes.
Same. You dig into that, and you're like, oh, and then you
Yeah.
start realizing, oh, they took that and made this. That's from the Bible, and then you see it everywhere.
Right.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh,
well, you
yeah.
see that everywhere, anywhere. It's like that quote that everybody always attributes to Abraham Lincoln. Which one is it? Oh no! I see now. I had a brain fart. There's a quote that everybody attributes to Abraham Lincoln. I'm like, that's a Bible verse. It's
one?
literally a Bible verse. Oh my gosh! I'll think of it. I'll think of it before we're done. But let's jump into music real quick. Let's get into some of that.
I gotta stop you. You know,
Uh-oh.
Abraham Lincoln was a legit fighter, like wrestling champ, and they would fight like MMA.
Yeah.
they would box.
Well, he's
too.
like 7
They would
feet
wrestle
tall.
and box.
This guy probably had some reach on him.
And they had where they allowed the hit too. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like full fighting, but it was pretty close.
Okay.
And he was the champ in Illinois. He was
Oh,
the champ.
wow.
Yeah. A lot of people know that. He was a legit. And
That's awesome.
Theodore Roosevelt, black belt in judo.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they came, remember I told you about when they came?
That I believe.
They trained Theodore Roosevelt.
It's easier to believe for Teddy Roosevelt than it is for...
He would have classes in the White House.
Yeah.
And his wife would take it too.
Really?
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's right. We got to bring that back.
Cool story.
We got to bring that back.
Yeah.
All right. So, what are your thoughts on music, man? I know. I've seen you on Facebook.
Yeah, I love
you
music,
sing.
yeah.
You're a singer.
No, I'm terrible.
You're terrible. You sound pretty good.
No?
You don't think so?
Awful.
Now, do other people tell you you sound awful, or is that just your own self-critique?
I don't know. Probably.
What does your wife say?
Well, I don't know. She often walks away. No, she
doesn't say anything, but she plugs her ears and screams out of the room.
Headphones on.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I started playing guitar. So I love music.
Okay.
And so
Playing or listening or both?
all of it.
All of it. Okay.
Like I said, there's things in life that are vehicles
Yes.
that we use to get better.
Right.
So for me, martial art, I could use it as my escape to focus, hone my life, like hammer them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then there's things that you should not have any aspire whatsoever to get good at
Okay.
in your life.
And what do you think?
And that's music for me. It's a
Okay.
full escape. I might sound like cats fighting,
Yeah.
but I don't care because I could just do it and as
Right.
loud as I want.
Yeah.
And this is America.
So you take
right?
so you take joy in it,
I take joy in just
But
relaxing and not trying.
but it's not so much so other people can hear you
and
necessarily.
so one of my good friend, he just moved, Steve, that taught with me for years.
Okay.
He went to Grace Baptist.
Okay.
Lead guitar player at Grace Baptist.
Oh, nice.
Well, if you ever went to Grace Baptist, you heard
Yeah.
Steve play.
Yeah.
I mean, you listen to Jimi Hendrix up there play. It's
Oh, nice.
phenomenal, right? And he could never, because he knows, what it takes to get good. He's like, okay,
Right.
you got to go home, just like when we're doing martial art.
Yeah.
You got to do set after set, run your
Yeah.
scale, set after set, run your... And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do this. He's like, no, you need to get
It's not worth it to
You're
me.
gonna get it.
Not
And
worth
you
it.
got to learn a song. And everything he has told me over the years, I've done.
Yeah.
Because he is awesome.
Yeah.
But in my heart, I'm like, I know what it really would take to get good, but I don't, because I like to have an escape that I'm not trying to necessarily get good at, right?
Okay.
What happens, happens. So whatever you hear that you think, well, that was decent,
Yeah.
that's all God.
Okay.
That ain't Cort.
But so
Cort's out practice.
But you don't ever see yourself
No,
even
I'm
playing
practice.
I went on the worship
I would play with
team
the
or
worship
anything?
team, yeah. I would go practice
okay.
with them, yeah. But Michael asked if I would play.
Oh,
I said,
okay.
I don't like. It's kind of funny. I don't like being in front of people.
Yeah, I don't either.
I hate it.
I do too.
Man.
Yeah.
Like that.
I love
for me,
this. I love doing this like a
yeah.
one-on-one, but if I was to go up on stage,
If I didn't know you,
Yeah.
we wouldn't have this
Right.
conversation, right?
right.
It's like, I don't like that feeling.
Yeah.
Some people love it. I used to have a tournament. We had 5 years of a tournament. We'd have it here in Santa Maria. Mm-hmm. And I would get up every time and give a speech in front of everyone because I hate it. So I would make myself do it.
Yourself. Okay.
Force myself to do it, right? And it never got easier. Mm-hmm. It never gets better. Like when people are like, oh, it'll get better. No, it doesn't. Mm-hmm. Because you have something in you that you just like doing that thing, right? So it's always going to be there. Because people are introverted and people are extroverted.
Yeah, it's just a personality trait.
So you are.
Yeah.
So it does not necessarily get easier, and it does not necessarily come to you easier, right?
Yeah.
Either it just is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes you just have to do a thing you don't want to do,
Right.
and that's what you recognize in life,
Okay.
right? Like I didn't want to do it, I had to do it. So
Yeah.
I say that because I go to church to listen to a sermon, not to dread about walking up on the stage. You know what I mean? So
Right.
now I'm going to be here
Right.
thinking the whole time, oh God, I got to go up there in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I got to go up there in 5 minutes. Right? Why do I want to put myself through that, right?
Right.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll come play with you on Wednesdays, and I'll have a blast.
Okay.
And I get to hear all the songs already.
Yeah.
And it's like, cool, man.
So you'll go practice with them, but you haven't yet gone up on stage during a church service.
I just don't, I just don't.
And do you ever see yourself doing it ever, or no?
I don't.
It'd have to be a
I mean,
big
if he
act
was,
of God.
So this is what I told on Easter last year, on worship, on Resurrection Sunday, on the year before last.
The early morning
Was
one?
this year or the year before last? I told him if you need somebody, because it's
Okay.
early morning, a lot of
Yeah.
time, just let me know. I will come help you.
Nice, man.
But he said, a lot of people can hear you up here, though. And I was like, well, that doesn't make him feel better. Then never mind.
Yeah. It's like, it's going to be harder to drown you out.
Yeah,
doing
it's even
this.
worse up here. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, man, yeah, you're right. Never mind.
Yeah.
No, but if you ever did, yeah, I would, absolutely that. But yeah, it's not something I'm signing up for. Like,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But I do love. So I say all that, but you asked me if I love music. So when
Yeah.
I was a kid, I grew up on rock. My dad played rock, loved Rolling Stones. And then I found my music, which was rap music, right? I love
music,
rap
okay.
music. Oh, and it, of course, it started with
Yeah.
Kid and Play and,
Oh, nice.
Jam on it, the 1980s. Like, that's my years, right? We came out,
dude.
we were doing house parties like
Uh-huh.
this, right?
Oh, yeah.
I remember all
Yeah.
of it, right? And then MC Hammer. Oh,
Okay.
man, MC Hammer. Vanilla Ice came out. Oh,
Yeah.
boy, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it was like 92, right? 93.
Yeah.
It went from being this playful rap music to
Dude.
everything was gangster rap,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And we were all gangsters.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was
So,
like overnight,
Dre's
man.
Chronic came out.
Yeah, we were
yeah.
Dre and Snoop, and
Yep,
man, it
yep.
just like overnight they just flipped the switch on it.
Yeah.
And then and my group came out,
Which one?
Wu-Tang,
Okay.
because you can imagine martial art. Wu-Tang.
Yeah. Yeah.
We used to jump off the desks in junior high and elbow people and say Wu-Tang. To this day, I remember that. I don't know why.
Oh, no.
I still remember that.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, and yeah.
Okay.
So definitely not music. That
Yeah,
your kids
yeah.
listen to. That's another
Well,
reason why I laughed out.
yeah.
But we're like, it's so bad now. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I grew up in
Yeah.
the '90s, man. It was pretty
Yeah,
bad then
right.
too.
Well, and it's funny because those ones you bring up, like you had the Kid and Play, you had the Heavy D, you had like some of those
Right.
ones that were you could play on the radio.
Yeah.
But
Fresh
even
Prince.
then, yeah, exactly.
You're
But
right.
even then, you had stuff that was gangster rap. You had NWA, you had
Yeah.
all that, and then you
Too
had
Short and all
Too
that,
Short. You
yeah.
had like the sexually explicit stuff, Two Live Crew, right? All that was there.
That was all happening. Yeah.
But it wasn't in the mainstream as much as when Dre dropped Chronic.
yeah.
That just blew up, dude.
That was
The
the album,
music
yeah.
videos were all over the thing, and
Yeah.
then Snoop's all over the place now, and then
Snoop,
all the people that came under him, and then it's just like this whole thing. Then
Then Bad
later
Boy
on with
come
Death
out.
Row, yeah. Well, yeah. And then you had the East Coast stuff with Bad Boy, but then like Death Row Records, we got Tupac, and
Yep.
like
Well,
it just seemed to blow up. At that
Tupac,
point.
he started with Digital Underground. He was a
Right.
with him up there.
Yes.
And then he came out with his albums, which I had his first albums.
Yeah.
Loved it because my dad had was it BNG or which one was it? One of the remember they would get
Oh, there was
CDs?
BMG and Columbia House.
It was Columbia
was the
ones,
two.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Yeah.
so you could pick, and he let me
Yeah.
pick. So that's how I got Wu-Tang. That's
Okay.
like different albums, right?
Yeah.
And then he'd be like, "Wait, this has parental advisory. Don't do that again." And he would catch me.
Nice.
But yeah, so yeah, it was
Okay.
It was all music, man. I love music. And,
Yeah.
And then of course we were gonna be rappers and this and that, right?
You had ambitions to be a rapper?
And DJ and scratch. I was never ambitious to be a rapper.
Okay.
But when we were kids, we'd
Yeah.
always try to rap, right? We were
Okay.
kids because that's what we grew up
You'd
with.
rap
And then-
along to-
and then breakdancing. So I got into a breakdancing crew. So we were
Okay.
like in it, right?
Okay.
We were like really involved in hip hop.
Yeah.
That's why when people try to make hip hop an ethnicity thing,
Yeah.
it's not an ethnicity. It never was.
Right.
Hip hop
Right.
is a culture.
Yes.
It was a culture. Like you have
Okay.
to realize, like it did not like it started in the Bronx and it started in the 5 boroughs of New York, right?
Right.
And we can argue. Some people say, "Oh no, it was in L.A.," but okay, whatever. Like, that's an argument they can have.
Right.
Yeah, but it grew up. There were Puerto Ricans. There were all kinds of people
Yeah.
doing it. It was not just one ethnicity, right?
Sure.
So it was a whole group of people, right?
Okay.
Like when we think of hip hop, it should never be like that. It should be
Yeah.
more like our age group.
Well,
We were
dude,
that group.
here's what's funny, dude. So I literally the last episode I did was with Jimmy.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
And-
I know Jimmy.
Okay,
I grew up
so
with
and
Jimmy,
he's the one who
I
told
remember
me
he had CDs from
Yeah,
Columbia
yeah.
House.
Oh, yeah, he
All,
told the
like,
same story.
More than that, man.
He goes, "What was
we
that
go to
called?
his
The
house and
Clubhouse?"
get CDs.
I said, "Yeah, you get like 400 CDs for a nickel."
Yep.
And you got to buy one everywhere. But he was talking about the difference between rap
Yeah.
and hip hop, and he was talking about how the hip hop has. He said there was 4 elements. He said it was rap,
Graffiti,
MCing,
DJing,
graffiti. Yes,
and breakdancing.
I never heard that in my life.
Yeah, that's the culture.
That was
all
the first
four.
time I
They're
heard
the
that.
pillars of hip hop.
I just think it's so funny that I've been doing this. This is like the
Really?
70-something episode I've done, and
we
I've
grew
never
up with
heard
that.
that. And then I literally hear it from the 2 people back to back episodes.
And I did all 4 of them.
Yeah.
We go out and do graffiti.
Okay.
We break, which of course is not good to graffiti. But we see out all the back wall by my
Yeah.
house. And I live on the north end of Santa Maria.
Okay.
And the wall that faces the freeway right there.
Yeah.
We would just tag all over that all the time. Big
Okay.
flag caps. Like
Okay.
we would do pieces and bombs and
Yeah.
hit ups. We'd get up all. It was like
Nice, dude.
through that era. in our life, right?
Yeah.
And then it was a breakdancing crew. Doomsday was our breakdancing crew. We breakdance. We were actually part of a youth organization called Yapa out of San Luis Obispo. This guy, Ted Quintanar, really good guy. Yeah. He ran it. His two sons, Vidal and Chris Quintanar, and then their sister Helena. And they're still around.
No relation to Tony?
Away. No. I asked Tony, actually, so are you related to?
Oh, you know Tony?
Well, I saw, and I said, are you related to? And he said, no, I'm not.
He said, no, okay. But
that's what I was thinking. Because his name was also Tony.
Yeah.
And great man. And so he would go around to the YMCA. We had practice at the YMCA in San Luis. And that's where I saw him first time. Then I go stay the weekend at their house all through 9th and 10th grade. And we go put on shows all over. We go breakdance at house parties, college parties at night, getting in trouble.
Crazy.
But then during the day, we would go like to the Flower Festival or the Morro Bay Festival. We'd put on these shows, breakdancing, and the girls would do like fly girl dances and stuff.
And how old are you at this point?
14, 15.
Oh, wow. Still in high school then.
In high school, yeah.
Wow.
No, it was really cool, man. It was quite an event. And then our breakdancing part, it was Doomsday. So we'd write on it, and we breakdance with like all the like Ballistic and the guys around here.
Yeah.
Derek Lopez and all them.
Okay.
Lido and all the Martinez up together, right? Chad and them. So we'd breakdance. Yeah. Dude. I was really into breaking.
Do you do that ever anymore?
Yeah, I still windmill.
I bet, dude.
They give you like now.
I mean, you're on the mat. You might as well go for it. You know, you got it all right there. You can do a whole little show. So next time you're supposed to give a speech at your thing, don't just do that.
Just break, yeah.
Yeah, just give them a whole thing.
It's hard on the body now.
Yeah, I bet, dude. But not for you. You're pretty in shape because you're doing the martial arts, dude.
And it does go right through martial art. Your guard, when you're sweeping people, it's a windmill, and blah blah blah. It's so many things. Like just trip you right over. Right. But yeah, it's that's why I started, and then of course we tried to rap. Yeah. Right, of course, and then DJing was right, and I had turntables and everything. I actually gave the turntable. It's funny. One of my friends, Freddie Anderson, DJ Spark, he was big. He was DJing all the bars and stuff later. And I don't know what happened to him now. But he actually had my turntable when it was his first day. Yeah, because I let him borrow it a long time, and that started him. Like he has a career as a DJ.
Wow. Kind of cool, huh? All because of you,
around the corner from me, good guy. But just that was our life. We came up in that. Yeah. So I did not like guitar after that, right? Because you're like, oh, guitar,
But you did before. You said your dad brought you up on
I came up on
rock
guitar,
music.
So I listened to all the old rock. Oops, sorry. All the old rock, all everything, and then went through that, the hip hop, going through that, the rap music, going through that, and then it wasn't until later in life. I was 20-some years old now, and we're working on the road at this point with my friend, and he's going to get a guitar, and now we're listening to more rock because we're working with my uncle. Right. And I was like, I'll get drums. So I got a drum pad and I'm practicing. Okay. And I was horrible at it. Terrible. And he's like, man, I can't even practice my guitar because you're so bad at this. He's like, yeah. So I have like zero musical talent that naturally comes. Okay. I'll just tell you that. Like rhythm.
But you obviously have a passion for it.
I just keep doing it, right?
But I mean, look how early in your life you started with it. And then you even go to right now where you still, I know you don't think you're any good, but you still have some fire there because you keep doing it.
Oh, it's fun. Like I said.
You see what I'm saying? Like you're drawn to it.
But it was once I picked up that guitar, and I was like just practicing it. My dad's like, oh, it's so bad. My dad. So I did play trombone in 4th grade. He played trombone. Yeah, he played trombone. So I learned some notes, but I
could have joined a ska band.
Yeah, maybe.
Nice, dude. Yeah.
So he was a good trombone player. So he's a good musician. Okay. The whole time listening to me be horrible. Right. So he's never given me good musical advice other than you're horrible.
Other than just stop. Just
like
stop.
I can't even listen to you. You're so bad. So I was playing my mom's guitar and it was like warped, and I played that for a while, and then I ended up buying a guitar, and I had that guitar. I still have it. Okay. 20 plus years.
Acoustic or electric?
It was acoustic nylon string.
Okay. Nice.
So I wanted to learn flamenco guitar. Yeah. Because if you're gonna do it right. Yeah. That's the most beautiful guitar, right? Flamenco.
Yeah. So oh, it sounds great. But those nylon strings are great too because you got to tune it every 5 seconds.
Yeah, but it's easier to play. Well, once you get them kind of home. Tune them a bunch, and they get kind of locked in. They're beautiful. Okay. It does sound really nice. So I did that for years. I just played, and I would just play. And poor Lucy listened to "I Hurt Myself"
nice.
Over and over.
The Johnny Cash version or the Nine Inch Nails version? Cash. Okay, gotcha.
See, that's the beauty of Johnny Cash. He's the one guy that when he covers you.
Yeah, it's better.
It's going to be better.
Right?
Right? You're like, oh, I don't know about Johnny to cover me.
Dude, but it's funny because I grew up liking Nine Inch Nails. Obviously, The Pretty Hate Machine came out when I was in high school and all that. Great album. I loved it all. And then it wasn't until years later where I heard the song Hurt. And the first version I heard was by Johnny Cash because it was in the Logan preview. And I'm like, dude, what is this song? And this is great. So I'm listening. I'm like, man, I love this song. And I come to find out it's a Nine Inch Nails cover. Yeah,
he covered it.
And then I went back and listened to the Nine Inch Nails version. I'm like, yeah, Johnny did it better.
So the first one I heard, where I heard it, was actually Ice Cube.
They covered that song?
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, he covers it. The gangster,
really?
the killer, and the drug dealer. The gangster, the killer.
Oh, like he sampled it, you mean?
He samples that loop.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, that was the first time. And I remember thinking, like, that's a really cool loop. And then my buddy said, that's from Nine Inch Nails.
Okay.
So then I heard the Nine Inch Nails, and I was like, oh, that's awful.
Yeah.
I don't even like that. And then I heard the Johnny Cash, and I was like, oh, that's that song, but done good.
Yeah, dude, he added so much more emotion to it, and it's just phenomenal.
And then when I told my buddy that, he got like, oh man, I thought he was gonna get.
Oh, like he liked the Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah, he's like, what do you mean? You don't know anything about music.
Well,
he got all defensive.
I understand, right? If you hear that's the first one you hear. Like, think of all these bands or whatever that you like, and you hear the original, and the covers are they're never as good as the original, right? Because that's the first one you've heard. I've always said that about remixes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll hear a remix first, and then that's the one I like.
Yeah.
But if I hear the original and then someone tries to remix, it's like, yeah, that's a pretty good remix, but it's not as good as the original.
I will say Tom Petty's is always going to be better. Because Johnny Cash covers him on, I forget which one exactly, but Tom Petty's is better.
Oh, I don't even know which song.
Yeah.
So Johnny Cash covered a Tom Petty song?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wallflowers, and Tom Petty's is better. That's the one, the only one though. I think every other cover he does.
Yeah.
Like Rusty Cage. Oh, he does that one so good.
By Soundgarden?
Yeah, you never heard that one?
Johnny Cash covered Rusty Cage by Soundgarden.
Dude, you got to hear that.
I have to hear that.
It is beautiful. Acoustic.
Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah, I got to get a hold of that one.
Or When the Man Comes Around. That was not a cover. But
right, that's a great song too. Yeah, Johnny Cash is phenomenal. Original. I mean, no one can sound like him.
Oh yeah.
Or even write like him.
Yeah.
Really.
Did you know how he would get the chick at first?
No. Like how he would do it?
Paper in there.
Oh, really?
And why he did it, he didn't have a snare. He didn't have a drum.
Oh, okay.
So he needed a snare.
He had to do percussion with his guitar.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
I like, who I really like a lot is Bob Marley.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I did not, when I was younger, not like reggae.
Okay.
Quick story.
Yeah.
During the process of me starting this, or learning to play guitar, my good friend Paul got a set of drums. And my other friend Dave, who I was talking about, that had the guitar that I was working with. So the three of us got together and we're like, hey, we should just get together and just play. We were all just learning, right? Yeah. So we get together and play a little bit. Oh, cool, man. We set it like a little setup in his garage. And then our other buddy here is AJ, and he's like, oh, you guys play music? Okay, cool, bro. I got a bass. I'm going to go. Okay, cool. So he comes over with the bass. Nice. So we all sit around playing. Oh, we got bass guitar, two guitar players. Oh, this is awesome, man.
You were a band.
Right on, yeah. So we're all talking. Yeah, this will be fun. We'll learn how to play. Yeah, awesome, dude. So we show up the next time. And there's like two other guitar players there. Yeah. And we're like, oh, hey, how's it going, bro? Oh, you guys are really good. Like, they're really good, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Dude, we got replaced like that! I was like, what happened, dude?
Awesome.
Like, this dude came in. Yeah. Like, he wasn't even with us at first. Came in within 2 practices and brought a guitar.
Oh, my gosh, dude.
Yeah, and then they became Clockwise. That was my buddy AJ. They were a band, played all over Steve Hillock, all them Greg goes around. Yeah, and I'm like, dude, we got replaced. AJ, yeah.
And that was the end of that, huh?
Yeah, and then Paul got replaced shortly after. About a year later, they replaced him as the drummer.
That's crazy,
and they ended up doing all kinds of reggae music like that. Yeah. But here was the deal. My point of this was they wanted to play reggae. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to like reggae, right? Mm-hmm. Not into reggae at all. And it's now, though, as I get older, like I listen to, like, man, phenomenally good. I mean, just...
Reggae in general, or just Bob Marley?
Bob Marley.
Okay. Because that's, to me, that's...
It's just a level of...
Some people like reggae and they just like the music, which there are other reggae I like, but to me, Bob Marley doesn't even...
He's like Cash.
Yeah. Dude,
and that's what I realized.
Stands alone.
And the amount of material him and Johnny Cash, both of them. Right. It's just, it's amazing. Yeah. When you look at how much music Marley did, like that guy put... And not just like... Yeah. Like you can put out albums, but I'm talking... When you do a greatest hit, it's like half of every album. Like when you listen to the actual album, there's like 2 or 3 songs you've never heard, like or barely heard.
It has to be a greatest hits, like 10-disc set.
Yeah, the amount of volume and good music.
Well,
I
and
mean,
so
it's
many
just
different
crazy.
stells. Like if you go way back to the early Bob Marley and the Wailers, it's like the dance hall stuff.
Yep.
Sounds
very
way
50s,
different.
very,
Yes,
Mhm.
way different.
Yep.
Then you get later on to like Redemption Song and that kind of stuff.
That was the last song on his last album.
Yeah.
But it was when he went to. See, I didn't know this, so I watched I watched like 3 documentaries on him, and then went and watched the movie. If I wouldn't
did you
have,
see it?
Yeah, if I wouldn't have watched One Love, the movie, without seeing the documentaries, I would say great movie. That was a great movie. And I still say great movie. His son did a phenomenal job of showing his life.
Yeah.
But they could have shown so much more.
I bet.
I was amazed at how much that guy did.
Yeah.
He, at one point, they were having these political rivals. And in Jamaica, they were killing each other in the streets over a right and a left thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were shooting each other down in the streets. So when you listen to his song, we always attribute his song to what was happening in America at that time. He's not singing about America. He's Jamaican.
Right.
It's what's happening in Jamaica.
Yeah.
They're killing each other in the streets. He gets those 2 political guys up during a concert and has them shake hands while he's singing music and hug each other. Yeah, it was like this.
Only reggae could do that.
It was just, it was
reggae
a crazy
is
thing
the peacemaking music.
I think it was just music in general, right? But
Yeah.
it was there is a thing to that type of music that the way the chords are. Stuff,
Well, there is.
It harmonizes and makes you happy.
It
It's
does.
happy music.
It
right?
is very happy
It's
music.
not melancholy. Like
Right.
there's melancholy music makes
Right.
you sad, right?
Yeah.
It's very happy.
I think it's pronounced melancholy.
Is it?
Yeah, I believe so.
I can never pronounce
No.
it.
Have you seen that movie?
Melancholy? No.
That's Megamind. You ever saw Megamind?
Oh.
That's the way you pronounce
Yes.
it. I'm feeling
You're
very
right.
melancholy today.
Melancholy. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, and that's why I think reggae is just, especially Bob Marley. I mean, it just makes you feel like happy and ready to do stuff. And like I like put it on in the morning when I'm starting my day. Sometimes I'll get in the shower, throw on some Bob Marley
We
or
have
something.
enough stress, man.
Yeah.
Enough anxiety in life.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite of what listening to Nine Inch Nails does.
Yes.
Like 9 Inch Nails is like the opposite of reggae.
It's gonna make you sad.
I still like it, but it's a different feel. It puts you in a different mind space.
Yeah, but then I went through that. But I'll tell you, one of the eras that was the most impactful, and I will say that music is one of the most influential things, especially when you're young.
Yeah.
But at any point in your life, I think. It speaks into you, right? Mm-hmm. And it can be good and bad. So I remember going through the Tupac era, right?
Oh, nice.
In 96, 97,
Okay.
98, right? Because he kept coming out with albums even after he died.
Yeah, he had more after he died than when he was alive. Yeah, which is amazing.
Which he's another one that even love him or hate him, that man put out volume of material.
Oh, and he was unique too and talented.
Very unique.
Beyond,
If he wouldn't have been killed, he had a death wish. They actually found out recently that it was that guy, that Crip, that shot him down.
I saw the. I saw the.
They say
what do they call
Puff
it?
Daddy it might come out and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Put $1 million
hit on him,
but he never paid the guy, so therefore they can't charge him. A bunch of stuff. But anyway, I was really into Tupac at that time,
right?
And it's very influential on you. So I didn't grow up in
right,
but neither did he really, right? He was
Right,
kind of an
right.
actor too.
Yeah.
But it makes you believe these things, right? And
Yeah.
you believe these things. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh man,
I mean,
my view of women in general when I was younger was terrible.
Yep,
because of the rap that I was
right.
listening
You're
to.
right.
It was horrible, dude.
You're 100%.
And it, like you said, it wasn't even like I was living that lifestyle. It wasn't like I was a gangbanger in the streets or anything like NWA or none of this.
Yeah.
I wasn't a pimp like Too Short. But I'm listening to it. It's filling my head with this stuff, and it's painting my worldview for me, even if I'm not living it. Which is amazing.
Yeah.
Which goes back to what you were saying about how powerful and influential music can be. It's crazy.
Yep. It speaks to us. It influences us. It makes us make decisions that we wouldn't necessarily make. But because we're influenced, and because our friends are listening, and it's so influential, man.
Yeah.
So influential. So it's very critical to recognize that.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
Often your kids.
Yeah. So you kept your love of rap and hip hop even into adulthood, even though you started listening to some other music. You still it wasn't like you abandoned the hip hop and
like even now my sons they'll show me like a lot of the Kanye West because that was in my era. But Kanye came out of Wu-Tang at some point, some far back. He was
Did he really?
To RZA. Yeah. If you follow it back,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy.
And so he had been around a long time, and there's some good music.
He's got some decent stuff.
I'm like, cool.
He's got some terrible stuff. I've heard some of his songs where it's like, you don't even
Yeah.
sound good, man. What are you doing?
Yep.
But he's experimental.
Very experimental.
Which is what I think people appreciate about him. He's not. He's
different
just
stuff.
he's experimenting with stuff and
and my son, who's very into music. So this is why now, coming back to it,
Is this Henry or Bruce?
Henry.
Henry, okay.
Because that's what he wants to pursue, is music.
Really?
Yeah, he's a great piano player. He makes beats, does all kinds of
Oh,
stuff.
no way.
Yeah, because my father-in-law is a musician. Like, he can sing beautiful.
Okay.
Like, he would go, people would pay him to go and play at Giuseppe's and stuff, play piano and sing and stuff. And he's been teaching my son since he was 10. So Henry's pretty good at it. And he's been showing me, like, the beats we listened to were so grimy and hard. And we kind of wanted it that way, but, like, the kits that, like, Dre would use, like, now you can just buy the app.
Right.
You know,
yeah, it's all digital and like
$100,000 equipment back then.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It's like,
you had to buy a machine.
Like tubes or whatever.
Right.
So, and that's what they have now, the programs and stuff. So he's showing me how they can make things so much louder, but not crack your speakers. Like, you know, not pop, not get the feedback, not clip. Like the lasting one is clipping, right? So,
yeah.
It's pretty cool how just the technology's got. So that to come back into it and see, like, oh wow, this has really progressed from our DJ years in the 90s, you know?
Right.
And we were talking about vinyl the other day, and he's like, he's on that nostalgia of like, oh, the vinyl sounds so good, Dad. I'm like, no, it doesn't, dude. It sounds like vinyl. I said, it sounds so much better now. I said, people that say that, it's all over nostalgia.
Yeah.
And it's true, like it does. It's a warm.
Yeah, to say it sounds good, I think is the wrong word.
Right.
Because you're right. The more produced stuff sounds better. Yes. But there is something kind of unique about the sound of vinyl.
It's like when I listen to a tape, like, it sounds horrible but I like it because, you know, that in the background, right? You heard it.
Takes you back to the 8th grade, right?
Absolutely,
I mean, you know.
Yeah, so, because I have a lot of my old DJ stuff. So there's my old tape deck and there's all my old tapes. And what are these?
Right. Oh, yeah, man.
They asked me, could you record on tapes now? I'm like, yeah, dude, that's what they were for.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally like the point. We record on a tape, you put a bunch of songs, you make mixtapes. Yeah, it's so funny.
Oh my gosh.
But
that's so funny.
It just is crazy how the technology has just progressed, man.
So what specifically do you know does Henry want to do with it? He's making beats? Like,
he wants to do production. So he wants to do like production for movies, maybe different artists, things like that. That's his goal eventually.
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, man. Cool, man. If that's what you want to do, get into it.
That's really awesome.
About it. Yeah.
But he's never done anything like with the church worship team or anything? Musically, I mean?
I think he did play with them a little bit.
Oh, he has? Okay.
Yeah, but I don't think... I can't remember what happened. Something did happen. Like, he was going to do something with them.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Now, obviously, he's probably not like that around you, but I mean, he's like so quiet.
Yeah, not really though.
Not really. Okay.
Well,
yeah.
He's gotten that way late in the last some years.
Yeah.
But he never was like really like that. He's like a talkative guy.
Okay.
I think he likes to what's the word, like sit back and overanalyze things.
Oh, he's a thinker.
He's an overanalyzer.
Okay.
I get the same problem too.
I do too.
So when I would come into when I was young, like, it took a while for me to be comfortable, like I said, because I'm like analyzing everything that's going on.
Right.
And he's the same way, like, you kind of like got to fit in, like, okay, you know, it's kind of like that. Yeah. Like, okay, what are you guys talking about? Am I interested in this? Oh, I'm not even interested in this. I don't want to talk to you. Right? You know, it's like, and I'm the same way. If like I walk up and like you're talking about something interesting to me, I'm like, what's up, man? If it's not interesting, I'm kind of like, right. I kind of. I don't know anything about that. I can't help you.
do you ever listen? Have you ever heard of Brian Regan, the stand-up comedian?
No.
Oh, dude, he has this whole skit where he's talking about he's at a party and he goes, so I walk up to this group and I stand next to him and they're talking about like art, and he goes, and I don't know anything about art, so he's like, I don't know what to do. He's like, I feel like saying, I don't know what you're talking about. Can I still stand here?
Yeah, exactly. So I'll just go, I'll leave.
Right. Yeah, you just kind of fit in. But I mean, Henry's been over here a few times, because Addie will have the youth group get-togethers and stuff here, and he's always real polite. You know, thank you. You know, always real polite, but he's just real like soft-spoken. Doesn't really talk a whole lot. You know, just kind of keeps to himself and then takes off.
Yeah,
it's like okay.
Yeah, so, he doesn't get emotional.
Okay.
Like he never has. So when we would fight, this kid's been fighting like since he was young,
right.
That's the thing that people don't realize when they talk to him too. Like they think he's a quiet guy.
Yeah.
But like that's because like he's been through the fire, right? Like he's
Okay.
been through the fire.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he's little, so he's such an interesting guy. So he will like just be quiet and just so relax before the fights.
Yeah.
Just relax. Like the kids are all like in their gear.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know,
He's just chilling.
just relax, you know. And I'm like, Henry, you're about to fight. And he's like,
Yeah.
you got your mouthpiece? Yeah.
Nice.
Hey, you're up. Oh.
Then he gets up and knocks some guy out and just comes to the...
He's stretching.
Yeah.
You're like, dude. And then, yeah, like I say, he just
That's awesome.
hook kicks the guy and knocks him out. And, like, and I'm like, were you planning that? He's no.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'm just here because you want me here.
Nice.
But, yeah, he's so funny, man. And
yeah.
and it was like that for years. Now he gets a little bit more nervous because as he get older, you know, I think the nerves get to him a little more. Some of the bigger stuff he does. But, yeah, he just would really handle it well. Like, I like so much. You know, I would just point to Henry for the other kid because like this, you know, they're everyone's nervous, and I'm like, why is Henry sleeping? And we're like, he doesn't care. He's gonna go home after this either way,
That's
so
right.
he don't care.
Right.
So, and it's like, yeah, he's just that way. Where Bruce is the opposite. He doesn't care in that, like, it doesn't make him nervous.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, I can't wait to punch that guy in the face, Dad.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Do I get a punch in the face this time? Yeah, I do. Okay, I can't wait. And then he's just on it, man.
Right.
Like, it's like letting out you know, it, like,
Yeah.
like if you, like, take the go flag, right? You're like, go.
Right, yeah.
It's like out the races.
That's funny, man. So they're very different in
Very
personality.
different. Very different.
Okay.
So like I said, Bruce has been doing the kickboxing more now than just the Olympic Taekwondo sparring, and he loves it because with kickboxing, the kids get a punch to the head.
Right.
They don't get a like machine gun punch crazy.
Sure.
And that's important to recognize when I talk about that they're fighting. They're fighting under strict sets of rules that keep them very protected, right? Like, can you get hurt? Yes, just the same way you can get hurt playing basketball, right?
Right.
Just the same you get hurt playing football, flag
Yeah.
football. Doesn't
Right.
matter. You can take a hit. You could hurt your knee. You can,
Right.
all these things can happen. But we're there. It's not like I'm taking my kids to full like
Right.
no holds barred
Right.
fights, right? I
Right.
want to make
Right.
that clear.
Like Cobra
We
Kai. No
we
mercy.
do judo, which
Yeah.
is an Olympic sport that is safe. We do taekwondo, which is an Olympic sport that's safe. And we do
Yeah.
kickboxing, which is safe. Right? These are safe sports that we're doing. So, because some people, if they're listening, they might think like, taking my kids to
Yeah.
smokers or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
brutal Thai fights or something in the
Yeah.
park with, you know what I mean? No holds
Right.
barred. We're dragging the kids off. Yeah. No, these are athletes and
Okay.
they're very good. And
Okay.
and you don't get in there unless you're good, right? That's why they get in at this age because they like in Taekwondo they throw kicks at each other's heads at 12 years old, right? And people go, "Oh, that's crazy." But you've been having kicks thrown at you usually for like 3 or 4 years already. And when something's being thrown at you a lot, you get used to blocking it, getting out of the way of it, right? Because you recognize it. It's the same like when people think of fighting, they think, man, what am I going to do? Someone's throwing a punch. They don't think right away. All you need to do is look at your shoulders. I know I'm never going to throw a punch. I look right at I see both shoulders. Boom. You're going to load that shoulder before you can throw a punch because that has to happen first.
Yeah.
You cannot throw a punch without doing that. I know that.
Yeah.
So I can tell you when you're going to throw a punch. I can tell you when you throw a kick, right? So when you see that all the time, right? They're going to get out of the way. They're not going to get kicked in the head. So the odds of that kid kicking them in the head aren't very good.
Yeah. Because you know what you're looking for. It's like did you ever see the first Sherlock Holmes movie with Robert Downey Jr.?
Yes.
Where he's fighting in the beginning,
So-
and he thinks it all out in his head. He's going to do this, then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and then he plays it all out.
So that's how my mind works. Wow. But not everyone's mind works like that.
No, I don't. I would say
when I tell people
most
that,
don't.
they'll be like, "Oh, what do you like that?"
Yeah.
That's how my mind works.
Okay.
Like, but it's not like everything at first. It's in the middle of this thing.
Right.
Like I'm seeing
Right.
that. Like your angle's off right here. Your weight's
Yeah.
over your right foot. Like, all these things, right?
Yeah.
You could see those things in a person when you know what to look for.
Right.
Because if you're practicing that over and over, right? That's why people equate it with violence, and that's why it's such a misconception.
Right.
It's not violence at all. There's no violence. Like I'm not angry. And I've been having anxiety attacks, like real bad, like past 3-4 years.
Oh, okay.
I had them.
Yeah.
So actually, we went to a therapist.
Talk therapy.
Talk to her. Yeah, really nice old lady. She's like 80-year-old.
Yeah.
Lady, very very sweet old lady.
Okay.
And it's really been like helping me like
Yeah.
get through anxiety.
Are you doing like cognitive behavioral therapy kind of stuff? Or?
No, I just in talking and venting with someone with experience, you know, with anxiety. That's what she does. She's a doctor.
Yeah.
And
so let's get into anxiety when we come back after a break. We're going to take care in a little bit. But first, before we take a break, a little bit more on music. I like to try to get maybe just throw out
favorite
to me.
groups?
Yeah, just like of all time.
You just heard them all. With Wu-Tang, rap group, right?
Okay.
Johnny Cash, Bob Marley.
Okay.
Boom. Top echelon.
That's 3.
And then we can say
what else you got?
Every ballad from every rock band.
You like
Led
the ballads?
Zeppelin, Aerosmith. I love ballads.
Okay.
Man. I love rock ballads, right?
Okay.
Sing with me, right? Oh, man. It's motivation.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I like motivation songs, yeah.
Okay.
You like that.
All right. So, like, favorite artists of all time, you definitely put Wu-Tang, Johnny Cash, Bob Marley.
Yeah, favorite artists, man.
And that's hard because it goes your whole life, right?
Probably Cash, yeah.
Okay.
I would say favorite artist. Right now, favorite artist, Marley.
Bob Marley, okay.
For sure.
Okay.
My family would definitely kick her ass.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to her for a year straight.
How funny. But that's 3. Can you give me more than that?
Oh, Tupac. I like
Tupac,
yeah,
okay.
Of course, I still tell him. I tell him, but greatest rapper of all time. I put Tupac number 1.
You think Tupac's the
and
best
I like
rapper?
RZA out of Wu-Tang.
Oh, okay. All right. I was Method Man.
Yeah, I like Meth too. Don't get me wrong. Old Dirty was good too. But Meth, but yeah, then Raekwon was always good too.
Okay.
And Ghostface. Ghostface, they say, had the best flow.
Okay.
Of all rappers. Like, he could go forever.
Yeah.
Biggie was very good.
Okay. So you're more of an East Coast rap guy.
No.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I like Corrupt. Now, Corrupt was kind of East Coast. Corrupt was very
Corrupt
good.
as in like Dog Pound Corrupt?
Yeah, he was really good.
Yeah.
He came from East Coast too. But, and then Snoop Dogg actually had interesting flows. I will say that.
Yeah.
Because he has a certain uniqueness to him. I wouldn't put him on a great list of all.
Yeah.
Eminem's probably the greatest rapper.
Eminem's.
He's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with that. It didn't matter what color he was. He's just
Right.
phenomenal.
Right.
Yeah. Period. Right. I know
Well, and some
like
people
to
admit that. Like I think it was 50 Cent was talking about that.
He's just phenomenal. Yeah. 50 Cent. He's just phenomenal.
Right.
Period. No matter who he is. He's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you had the same experience as me or not. I don't know if the first time you heard Snoop was like Nothing But a G Thing or if it was, but like there was a song called Deep Cover.
Yeah, I have Deep Cover.
Okay, so
27 on Undercover Cop.
Yeah, so that was
that's the first one I heard.
That was his introduction.
Yeah,
because that was on soundtrack to the movie Deep Cover. And I remember me and my friend Trevor were at his house and they played the music video for that, and we were. Yeah. I wouldn't call us fans of Dre, but we knew who Dre because we were fans of NWA.
Yeah. And
Dre was good with making the beats and doing that kind of stuff, but his rap, in my opinion, NWA was terrible.
Yeah.
Like it was always about Ren, Easy, and Ice Cube, right? They were the ones.
I was expressive with my full capabilities. So now I'm living in correctional facilities.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, so it wasn't good. So when it's like, oh, Dre's coming out with some new stuff, well, then the song Deep Cover comes on, and he's got this guy Snoop, and we were just floored. Mm-hmm. We're like, oh my gosh, this guy is amazing. And then like maybe 6 months or so later is when The Chronic came out. Mm-hmm. And of course Snoop is on,
it was
10 of the 14 songs on The Chronic. Like he's in almost every song. And then you're hearing like Nothing But a G Thing, Little Ghetto Boy. Like you're hearing all these things like, oh my gosh, this is just amazing. Yeah. And then Snoop drops his first solo album, and you're just like losing your mind.
And it was all the P-Funk samples.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, man. It was all that. Yeah, all that George Clinton stuff.
You listen to that, and you just hear the whole song. You're like, oh, this isn't even a sample. He just took the song.
Right. Well, like his first single, "Who Am I," was that was what it was, Atomic Dog, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Snoop. Yeah.
Yep. So we changed it to Snoop Dogg.
Yeah. And then they did it again. George Clinton. They took that one for. Tupac, too. They put that one on his album.
Oh, yeah. What was not Bop Gun. Bop Gun was Ice Cube.
On the second CD of the...
All Eyes on Me, yeah. It was, Oh, shoot. What was the name of that song, dude?
You Can't See Me.
Yes!
You Can't See Me.
Yep. Yeah. Dum. Yeah, dude. So good. All right, so last thing, and then we'll take our break. Can you give me, off the top of your head, 2 to 3 songs from these 5 favorites you gave me? So you got Wu-Tang...
Okay, the Fifth Chamber.
Okay.
Is off Liquid Swords.
Okay.
Jizza from Wu-Tang.
Okay.
Best ones ever, man.
So is that a Jizza solo?
RZA's on it. No, RZA. It's got everybody. RZA.
It's a Wu-Tang song. Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I've heard that one.
It's got the. It's got that thing running in the beginning.
Oh, nice.
I'm lounging between 2 pillars of ivory. I'm lively. You never heard that one?
No.
Master Kill. Oh man,
I'm gonna have to check it out now, man.
Yeah, that's the one. So that's
Okay.
my favorite Wu one, I think. Of
Okay.
all of them. I really like that one. Oh, that one, or I like solid gold crown and shining and blinding like some diamonds. I'll be pounding the sky in the cloud with silver linings, double plastic, bulletproof festive. What you protect? You remember that one?
Wow, dude, I'm gonna
RZA.
clip this and make you famous, dude.
The RZA. Yeah, that's the one, man.
I'm gonna put this out on my record label and be like, oh, dude, listen to this new rapper.
Is it the wizard coming back to pay you a visit? Yeah, that was bad, man.
Okay.
That was off. That was.
Do you remember the name of that song?
Only built for Cuban Link off of Raekwon. It's I can't remember the name of it.
Okay.
It's one after Wu Gambinos. Yeah, it's a good one.
Okay.
It's
All
one
right.
of my favorite ones.
Okay.
And then Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash.
Hurt, of course.
Okay.
Cover Hurt, and When the Man Comes Around. Love that.
Okay.
And then, he got so many good ones, though, man.
He does.
My
That's
goodness.
hard.
Yeah, that's just too hard.
Okay.
Because let's say one that's not a cover, Folsom. Folsom, right? That's a good one. I hear the train a coming, right? And then, of course, Marley, my favorite one.
What is it?
No woman. No cry.
Nice.
I love that
The
one.
live version, of course.
Oh, I love
Right.
it.
That's the best version. It's the live
It's,
version.
oh, man, that song.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
when we used to sit in the government's yard in Trenchtown. Isn't that the one, man?
That's the one.
Oh, that one, a redemption song.
Yeah.
All pirates, yes, they rob I. That's the one, too, man.
Yeah, dude.
Ooh,
You ever
love
heard any cover? That's one of the most. So I listen to a lot of punk rock, but a lot of punk bands cover that song.
it. Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
No Use for a Name does a really good.
Yeah, I didn't
cover
know
of that.
it was the last album on his.
Yeah.
Or last song on his last album too.
Yeah.
He had played before, but he put it
Right. Yeah. What was Unite the last album? No, not Unite.
No, it's,
I can picture Uprising.
Uprising.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Which has Africa Unite on it, right?
Africa Unite.
Right? Isn't that on
Love
that album?
one, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good
Because
one.
we're moving right down to Zion. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I love it too because they're just like most of the songs are songs.
Right.
It's just a song.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of my favorite, Bridges of Babylon. I love that one too.
Okay.
It's an old song, right?
Yeah.
That's a classic because that one comes right out of song. The song
Right.
by the Bridges of Babylon.
Yeah.
Or by the Rivers of Babylon.
Rivers of Babylon. Yeah. I was
Rivers of
gonna say.
Babylon. Not Bridges.
Yeah.
Rivers of Babylon, where we sat down. Yeah.
All right. And what about Tupac?
Oh man, that's tough. So many good songs. So many good songs. Yeah, I really always liked. It's the one I really like is a remix someone just recently made with him.
Okay.
And they take the lyrics off of Troublesome, and they put it with this like Viking. Oh no no no.
Really? So it's like a remix version of his old song.
Yeah, it has this like Viking chant behind it,
Huh.
and it's but they play the lyrics off of Troublesome. I'm troublesome, and it comes.
Interesting.
Man, it's
Yeah, I'll
like
have to check that one
it's
out.
like a motivational song, man.
Yeah, dude.
If you're gonna fight someone, that's the one to put on.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I always liked that. Shorty, You Want to Be a Thug? That was a good one.
Okay.
Just like that.
Yeah, yeah.
The next song after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And then
I think All Eyes on Me is hands down the best.
that's his best album.
It's
huh?
got to be.
All Eyes on.
I mean, the other ones were great too, but I mean,
But yeah, the one right before it too, though, his album before
Me Against
so,
the World.
Yeah, so All Eyes on Me is intro to Gangster Tupac from Death
right.
Row,
Right.
right? But
Yeah.
before that, when Me Against the World, that was him. That was his real like sophomore like
Yeah.
album, right? Like
It was actually his third album.
it's his fourth album.
Oh, was it his fourth?
Yeah.
There's
Brenda has a bit Apocalypse Now. And then
Tupacalypse Now was the first
Strictly
one.
For My.
Yeah.
And then Thug Life. And then
Oh, you're counting Thug Life.
well, Thug Life's his album.
Well, wasn't that like a collaboration though?
It was his album. It
Okay.
was with his crew.
Right.
And there was supposed to be a volume 2. and it never
Right.
came
Right.
out.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yes.
That's his. That in my book. That's his favorite. That's my favorite.
Okay.
Album, Thug Life.
The Thug Life one. Okay.
Thug Life.
Okay.
And Under Pressure.
Okay.
That's my favorite song.
Nice, dude.
That's not a good song. Don't listen to that song. Kids, no.
Kids don't do it.
Don't do that.
My favorite Tupac song of all time is called Pain. Do you know that one?
I came to bring the pain.
No.
Not the one off that one? Not the
No.
one with Method Man and Redman?
No. This one was on the Above the Rim soundtrack.
I have that soundtrack. I'll
Okay.
listen to
It
yeah.
starts with I don't know if it's from a movie quote or what, but it's I couldn't help but notice your pain. My
yeah.
pain.
I have it,
It
yeah.
runs deep. Yeah, that one.
Pain runs deep.
Yeah. And
Yes,
then it's
is
just
that
that
Highlander?
beat drops in. I don't know what that's from.
think it's
I've always
Highlander.
wondered. Is it okay?
I think it's.
Dude, I love the beat in that song.
Yeah.
It's so, you never take me alive. I'm getting high with my 4-5. That one,
Yes.
yeah.
So they take the lyrics off that and put it on different stuff a lot of times because certain things that he didn't have the right, because Eminem ended up buying the rights, I believe, from his.
Oh, really?
I think so to help.
Okay.
His
Oh, I did hear that. Yeah, I
believe,
heard that. Yeah.
I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, interesting though. I like that history, man. Very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Very cool. Yep, I would say those are some of my favorites. I still put on the tapes and then hear a song that I hadn't heard and be like, oh,
Yeah.
I forgot this was my favorite.
Yeah.
Because I just love music, right?
Yeah, dude. And I like putting on the old stuff too because it brings you back. It's
Yeah.
nostalgic and it brings you to a place,
And I think that's important. Like we said it at the very beginning, and I made this super clear with my kids growing up.
Mm-hmm.
You can't keep music from people. It's going to happen. So a lot of people are like, oh, I keep that music. Like, oh, we can't do that. Like we just talked about it, how our view of women was so
Right.
skewed in the 90s
Right.
because of what we grew up listening to.
Yeah.
And I think it's like everything in life. We can either try to put them in a box and keep our kids over here and not show them it. They're going to find it.
Yeah.
Good luck with that, right?
Yeah.
Or we could just say, look, this exists. You're going to see it. You're going to hear it. Some of it's awesome beats and stuff, but you probably should not listen to the message. It's a bad message, right? So, and they have to have the discernment to recognize that themselves.
Right.
And if we can't trust that they have that discernment,
Right.
then we have bigger problems.
Well, let me ask you. I have to comment on that though. So, So as far as having discernment though, do you think that's there's an age thing with that? Like,
I think so. Absolutely.
right? Because the younger the child
More
is,
impressionable.
exactly. Like you and I can watch a radar movie. We can listen to a certain kind of music, and it may influence us, but we're old enough to know when it is,
Yeah.
and to stop it because of that.
Yes.
To where someone who's younger, they're not going to know any better.
Exactly. And so that's why it should be introduced probably by you and
Right.
probably with that understanding and that talk as it's
Like in
being
a
introduced,
controlled
in a
environment.
controlled environment, and then therefore when it comes in from elsewhere as it's going to,
Right.
they've already seen it. It's not the new gleamy thing to them that's shiny that they have to grab.
Right.
They're like, my dad already showed me that. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not surprising anymore.
Right.
Whereas if it's a new thing that their friend shows them, now all of a sudden that is the
Right.
coolest thing on the face of the earth,
Yeah.
right? Because my friend
Yeah.
showed me that, and he's way cooler than you, Dad,
Right.
right?
No, that's a good point.
So, there's different
Yeah.
things because I love music, and I realized how influential it was with me,
Right.
and I could tell my kids music.
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta
Yeah.
head this off. I gotta let
Okay.
them know that there's
Yeah.
certain things that you're gonna hear that it's wrong.
Yeah.
And it might sound cool, but it's wrong because they did a good job making it sound good.
Right. Well, see, and I think it's good that you make the distinction between the sound and the message. Because you can have something like you brought up Eminem, and I agree with you that as far as talent and the way it sounds, dude,
Yeah.
it's, hands down at the top of the pile.
Demonic as could be.
But some of the lyrics are like, oh my gosh, did he really just say that he's going to rape his mom and stick her in a trunk? And like, it's just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Dude, what in the world are you talking about, man?
Yeah.
But that element, I think, drew him an audience too, because
That shock value.
Exactly.
That's why it was so funny when he was trying to be a different guy. That his new album, he's trying to go back to who he was. But he tried for a little bit 5 years ago, whatever it was.
Yeah.
To be this different guy, and it was like all of a sudden,
Right.
like I was telling Henry, I was like, oh, he's trying to fit the agenda now.
Right.
He needs to just be him.
Yeah.
Because what made him was shock value.
Right.
And what is this? Like
Yeah.
now he's talking against that? Like,
Right.
What? This is the most
I mean-
hypocritical thing I've ever heard in my life.
But I mean, he was already having to raise the bar as it was, because you already had stuff like Dre and Snoop and like we said earlier in that Tupac and Two Live Crew and some of the stuff. You had to in order to have shock value, he had to talk about the stuff no one else was going to talk about.
Yeah.
But once you get to that level and
Now
you're
where do you
Eminem,
go?
now where do you go?
go?
How do you go beyond that? You know, so I mean, you get to a point where you have to switch it around. But did you just mention his newest album,
Yeah, my son.
The Death of Slim Shady or whatever one?
Yeah.
Fantastic, dude.
Yeah, I've only heard a couple of the songs on it. But
I
it
just-
seemed like you went back to more
Dude,
to where you used
well,
to
because
be.
I've always said, and I'm a huge fan. Obviously, I don't listen to it all the time or anything, but when he first came out, was pre-Salvation for me. So I mean, I was all about it. I listened to it all the time. But that Marshall Mathers LP, the first one, oh my gosh, dude!
Yeah.
To me, that is where
like
he
that one?
nailed
That
it.
was the one?
That
Yeah.
was the one for me,
a good album,
and
yeah.
I think that was great. And all the ones
I like
after
the
that
one
were good
right
too.
after it with America.
Oh, what was the name of that
Eminem
album?
Show or
The
whatever.
Eminem Show. Yeah, yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been listening to it since the so his first one, Nobody Counts, Infinite, right? That was his first thing.
Yeah.
It was not very good.
Yeah.
And then he Gets with Dre, comes out with the single, then Gets with Dre, and then drops that album.
What was the album called? I can't remember.
The Eminem. I think it's just Eminem, isn't it?
No.
What is
Slim Shady LP.
Slim Shady LP.
There you go.
You got it.
Yeah.
So that drops, then Marshall Mathers, and then the Eminem Show, right?
Right.
And that was Eminem Show was when he, I think, peaked.
Okay.
That's my view of it. Like living there at that time,
Right.
Like he was all over MTV.
Yeah.
Like that was when he was at his.
That's the one without me is on that one, right?
Yeah, that was when he comes out. Lose Yourself.
Around the outside.
His best out. Like that's probably his best song.
Lose Yourself.
Right?
Yeah.
You're gonna lose yourself in the moment, right? It's
Yeah.
Lose Yourself. It's Lose Yourself, right? Because the one that's on 8 Mile is his other best one, and that's.
Well, they're both. That's on 8 Mile too. Lose Yourself. That's from the movie.
Okay, so what's the one that's on?
Oh, he's got a few on Eminem Show. Like I said, Without You's on there. I think Business is on there, right? Let's get down to business.
Yeah, this is the one that's like Lose Yourself.
Oh, I don't know.
Yola, that one.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
No, I'm gonna have to find it because that's gonna bug me. So because it's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah. But I mean, what I was going with that is I hear the new one, and to me that's the most like the Marshall Mathers LP that I've ever heard that he's done. So I was really impressed that he was able to recreate that sound from back then, because a lot of the newer stuff I'm like, it's good because it's Eminem. I don't think he's ever going to put anything bad.
Yeah.
But I still don't think he's been measuring up to his older stuff, But with this new one, I think he did a pretty decent job of it.
Yeah, he did Till I Collapse. That's the one.
Oh yeah.
So Till I Collapse. I think that's the greatest one. Use Yourself and Till I Collapse are my two favorite. So when you talk about if you wanted to say my favorite rap songs, it's those two songs. Yeah.
Okay.
They even above Tupac and.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I love those songs because you just put those songs on and.
Yeah.
There's 10-minute workout right there.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
those two songs.
They're pump up songs. Yeah, for sure.
Songs, yeah.
Cool, man.
But yeah, so I would say you're correct though, that I think that, and my son agrees with you there, that Marshall Mathers was his best lyrical album.
Dude.
Like if you listen to some of those songs.
Oh my gosh, dude. What's the song, Marshall? You might see me jogging, you might see me walking, you might see me walking a dead Rottweiler dog with its head chopped off in a park with a spiked collar. It's like, dude, who comes up with stuff like that? Yeah. I almost wonder if he just and I don't know if that's true or not, but I almost feel like if he just starts a recording and he just starts saying crazy stuff and see how it comes out, and then he goes back and listens to it and goes, okay, I'm going to keep that, and then I'll make that a song and go, because some of that stuff is so out there.
Yeah.
That it almost sounds like it would just come out if you're just blah, 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 blah. You're just kind of saying whatever's. And you might come out with something like, hey, that sounds kind of cool. Yeah. Walking a dog with its head chopped off. Hey, I never thought about that before.
Well, what they do, too, they're doing now is they're hitting notes. Mm-hmm. Right? And he talks about that, like, when he realized that, like, he made that connection.
Yeah.
He's listening to the Tupac, and he realizes he's listening to Tupac rap, and then he hears him say this in the rap, and he realizes if he would have said that anywhere else in the song, it wouldn't have sounded good. Oh. But he said it right there because he's hitting that note
right
at the end of it. Like he's he's sustaining that.
Yes.
And he's holding that note.
Yeah.
He made that connection. He said that's when all his it came together. Because now you see why. Right. That's why when he says you take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you rough it up. Yeah. Because he started realizing I need to be hitting notes and singing.
And then you said Tupac. You just reminded me in that same song. That's the one where he says, "Driving up the block in the car that they shot Pac in."
Yeah.
Like what? It's just gnarly.
Pretty wild. Yeah, he's so funny. He's a funny guy.
All right. Well, as a segue to get into the political, I want to touch on what because you were talking about you do breakdancing. I just got to hear your take on the Olympic breakdancer.
So they had breakdancing in there, which is basically floor gymnastics. So I thought that was odd to begin with because we have gymnastics, and breakdancing is extremely cool. Mm-hmm. But it
didn't look extremely cool when she was doing it.
Yeah, it's not an Olympic sport though. Mm-hmm. Extremely cool. How you make it an Olympic sport, I don't know.
Yeah.
And what she was doing is. In breakdancing, you have things called tricking, and you have things called power moves, and right?
Yeah.
So She's tricky, and she's doing like these intros to power moves, but then posing.
Yeah.
That's what she's doing. So she never does a power move. She's just doing all this like, there's a bravado in breakdancing because all of hip hop is based on, and this is what people can't understand. This is why it comes across in the rap music as egotistical and bad. I'm going to shoot you this and that, right?
Right.
Hip hop, from its base, is I'm the greatest MC in the world, right? Because the guys, that's the whole thing. Is like, I'm so cool, man. Look at me, right?
Talk about
I'm
yourself.
So fly, yeah. So that's what the breakdance showing in the breakdance. Like, look at me, me and my crew. We're gonna put the moves on. Watch this. So it's got that like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? right? Like that.
Yeah.
And it's all for fun. It's all good fun. That's the whole thing behind it, right? It's like that team spirit kind of thing. So in that's what she's doing. That's what she's attempting to do. But at that high level, trying to show, probably wrong place to do it, right? That would have been just fine in a normal competition somewhere else.
Really?
But you're on TV in front of everyone.
Yeah.
Trying to make breakdancing look cool. They want to see power moves, right?
But hang on, though. So let's say it's not on TV. It's not the Olympics. It's just a local breakdancing competition.
And that girl does that. Then people know what she's doing because they're in the breakdancing
So
world.
you think she would have scored high?
No, I don't know.
For that?
I don't know what I don't even know how they score that.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm not involved in that
Because
world. I have no idea.
I'm not involved in the world either, but I can tell you, when I saw her performance or what she did, I thought to myself, I kept thinking, there's nothing
she's not doing any
impressive.
power moves here, right?
There's nothing impressive to what she did. And that's why it becomes, you tried doing. It's like, look, I'm old and fat. I mean, I probably couldn't do some of the things she's doing, but that doesn't mean what she's doing is talent based.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen guys break dance. I've seen Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen it. It's cool. It looks like it takes a lot of practice, a lot of talent. All that. Whatever she was doing was not that.
So you know when they're on the ground doing that? That's called shuffling, right?
Okay.
So if you watch breaking, you'll see it. One of the things like, or it might have been Beat Street, Rocksteady crew comes out and they do their thing. One of the guys comes out and he just shuffles around, does a couple like windmill things, and then he goes back out. That's basically what she did. She came, did some shuffles, did some poses. That's all she did. It just wasn't cool. It was just like, that didn't go as planned.
Yeah.
Media's going to hold on to her. They're going to put 1,000 memes. That poor lady, right? Think of what she's been dragged through.
Sure.
She's a talent. So now if you actually want to go to the history of it, this is what will make you feel bad. You'll find out that lady is one of the biggest promoters of breakdancing in Australia or New Zealand, wherever she's from over there.
Right.
And that she has grown this organization of girl breakdancers because of her.
Right.
Through all these years. Like, this is a giant, like, attributor to breakdancing and growing the movement. Like, and now she gets her name dragged through the mud like she's this evil person when she just did it. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
See, I wouldn't say evil person, but I mean,
of course not,
so you would say so she may have
made fun
popularized the women doing breaking. Fine, great, that's all wonderful, fantastic.
Yeah.
But then you go on the Olympics, and this is what you do, and now the whole world's going to look at that and go, women can't breakdance.
What if she was hurt?
Right?
We don't know. What if she was hurt and she couldn't do any power moves?
That would have been a better play. If she would have came out and said, look, I've been excited about this my whole life. I can't do everything I wanted to do because I hurt my ankle last night or whatever. At least that might have brought a little more sympathy on her. Just to go out there and do what she did is like, are you kidding right now? Is this for real? Or is this a big joke? It almost looked like a joke.
Right.
Like she was kidding.
You saw the 2 years before that, 3 years before that, right? Because they had it on the off year. 2021.
Right.
They had karate as a demonstration in the Olympics.
Okay.
Just like how they did breakdancing this time. And when they do a demonstration, it's like the country gets to pick 2 or 3, I can't remember. And they're exhibitions. They'll say, look, we're going to have an exhibition to show you this sport. So Japan picked karate as one of their things in 2021.
Okay.
And at the end of the thing, the last match for gold at the whatever weight class they had chosen, right, because they choose heavyweight or whatever it was, fighting for gold, bah, bah, and the dude knocks the other dude out, right? And they stand the dude up that just got knocked out, and they put the gold on him and go, congratulations, you got gold.
Why?
And the world goes, what just happened? And they go, oh, it's illegal to knock someone out in karate.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah. So that's a hard sell, right?
Yes.
You're selling your sport. So that happened in karate. So it never goes according to plan.
Oh, I gotta find the video on that one.
Yeah. So when you talk about that breakdancing, if that's the worst thing to happen, right? You know, she picked a poor routine, is what she did.
Yes, she
did. That's the truth. So.
Yeah. See, again, not being part of the breakdancing world, not even knowing what routines are, I cannot help but watch what she did and say, if that's even a routine of any, if that's even not just a not good routine, if that is even a routine, I'm like, that sport is dumb, then. That's what I come away with. Right? But I know it's not, because like I said, I've seen real breakdancers. Yeah. I've seen them spinning around on their heads and doing crazy flips and all kind of stuff. It's cool. Yeah. And it looks like something I could never do. So it's sensational, right? Yes, it's like, wow, check that out. It's amazing. Right. I watch her and I go, anybody could do that. Yeah. Anybody could do that. You know, I mean, anybody who's nimble, I should say. I mean, obviously, if you're older or you're overweight, like, you know, no. But I mean, anybody who's even remotely athletic could do exactly what she did with maybe a day's practice. That's what I'm saying. You know, maybe, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe I'm being too harsh.
Yeah, I don't. It's probably a little bit, because you know she's at the Olympics.
You're like, Ryan, calm down, dude. You're a little hard on her.
But you know what? That's the nature of everyone, because they put it on the platform to be this, like that was the hot topic for the last month or whatever. You know, that's the takeaway from the Olympics. Right. So it's you know, never mind what Putin's doing.
Yeah.
Let's look at this breakdance.
Distraction. Right. All right. So let's get into it then. Let's. We got a lot of really interesting things happening right now in politics.
I don't follow that stuff.
You don't follow it at all? No. Zero?
No, I don't.
I was going to say, it's hard not to follow it at this point. Ever since...
I'll tell you what, when my computer is on and you go to Google to if I need to search for something, it only says Google. I do not have the news pop up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, me neither.
I disabled that thing.
Yeah.
You don't want to see that stuff, guys. Turn it off.
Okay.
That stuff is bad for you. We know it for a fact. Go talk to any brain doctor. They will tell you. Well, no, that news.
Oh, okay.
Do not get your news that way. We know it as a fact. It's plain to you. It's feeding you, what we were just talking about. Right. And it's playing off of the three major emotions. Yeah. And it knows exactly. You have an enemy in your computer that's feeding you. Okay. That's why it's all negative.
Yeah.
You don't turn to that. You don't open that thing and it's positive. Yeah. Who opens that thing and it's positive and it says, the cats and dogs are playing well together today, and the sun is shining.
Yeah, but do you think news should be positive or negative, or should it just be reality?
It should be both, right? We should be getting both. We should get.
I see what you're saying.
Dosage of both.
They're only showing a certain
You're only
side
seeing
of it.
A certain side, and it's playing to what it knows you want to see.
Right.
That's a problem.
Right.
I don't want my body to get what it wants.
Okay.
Right? When my body gets what it wants, it gets lazy.
Yeah.
It gets dependent. It gets all these things, right? These are negative things. And I'm feeding it to it when I look at that.
Right.
So that's number one thing. Number two thing, I don't believe anything I see.
Ever.
Is
there any news source?
Anything I hear.
Is there any news source that you think is honest or no?
No.
None of them. Okay.
No, because even if they are trying to be honest, they're going to have a perspective.
Right, a bias.
Everyone's going to have a bias.
Of course.
So in order to get the truth, you have to be interested enough, first of all, to look into the history of the thing. Okay. And then figure out the facts.
Yes.
Assimilate it into a understanding, and from that understanding, look at the situations.
Right.
See how they played into it, and then come to a real conclusion, right?
Yeah.
But somewhat a conclusion.
Most don't do that.
And
that's what's sad. And I'm with you. Like we were talking about critical thinking, that whole thing. You got to look at all the facts you can grab. To the best of your ability.
Cast your net. Yes. Do not believe what they're saying.
Right.
I have listened to speeches from both sides, and then listened to the other side comment upon that speech, and it was nothing about what I had just heard.
Right.
At all.
Right.
Like total putting on what you wanted them to say right there.
Right.
Like, and that's not journalism.
No, I'm with you.
That's just you trying to make me think what you think.
Yes.
That's you manipulating me. That's you telling me how to think.
It's indoctrination.
And it comes from both sides.
Right. Absolutely. All right.
So
where are you at with the current election then? Are you anywhere? Or are you just kind of burying your head in the sand? Or are you?
No. I always say this, man. Every year I vote for Kanye West. Yeah, no, I'm not joking. Because I figure if I can't have Jesus, I'll take Jesus.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, hey, how's that been going for you? I mean, has it gotten close in the polls, or?
We got 1% last time. No, No, I did vote. I vote often for third party.
Okay.
Because not the belief that they're going to win, but I believe if we could just get enough people to start doing it, it might allow them to be in the debate.
Yes.
So I'm going to tell you a little history because I love history.
All right.
Ross Perot ran for president.
He did.
Ross Perot made it to the stage and he was on the debates. They had a third man on the debates.
Yeah.
That was a problem because that took votes away from Bush, they said.
Right.
So now they only allow 2 people on the stage because the polling is what gets you on the stage.
Correct.
And the polling is controlled by the media. The media controls the polling. The media is controlled by both of these groups. Mm-hmm. You're never going to see a third party on that stage.
Right.
Safe to say, right?
Right.
Because they have to make a 16% in the polling.
Yeah.
They control the polls. They're never going to make... RFK had no chance of getting on that stage.
Right.
Right?
Right.
They control it.
Yeah. But before the debates, right, he's able to do other things.
If you can't get on that debate stage,
I know.
you're never going to be...
No, I know, but what I'm saying is before that, if you can generate enough support for yourself through saying the things you might say in a debate, whether it's through interviews, through whatever, to get past that 16% to get on the stage, right? The work has to start before that. But the problem is with our two-party system is that most people just vote Republican or vote Democrat, regardless of who the candidates are in those slots.
The lesser evil.
Right.
The lesser evil, guys.
Yeah.
I don't believe in the lesser evil.
Well,
I never have. It's evil.
Evil's evil, right? Yeah. Well, yes, I agree with you. Okay, so look, I can put it this way. I look at the 2 candidates we have now. Okay, that one of those 2 people is going to be the president of the United States come January. Okay, we're going to know that one of them are come November.
I have no control over it.
Well, regardless of whether we have any control or not, whichever one of those 2 people gets in there, that is going to impact our personal lives.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's where I look, and I can't just say I don't like either one of them. I think they're both buffoons and this kind of. I'm just not going to do anything. Yeah. Although voting in California Republican is kind of like throwing a vote away, but it's all I can do because I live here.
Yeah. Well, it's not throwing a vote away. If enough people vote for third party.
Yeah, but see, that's kind of, and this is why people don't do that. I agree with you. If enough people do, but they're not.
Well, let's look at it this way because I'm gonna put it. So I'm gonna say you guys. I'm gonna say some people think that that's throwing a vote away if you don't vote for the party. But with what you're telling me, it's if you throw a vote away if you vote for the third party. But if you vote for the third party, at the end, they have to look at the statistics of who voted for the third party.
Of course.
So if you're lying and you're just voting for the party because it's the lesser evil,
right,
you're actually lying to yourself. And you're actually lying. So now you're voting that because, well, it's the right thing to do because this is the only way. This guy, I kind of agree with some of the stuff. I don't remember.
Right.
Whatever you said to do that, right? To come to your conclusion that I'm going to vote for this. So you're lying to yourself, whatever. But if I vote third party, I'm not going to win. But I'm not going to win if I voted for him because I've already figured out this is California. I'm not going to win, right? So I'm not going to win either way.
Sure.
So at least if I vote third party, they look at the statistics, and if enough people start voting third party, and all of a sudden that starts climbing, it gets to 10% are voting third party in California now.
Right.
Oh, 20% are voting third party in California.
Yeah.
You see, now you're
that's actually pretty smart.
Go to change.
That's smart in a state like
People
this.
watch that.
If you're a conservative in a very blue state like California, then that makes a lot of sense, what you just said. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because you're definitely, in a sense, throwing a vote away by voting Republican in California. Because we go electoral, we don't go popular, so it's really not going to matter in the long run. Right. California is going to be blue. There's really nothing we can do about it. But you're right. It's almost a better option to vote third party then.
Once they start seeing this, right? So what we need is enough people behind the third party. Mm-hmm. Whatever that is, doesn't matter. We don't have to put a party, we're libertarian, whatever it is, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But once that happens, then they get scared. They start wanting to head it off.
Yes.
And then when they start heading it off, people start recognizing
it. No, dude, this is like, seriously, this is like, you're blowing my mind right now because it makes sense. Because if everybody in California, let's say, that votes Republican, all the conservatives that vote Republican, and they all said, look, we can all vote Republican, we can all vote for Trump this election, okay? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
California is going to go to the Democrats, no matter what. But now, if every conservative thought of that and said, okay, let's all vote no, RFK's not on the ticket anymore, but let's say he was. Let's vote RFK. And now, I don't think that's going to make RFK win,
No.
but they're going to see, whoa.
25% of California.
Bingo. That's going to do something.
Right here?
That is going to do something
Guys,
to the
future.
future.
We have a problem we need to address.
Yes,
right?
exactly. That's smart, dude.
Right.
Wow.
I think weird stuff.
Yeah,
Brian.
Well, in that in this
I don't
case,
follow the suit all the time.
in this case, that's good. I like this stuff. I take that kind of stuff away from this.
No. But
Wow, man.
You know, people say you can't change things. You can't change things with enough people. We've seen change.
Well, of course you
Things
can.
just happen through the years.
Of course you can.
To act like things don't
No.
change.
Well, but it has
I
to
mean,
be a heart and a mind change for most in California. The problem is most Californians are liberals.
12 years before I was born, so I was born in 1980,
Okay.
January 8th, 1980.
Yeah. Okay.
12 years before I was born, 1968. Prior to that, I could not marry my wife. It was illegal
Yeah.
for me to marry my wife in California.
Because you
12 years before I...
Because you weren't born. You can't marry somebody if you're not born.
Exactly.
Now,
I could
20
not
years
marry
before
my
I was
wife.
born, they wouldn't let me marry my wife. I don't understand why.
I just can't figure this out. So, but it was illegal because my wife is Mexican and I'm white.
In what year?
1968.
In 1968.
Yeah, wrap your mind around
It
that.
was illegal
It was illegal.
for a Mexican and a white person to get married.
Black and white, red,
Really?
illegal. So to say things haven't changed, right?
Yeah.
Is crazy.
Okay.
The world has changed
Right.
tremendously, right? This idea that it's always changing, right? So that's a big difference because that's a big thing, right? And so that just, when you recognize it, that's why I say you got to know the history. You got to know the history of all the laws and the things that have been fought and the things that have been brought out. And
Right.
the things, you know.
Well, that's why I cannot grasp the people. Well, not grasp the people. I can't grasp their viewpoint that the people that say that America is more racist now than it's ever been. And I'm like, do you know history? Do you understand that there was a time where you couldn't go in certain restaurants or bathrooms if you were black? You do realize that, right? Like, I'm not saying there is no racism, but to say it's worse now than it's ever been is just ludicrous.
It is. It is. I think it's. I don't know, man. It's kind of a weird. It's like I said, the victimness of it.
Right. Right.
Victimness is.
Yeah.
That's that problem. That problem comes from that pushing of the victim mentality.
Right.
And that victim mentality is pushed by your government because it wants you to be a victim because it can keep you under control if you're seeing yourself as a victim.
Right.
This is that simple.
Right.
We have to control people. And to a degree, you need to control people.
Sure.
Right? So, they always keep that in mind. You got to be controlled somehow, because if not, then people are going to, people can't be left to their own desires.
Right.
There'll be blood in the streets.
Oh, yeah,
so
for sure.
Some of this stuff is done on purpose to keep people, divided and all these things, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, I know it's being done on purpose. I guess I've always wonder, what the purpose is. Like, when you see the way...
Usually it's control. And usually
but
it's
to
not
what
balanced.
ends?
Usually it's, so we always think it's a nefarious thing.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it's not nefarious. It's incompetence. Incompetence is usually what it is, right? It's overworked and understaffed and incompetence. Those things are what usually drive this. It's not nefarious. Like, nobody's out there going, we got the master plan. We're going to...
Right.
No, somebody's like, dude, I'm going to get rich doing this, and I'm going to screw all those people over, and I'm going to get rich, and then these people are trying to fix this, and this guy's got this, and it's like all these things coming together. You know what I mean? It's not one nefarious plot, that someone's behind it.
Right.
It's everyone vying for it, and money drives it all. So, so it's like COVID, that was not this big master plan. What it was an opportunity. Right. When opportunity knocks, right?
Yeah.
Was she developing no, I say she because the Bat Lady got up on TED Talk and talked about what she was working on.
Oh, yeah.
But were they developing this? Absolutely, beyond a doubt.
Right.
You can look at it.
Yeah.
There's history of it.
Well, Fauci
you can
even
watch the
admitted
shows
to that.
on it.
Yeah.
They were funding it up until 2014.
Right.
A week after it came out in March, they had the documentary out already. I watched it, right? You know what I mean? A week after.
Yeah.
We know what happened. We know it came from that lab. There's no denial. The
Sure.
people that are denying that are just putting their hand
They're
under
in
the
denial.
ball. Yeah. So, but what happened was, did they really do a military attack, China, on us? Was this an accident? Because if it was a military attack, our intelligence is smart enough. We'd be at war right now. I don't think it was that. I think it was something got out. Okay? I think we were funding some of this. So they wanted to bury it.
We were funding some of it.
So...
Yeah. And by we, I don't mean me and you.
Yeah. Well, we were. I do mean me and you, because it was our tax money.
It was involuntary on our part, though.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah, and that's all a good point, right? I mean, so, and I agree that I don't agree with the people that are far off on the conspiracy thing, where it was like, no, the thing was designed for this specific purpose. I'm more where you are to say,
opportunity
they
knocks.
saw the opportunity. This thing is real. It's been released. It came out.
It's the same with the green stuff.
How can we use it to our advantage?
Same with the green stuff.
What, matcha?
Opportunity knocks. No, the whole weather. Matcha. Green stuff.
Yeah.
The mochi ice cream.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. No,
I like mochi ice cream.
But the whole like.
Oh, like the Green New Deal and like
all
the
this
hippie stuff.
All this stuff. Is there like, should we be working towards renewable? Absolutely, because it's going to make us more efficient.
Right.
Like, should we do it at the detriment of economy? Of course not, because then you're going to put these other countries that don't have your benefit,
Right.
your success in mind.
Yeah.
Right. You got to stay the number one during this process, right? So you can't decimate your economy, but you also have to look towards the future.
Yeah.
Because oil's running out for sure, beyond a doubt.
Yeah.
But they're going to use it to control, because that's what they do. So you have to be a diligent citizen and monitor what they're doing. Do what Jefferson and Franklin told us. You have a democracy, a republican. You have a republic, right? And they said, it's up to you how long you can keep it. You got to monitor it, right? And I love the El Salvadorian president. Have you heard him?
I don't think
so.
so.
Dude, you got to watch him. We'll go into that story because I don't want to lose track.
Yeah.
But he said this to Tucker Carlson, and it was the best thing I ever heard. He said, America is a republic, a democracy. Mm-hmm. And that's the greatest democracy in the world. Has been forever. Or has been for 300 years. Or 250 years almost.
Right.
But in order to maintain that, you have to maintain it. In order to maintain the position, you have to maintain the democracy.
Right.
It takes work. You can't just put it in place and then, look at it. No, you got to go in and drain the swamp. You got to get rid of some of these. You have to do that, right?
Right.
This takes that. Right?
Yeah.
And it's so true. Like, he's so right.
And this is the president from where? El Salvador?
Okay. And if he ran for president, I would vote for him. I'm not even kidding, man. I'm not even kidding. I would vote for that guy in a heartbeat, dude. So this guy, El Salvador, El Salvador was the most dangerous country in the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, the gangs, S3E9 down there was just so dangerous.
Yeah.
So he became president. So when he becomes president, he says, I'm going to clean up the gangs. That's how he came in. So the first thing he does, he gets the cabinet together and he says, we're going to clean up the gangs. And they're like, okay. Because they're scared of the gangs. Right. This is not like our gang. These are like...
Right. Real deal.
Killers.
Yeah.
He says, okay, well, this is a spiritual thing, first of all. So the very first thing we need to do is pray. So he gets the entire cabinet of the El Salvadorian government together, and they pray that Lord would withhold this demonic spirit in El Salvador so they could conquer the gangs. Wow. The first thing.
Yeah.
So he got that right. Number one, it was a spiritual battle.
Right.
Then he goes out and he builds a prison because the prisons are controlled by the gangs. So you can't put in prison. They control the gang.
Right.
Or they're controlled by the gangs.
Yeah.
So he builds a maximum security prison out in the jungle.
Nice.
They can house like 80,000.
Nice.
So he rounds up. He goes out. He goes to war. Okay, we're going to war now.
Yeah.
Hits the street, and of course the war breaks out. Because here's the deal: they got to catch 60,000 MS-13 guys. Wow. Right. That's who they're against. MS-13 is against them and the rest of El Salvador. So they don't care if they kill grandmas.
Right.
They care if they go grandmas. They just want to get the gangsters.
Right.
So they did it all, and they avoided all this collateral damage.
Wow.
It was a miracle. So they said, how did you do it? He says, you want the official story, or do you want what really happened? Tucker's like, well, I guess we could start with the official story. He's like, the official story, we had a process that went through in phases. First phase, second phase, third phase. And that's how we went through this and rounded everyone up. Got 60,000 people, and they're all in prison now.
Yeah.
And now we are the safest country in the Western Hemisphere. The safest country. They went from the most dangerous to the safest. And he says, okay, so what's the real story? And he looks at him straight in the eyes. He says, it's a miracle. It's by the grace of God.
Yeah.
Because it is.
Wow.
That was the most dangerous country.
Yeah.
They went in, they cleaned it out.
And is he a Christian then, or like a okay
I don't think you get that far.
Protestant or Catholic?
I don't know, man.
Not sure. Yeah.
I'm sure you don't get that far.
Right.
You don't go in and
yeah.
pray the first thing that you're not
Yeah.
a believer.
Right. Yes. I just
Yeah.
meant like more specifically like what sect he follows.
He's a very interesting character. I would say that.
What's his name? Do you know?
No.
Okay. Is he still the president of El Salvador?
Oh yeah.
How long ago was this Tucker Carlson interview you're talking about?
6 months maybe.
Oh, pretty new then.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was right after the Putin one.
Okay.
Right after, he went and interviewed
Yeah.
Putin.
Yeah.
This guy's awesome, man. I would vote for that guy.
Nice.
But, he just cleaned house. He just came in.
Yeah.
And he took them all, and they put them in prison.
Yeah.
And they said, that's it. If you're a gangster, you go to prison. That's across the board.
And I think America as a whole wants something like that.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
Here's what's funny. All the woke Americans, this is wrong.
Right.
What about their rights? And then he came back, and he said, what about the rights of the grandma they killed?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you don't have rights when you're a criminal. That's when you lose your rights, when you're committing criminal acts. It's that simple.
Right.
But then they start playing the victim thing. Oh, but these people, I mean, they had such a bad upbringing and they don't know any better. But okay, that all might be true, but that is not an excuse for committing crime. I'm sorry. That's just not the way it works. But that's what we're getting, and that's what I'm seeing a lot of these college kids that are coming out now.
Yeah.
This is their whole philosophy on everything. Everything is everyone else's fault.
Yeah.
All my problems are because of my parents, or because of my school, or because of my job, or because of whatever. It's always something outside of them that is the reason that they have issues, or that they have problems, or they can't keep a job, or they can't go to... It's just, come on.
Excuses.
Take responsibility.
Well, I like, if you ever read a Jocko Willink's book, it's really good. Really good. And it's goodness gracious, now I'm going to draw a blank on it, but it's about taking responsibility, right? Mm-hmm. Taking action on things. So if you're in charge of something, right? Whatever it might be, if you're managing guys, fill in the blank. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, it's your responsibility. So if you put me in charge of 5 guys, right? Jim, Tim, Juan, Joe, and Jerry.
Yeah.
If Jerry's not hitting the licks at the end of the day, it's my job to make sure that he's straightened out, right?
Right.
At the end of the day, I don't come back to you and I say, hey, we got everything done. This happened, though. It was Jerry's fault.
Right.
I say, we got everything done, but we did have an accident right here. This happened.
Right.
And I take the responsibility for it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't need to know anything about Jerry.
Right.
Because Jerry was my responsibility.
Right, exactly.
Right? And that's called extreme ownership.
Right.
Taking ownership of the position you're in or whatever it is.
Right.
If you borrow something from someone, here's the perfect example. How do you return that thing to them? How'd your dad teach you to do it?
How do you return it? Other than just giving it back? Give
it back to them better than you got it, right?
Yeah,
You make sure it's clean. You make sure it ain't broke.
Right. Like let you
And
borrow
if it
their
was
car.
broke, you'd buy another one and be like, dude, I'm sorry I broke that. Here you go.
Or
dude.
if you let you borrow your car, you don't return it empty.
Yeah, you fill up the
Yeah,
tank.
wash
the,
it,
The
yeah.
common courtesies
Yes.
that we do. You return it back. A lot of kids aren't taught that now.
No.
No, not at all. So
Right.
that's taking ownership of this thing that they let you use. That's
Yeah.
taking ownership of something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that understanding that if you own something, you value it, right? So it's whatever it might be, your position in life, whatever it's own it. Be that person and do the best you can at it, right? And you do it because it's the
right thing to do.
right thing to do. And it really,
Right.
in the end of the day, because you did what you were supposed to be doing,
Right.
you'll be blessed.
Yeah.
Guarantee you'll be blessed.
Right.
You will be blessed.
Yeah.
It's going to come because you're
So-
doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, so this will obviously this is more of a spiritual section discussion, but
Yeah.
so when you see, let's say, someone who's an atheist,
Yeah.
let's say, and they are doing that, they're doing the right thing, they're being good people, they're doing wonderful things for people. Do you think that in the same way God is going to bless them because of their good deeds in the same way, even though they're not?
Well, I don't know many atheists, honestly.
Oh, really?
I don't, because every single person that ever says I believe in God, later they're talk about God.
Right. Well, yes.
I don't know, man. To be
There's
honest with
that.
you. If you're really an atheist,
Right.
okay.
Well,
so,
and then
but I will say this. So
Yeah.
wait, so in the question, you pull it. Wait, say it again.
Oh shoot, man! That was like 10 seconds ago. I can't remember.
I would say, so
if someone is doing, like an atheist is doing what we would call the right thing,
Right.
they're doing good deeds. They're
Perfect.
doing
So it doesn't say in the Bible that he blesses the believer over the unbeliever. It says it rains on the believer and the unbeliever the same.
Okay.
That's what it says.
So the answer is yes then.
It doesn't say it's contingent at all.
Right. Okay.
So that's not my answer.
Right.
I'm just telling you what it says.
Right.
Right.
So bare minimum then, I guess not bare minimum is probably the wrong wording, but so someone's an atheist, they don't believe in God at all, but bare minimum they can be a wonderful human until the day they die and go to hell.
Sure.
But at least they can be a great person on earth. They can do good things for people. They can be loved and respected.
And you can see that, right? Like I think, man, I've met people that are just awesome people.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I think that
I've met some atheists that are better people in my opinion than some of the Christians I know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think that that's important to recognize in ourselves as believers that's where we want to be in that vehicle that we're talking about. That's what I use that vehicle to be more like that guy. Right.
Yeah.
And God uses that vehicle to make me more like that guy. Right. And other things, God things above my pay grade, right? Like that He's gonna use in my life. That that's gonna make me more like that person. He's making me like that though.
Yeah.
He made him like that too.
Right.
But for whatever reason, in His
Heart
of hearts,
Yep.
He won't submit. Right. So we were one with God, and Adam severed this.
Man, that guy.
That guy.
I can't believe he did that to us.
I got another story about that. Jesus Christ came, lived a perfect life.
Right.
But not just being the perfect life, being the Son of God, being God. Died for our sins, right? That sin is what had done this.
Right.
So now He did this.
Yeah.
Right? And He connected this. So now, because I believeth on Him, He says, who believeth on me shall not perish but have everlasting life. Right? It's so simple.
Yeah.
And what is to believe on Him? Is to acknowledge that what He did is true. That's what how do you believe? Well, what are we supposed to believe? That it was severed, because He said it was, and He came, lived the perfect life, and He reconnected it. And if you believe that He did that, and died for your sins, you're safe, right? And we know that is real as Christians, as believers, because when we do that in our humblest, okay, I believe it, and usually it takes us going through a lot of people, right? It takes that bottom, and you cry out to God, okay, I've had enough, obviously I'm done, right? This is not working. Whatever it is that got you to that point of crying out to God. And then He is, what does it say? Diligent. He's going to fulfill. He's going to do all these things, right? That He says He will do. Amazingly, He does exactly what He says.
Yeah.
That reconnection happens, and the Holy Spirit works inside of you. And that is what you, as the believer, can fall back on. Because you and I, we both have felt that. And that is real. So when somebody tells you, why do you believe? Now you say, well, first I believed in faith. I didn't really have anything that let me believe, right? I just believed because I was at my wit's end. Whatever it was that I just said I believe.
He surrendered.
I surrendered.
Right.
And it was that moment, right? Now I believe because I can't deny what has happened inside of me. Right? I can't deny the Holy Spirit.
Right.
It would be like meeting someone and then denying that you met someone, right?
Right.
Like, this has happened to me.
Right.
It really happened. Like, I have to tell you, this really did happen.
Right.
So now the belief is so much more,
Yeah.
right, than what we initially started with.
Yeah.
So it's in levels, right?
Right.
So you can't know that until you experience that yourself.
Yes.
I cannot tell you that.
Yes. And to the non-believer on the outside of that, that's why they can't grasp the difference between what you just described and religion.
Right.
Right. They think it's the same thing.
Because every part of that I just told you has nothing to do with religion.
Right.
Nothing to do with the Jewish religion.
Right.
Doesn't even need the Torah to be attached to it, though we know that it does play a part in this.
Of course, yes.
But it doesn't have to be.
Right.
To relay that important fact to you right there.
Right.
That it's Jesus Christ that saves and Jesus Christ alone.
Yeah.
And it's that right there.
Yeah.
Right? Everything else comes after. Right?
Yes.
In addition.
Right.
To this, right? We can we could talk about the story after.
Yeah.
And when I talk about that story, I always talk about it now. It's not, oh, you're saved, get to work. It's that you hear that. That's not right. That's wrong. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, where are you pulling that from?
But why do so many pastors preach that then?
Because it's
isn't that nuts?
Because it's innately human
Yes.
to go to work.
Right.
Oh, do we need to get to work then?
Yeah, that's right.
God's coming back.
He can't do it without us.
He's so screwed without us. There's no way he'll make it.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Of course not, right?
Right.
But that's what we put in our heart.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
and some of it's outside influence, some of it's this, some of it. I fill in the blank. There's 10,000 reasons why.
Right.
10,000 reasons, 10,000, the market, the economy, the whatever, right? Like, oh, this is how you do church, and and believe me when I say that there are business models that they're following, right? You know what I mean?
Man.
It's like I talked about before. It is business at times.
Yeah.
There is a business degree to it, right? So never forget that.
Yeah.
And
so what age was that? And we'll just start plowing through spiritual stuff now. But what was your how old were you when that happened for you?
Oh boy.
Did you grow up in the church or were you
Okay, yeah. So now you're really digging in, man.
Yeah.
You're getting out. Let's do it.
Let's
do it, man.
Let's hit it.
You got 3 more hours?
We got as long as you need, man.
Yeah, we have.
I'll order some pizza. We'll just hang out, have dinner, and
Oh man. All right. So I will. I like to. This is an important one because this is the one that really changed my life, right? So all the other stuff is cool history.
Right.
This is one that matters, right? This is one that, at the end of the day, right? There's only 2 people in this world. There's only 2 types of people in this world. There's only this side, that side.
Right.
Believer, unbeliever.
Yeah.
I don't care what flavor you want to be. I don't care
Right.
what doctrine, name, blah, 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 fill in the blank.
Right.
Ethnicity, none of that matters. 0.
Yeah.
It's believer and unbeliever. Goats and sheep.
Sheep and goats. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all there is in this world. Yeah? Now, in those goats, we can separate them into groups. Right? There are goats that have no idea what's going on. And they're just going along.
Right.
Then there are goats that are the enemy that are trying to take out the sheep.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So
Yes.
there is a difference in that room, in that realm, in that world.
Yeah.
And then in the sheep world, you have sheep that are more well-fed, sheep that aren't so well-fed, sheep that go on with that, right? But those are the 2 groups of peoples. And in that, right, that's where one of us fall. You fall in one of those groups no matter what.
Doesn't matter what you believe.
Doesn't matter
it does
what
matter
you believe.
But
Well, yeah.
people can say, well, I don't believe in God. You still fall into one of those
Exactly.
2 camps.
It doesn't matter what you
Right.
think your reality
Yes,
is.
yes,
That's
exactly.
the right word.
Right.
Doesn't matter what you think your reality is.
Right.
This is reality.
Yes.
And when I was like very young, right? Like I recognized that young. Like my mom was a believer, and I was brought up in we were Southern Baptist church where we went to.
Oh wow.
It doesn't really matter, but it's bad. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's Southern Baptist.
That's hardcore, man. Southern Baptist.
Yeah, I think they're the fire and brimstone.
Yeah, they are.
So I was at that church in Grover. We were in Grover, and ever since I was very young, like I would hear things calling my name, like
Oh wow.
running around looking
Like
for-
Samuel.
Yeah, weird. I would hear like things calling me. Run around looking. I would tell my mom. She'd be like, "Oh, it's just the angels," but I don't think it was the angels.
She's like, dear, he's hearing voices.
As I got older, I think it was the angels. So, yeah, it's the angels. So then, I went to church, and I believed, and I was like, man, I love Jesus. I would read the Bible. I was like, I was really like,
yeah.
I loved it, man. I've always loved Jesus.
And how old would you say this was?
I was
Young?
4.
Oh, wow. Dang.
So then I got baptized when I was 5. And in Southern Baptist, they don't baptize when you're young, right? But
Right.
I had to stand up there and tell them who Jesus was. I had to tell all, and like, you know who Jesus is, man.
Yeah.
You know Jesus, right? I said, I know Jesus. It's like, so when people were like, I don't know about God, like atheists, like I'm the wrong guy to talk to, man. I've known Jesus my whole life.
Right.
Like, I feel like I've always known him.
Right.
And then when I got older, I had like I said, listen to music, all these things, but I was just a bad kid. I just started being a real bad kid. Like when we moved to Santa Maria, my friend.
That'll do it to anybody.
Well, my neighbor. Do you remember Mike Blake?
Yes.
That was my neighbor. So he was my bully when I was a kid. Like, you know,
Oh my
you had a
gosh,
friend,
dude.
your bully.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were good friends, but then he was the best bully too, right? He
Yeah.
would just beat the crap out of you because he was a foot taller.
He was
than you.
huge, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I grew up with Mike, and so
Okay.
when he lived across the street, first moved in, he was the first guy I met, and
Okay.
grew up with him. And in that, you know, we went through a stage in my life where he was the bully, and I am not, like I said, I grew up fighting, so I'm not
Right.
the kid that like takes the
You're not
bullying.
gonna back down. Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I'll fight you. Like,
Right.
oh yeah, I'll fight you. Okay.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons I started the judo.
Okay.
And then he went with me.
Oh,
I was like,
really?
I'm doing this to learn how to fight you. Look at here.
He didn't want you to
Right?
get the one up, man. He's
No,
like, oh, I
man.
got to stay in line with this
It's
guy.
funny because I still talk to his mom and dad to this day, and they always remember his brothers. Yeah, I remember you used to climb up the light pole. You just scurry right up the light pole. And I'm always laughing because inside I'm like, yeah, I was running for Mike.
Yeah, right?
He's trying to beat me up,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was laughing to Henry because before he did martial arts, I said I used to have these tactics, like and I would do this and this, and he's like, I was like, that's why I laugh when the kids come in and they got tactics like that because I remember like, yeah, I used to be
Right.
like you, like
Right.
I had these secret moves that I never
Yeah.
did martial art, but I would just like, you know,
Yeah.
like if he does this, I'm gonna do that kind of thing. So anyway, so through all that, you know, I was very angry. I was angry at God even. You know, I was like,
Right.
I was mad. Like, what is this? What's up with this? And then I didn't go to church when we moved to Santa Maria, really, other than some youth groups and stuff, but not big. But I had the Bible on tape, so I would read my Bible, listen to the Bible, and all the time. But I always thought it was going to give me some secret, like,
Yeah.
inside mystical.
That's right, man.
You know, because the Bible.
Get the power from on high, dude.
Right. But I never got it. So then I got in. I got in a lot of trouble in high school
Okay.
drinking. I started drinking very young.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and in drinking and fighting.
Yeah.
It was
It's a
bad.
good combo.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of it.
There's a lot of adults that do that still.
That's right. So I
Every
joined
weekend.
joined the Marine Corps, and then
Did you really?
Yeah, Marine Corps, and then drinking and fighting, and got me in trouble in there. I was home on leave, got in trouble.
Oh, boy.
It was 2000. It was 2099, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And I went to jail for a year.
A year?
Yeah.
Dang, dude.
Hey, you didn't go to jail for a year?
No, I didn't. I've
Not
never been to
anyone
jail.
went to jail
Dude,
for a
I'm so
year.
scared of jail, I can't even tell you, dude.
Oh, man. Well, I had a bunch of assault batteries, so they dropped them all.
Oh,
And they ended up running concurrent, so I did a year in county.
So what are you, like early 20s at this point?
Yeah, I was 19.
Okay.
I was 19. So I spent that year, 19, in jail. And, but while I was there, I always tell this story because, you know, it was a bad time that I brought upon myself,
Right.
fighting, drinking.
Right.
But at the same time, God uses things, right? So he put me at the bottom because you can't get much lower than that. I had nothing, lost everything, lost it all. The little bit you have at 20. Yes, I have 19, right? I get a lot. But I ended up, while I was in jail, they put me in the tank with, where you would, like, they'd call you out to, like, get the library books ready.
Okay.
And you push the cart around and the guys would take the library books off it.
Yeah.
And then some guys would, like, take the clothes. They'd call them out of the tank to do that or take the food and stuff.
Yeah.
They call them the trust.
Yeah, I've seen Shawshank Redemption. I know how that works.
Yeah, like that. So I got to be the library guy.
Oh, nice.
Well, what that entailed, though, was the dude, he was this old retired cop. He'd come, and he was old, man, and he would forget about me. So he'd take me down to this library down in the basement and lock me in this room no bigger than your kitchen living room right here with books. Wall.
Oh, wow.
And I'd be in there for like 8 hours. No bathroom, nothing.
Just by
Just
yourself?
lock me in because he'd forget me, yeah. By myself. And, you know, I get the cart ready, and then I'm just sitting there. So I would just read books. Read books. I read, like, the Bible. I read all these classical books, all these, because they have all these books that they donated, right?
Yeah.
I read so many books. So that was my college. You know, like a lot of people go to college. I did not read books in high school. I was too busy having fun.
That was a school of hard knocks, they call that, right?
So as they locked me up, they put me in a library, and I had to read books. And because of that, like, I learned a lot.
Yeah.
All the stuff I was supposed to learn in high school, I learned
bet,
there.
man. Yeah.
So, and read the Bible, read the whole Left Behind series, read all those things.
Okay.
And so it was really cool. But being in there, I was obviously very interested. I was in the Bible. So I said, I want to know, you know, you're in jail. So it's like, anytime you can get out of your tank, it's like, cool. So they're like, Chaplain, whoever's coming. Chaplain, whoever's coming.
Nice.
Chaplain, whoever's coming.
Yeah.
Joe witnesses are coming. They're coming. Mormons are coming.
Right.
Islam's coming. Okay, let's go. I'm everything, right? Is
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Is there a monk coming? I'll go to him too.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna hear them all, man. Let's hear it all.
Well, let me ask you though, real quick, just to stop you real quick and ask you, could you talk about your story when you're like 4 or 5 and you believing and all this? At this point in your life, when you're in jail, you're 19. and you're in here for a year and you're doing all this, did you, in your mind and your heart, did you still consider yourself a believer?
Oh yeah,
like a Christian.
Yeah. I never like. It's like you said, like God revealed Himself to me when I was young.
Yeah.
And once it's been revealed, it's like you cannot, like, you'd have to be like,
can't deny it, right?
Man.
Yeah, but I mean, do you think
I'm
you were
a liar,
like,
and I'm a this and I'm a that, because we all are, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, like, I'm not gonna lie to myself, and I know,
Right.
I know that like,
Yeah.
I know what I
Yeah.
have felt. I know what God's
Okay.
communicated to me. You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
hard to lie to yourself. You know what I mean?
Right.
When you've had it, like when you've tasted the water, it's hard to drink it.
Right.
What do they say? Well, how's the old adage go?
Yeah.
Anyway, so
anyway, back to where you were. Sorry.
I don't know where it was.
You're locked in the room. You're reading a bunch of books, and then you're getting out of the tank to go see the Mormons and the
So
everybody.
I saw go over.
Yeah.
So which in honesty, that's what I think has given me the open mind that I have towards all these other denominations.
Okay.
I'm not. I'm definitely not the person to call if you want to be judgmental of other people.
Okay.
I won't jump on the boat with you.
Okay.
You can keep that opinion to yourself.
Is that why when I was talking about the breakdancer, you looked like you wanted to stab me?
No. I do. So I do take that verse, probably one of the highest verses in the Bible,
Which
where
one?
He says, "With what measure you judge,
Right.
you shall be judged."
Right.
Right.
That
means a lot.
Yeah.
Just take that, write that down.
Yeah. But I don't breakdance.
Put that on your fridge and look at it every now and then. I'm just saying, because I mean everybody.
Yeah.
Because think about what He's telling you right there. Right.
Yeah.
That does away with all those other things where people are like, well, you're supposed to be a fruit inspector. Well, you keep inspecting, brother. Mm-hmm. I'm going to live by that one. And then at the end, if He says, hey, man, you were supposed to be inspecting, I'm going to go, I'm sorry.
Right.
But I read that one.
Yeah.
And I was more afraid of that. That's what I'm going to tell
Yeah.
you.
But don't you think that's more in line with like the idea of the plank in your eye, like it's removed the first?
I agree.
I think it has more to do with hypocrisy than it does like
and
judging.
Of course, I'm not saying that I wouldn't give advice.
Right. You're not saying we should never judge.
I'm not
You're
saying
just
we should not give advice.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yes.
All right.
But yeah, but what were we saying though?
So we were at the Mormons. And
So then, all these dudes come in,
Yeah.
and I met this dude named Troy,
Okay.
Calvary Chapel, Santa Barbara, and he says, "Hey, man, they're just building. Where are you from, Santa? Oh, they're building. They just got into a new facility right there. You're gonna love it. Yeah. Pastor Paul there. You got to go there.
Oh, he was talking about the new.
They just moved in
CCSM
there.
and the
So
Grossman's
this is
building.
probably October, November of '99. So
Okay.
maybe ish.
Wow.
Or maybe they were still in the middle of building it. It might have been because I went in January of 2000, and they'd only been in it a couple months, I think.
Right.
So because I started Calvary, first week of January 2000.
So that's as soon as you got out of
24 years.
jail after the year in.
Shortly thereafter,
You went to Calvary.
Yeah.
And did you know Lucy at this time, or was that not till later?
No, we
okay.
didn't meet too much.
Okay.
She was still in high school.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So So then I went to Calvary, and I really liked Pastor Paul. He had good sermons, but that's not what kept me there. What really kept me there was George, Dwayne, and Joan. George and Joan, I don't know, and their daughter Mara, who used to work in the office. Very nice.
Yes, I remember.
George,
I just thought of Mara this morning because Pastor Connor was talking about Mara and how it means bitter. Remember in the sermon this morning?
That's right.
And I thought of her, and I thought, what happened to her? I haven't seen her in forever.
She is down with, I think, the son or the daughter. Living with them, I think.
Okay.
Say
because the parents have passed away at this point.
Yes,
I'm guessing.
Lucy still speaks with Mara.
Oh wow. Okay.
But Joan was just a wonderful person, and then George, just an amazing man. That guy was so smart.
Yeah.
He was super smart guy. He was a Jesuit. He went to the Catholic Jesuit school, and then was a brain surgeon. Just a great guy, and like I said, I still battled with drinking for years. That was my demon, right? It allowed my demon functions to come out, right? When I started drinking, oh man.
Oh yeah.
So it was like that was a battle. It didn't just end, So even after, but George really gave me some tools, through the years. But then he really kept me there, and I met Mike Titus, who was a pastor.
Oh
here.
I remember.
And Barbara was my teacher.
Okay.
My fourth grade teacher, Miss
Yeah.
Titus. I saw her just recently. I was
Oh,
like,
really?
Miss Titus. She's like, quit calling me Miss Titus. Call me Barbara. You always call Mike.
Yeah.
She's so funny. I said, you'll always be Miss Titus.
Yeah. I'll always remember Mike from the back whenever we would sing shout to the Lord.
Yep.
He would take that very literally.
Yes.
He'd be screaming
the
that out,
pastor
man.
that did our wedding.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, I love Mike. Love Mike. We still whenever I see him talking, he's not doing great right now.
I haven't seen him in probably 20 years.
He had been walking, but they told him to stop walking so much.
Okay.
But just good people. We would go visit this guy Dennis, who was a quadriplegic. Okay. Really nice guy. I remember. What's her name? She still goes to the church. She would go. Letters. Can't remember her name now. Marika would go.
Okay.
Marika. She still goes to church, and her dad. We would all go over there and visit this guy Dennis, and worship with him. It was really cool, but it was like cool being with all these older people. I was like, this is really cool. I was like 20 something at the time.
Yeah, I mean it's
inviting me in. So it was like through all that, man. I was just really, I really liked it. And then they turned me on to Chuck Misler.
Oh,
if you ever listen to him, I was
like,
oh man.
First time I saw him was at Calvary Santa Barbara. I saw him live at a Stealing the Mind conference. Yeah,
very cool.
But he was talking like he came out and he went totally off script and didn't talk about what he was supposed to talk about. Oh. Because we had the programs and it was like, oh, so and so is going to talk about this and this and this, and I forgot what his thing was, but he was all into like the Bible code. Stuff at that time. Stuff. Yeah, and he was all going to town on all of that, and we're all going, oh man, because he was all excited about it. Like he was breaking into stuff. He was saying, oh, this thing, I can't believe what I just saw yesterday, and all, And that's kind of where a lot of people kind of wrote him off. And he was talking about aliens, and he kind of went off the deep end.
And what's funny is that then him and I'm gonna sidetrack here, of course.
Yeah,
segue.
Love it.
But him and Chuck Smith, Pastor Chuck, they were very tight, and then after the Y2K thing, they had the falling out. Okay. But I always think it's hilarious because if you knew Chuck Misler and you were into it, it's so funny because we were into that in the late '90s, early 2000s. Yeah, there was early 2000s. I was into that.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, we go to church and all the same stuff, but it's rebranded under this other guy. Yeah. So now it's cool, right? Then we were talking about the Nephilim and the Fallen. Since. Like we were never bringing that up during the sermon. Now all of a sudden that's hot topic,
right?
And it's not just here; it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's like what's accepted, right? Yeah. They never talked about the rapture pre-50s, really. They did pre-1950s. Right? You could research and look it up.
Sure.
It was a new thing. It came from dispensationalism. Right. You look into dispensationalism. I believe in dispensationalism to a degree, but not all of their ideologies, right? Mm-hmm. And we were big on that, and then that went away, and then. It's funny how the doctrines change. Yeah. That's why I say don't grasp onto anything and think that that's an actual fact to my sons. I say they're the doctrines of men, and they go through this.
What about Scripture, though? Do you feel like Scripture you can grasp on in that way?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, you're talking about, when you say doctrines of men, you're talking about pastors and preachers.
Taking Scripture to use it how you want.
And they present it differently than what it is. Okay.
And some of it's like dispensationalism, the Darby Bible, all that stuff comes from some vision that this girl had. Like, what does that have to do with the Bible?
Right, yeah.
But they stand by that, and they put their flag in that like it's an absolute truth.
Right.
And you start reading about how God paused time and this and that, and then you're like, wait, that sounds weird in the book of Daniel, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know if that's the right, but then, but it explains it kind of, so we're going to stand on that right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so that's why I always weigh all that with a grain of salt.
One of my biggest pet peeves, and I think it relates to what you're saying, is... Like I'm a part of a few different Bible studies. One of them we do is like a Zoom meeting because we have guys from all different states and stuff. Yeah. It's cool. It's a lot of fun. It's good. Everybody talking. We're going through books and stuff. But one of the things that kind of frustrates me is we'll get to a certain passage and it's like, okay, and here's what it says, right? It's like we're breaking down. This is what it says, right? Yeah. And then some other guys in the group will be like, well, that just doesn't make sense. I mean, what about this? And they'll present something else. That's kind of related to the text, and then most people in the group are like, oh, that makes sense, and everybody moves on, as if the goal is to find out what makes sense, as opposed to what it actually says. Whether it makes sense to me or not, exactly. I hope it does. Yeah, but that's not the end goal. Bingo. The end goal is what does it say?
Bingo. Just because what it's saying doesn't make sense to you,
right?
Doesn't mean that you can change it to make sense to you.
Yes.
To fit your agenda.
Right.
It says what it says.
I would rather just walk away saying, what? I don't understand that right now.
It says, even now the violent take heaven by force.
Right. Right.
What does that mean?
Yeah. I can't tell you.
I can't tell you.
We must not be saved.
No, good. That's salvation, right? But what does that mean, right? And then someone will sit down here, some talking, it'll break it down. It means like, oh yeah, because at that time,
right,
the violent people, the Jews, were trying to persecute Christ, and that's what he was talking about. Well, no, he said the kingdom of heaven is at the door now, but even now the violent try to take place.
Right.
That's not that.
Right.
Something else.
Yeah.
Right? So,
well, I even have an issue with what the approach that people take, where they kind of do what you just said, where it's more like, because it's just what it says is what it says, right? Like we can say, like what you just said made me think of like in Corinthians when they say the whole part about women are to remain silent in the church, right? Now we read that today and we go, ooh, that sounds really bad. That sounds very feminist or anti-feminist. It sounds very or misogynistic. So I'm looking very, very male-dominated. So then, you read all these theology books and all these books that try to teach you what that means. And they say, well, here's what was going on in the Corinthian church. Men sat on one side and women sat on the other side. And the women were yelling across the church to ask their husbands questions. And that's why they said that. So that just applies to the Corinthian church. And I'm like, I'm not denying that and saying, no, there's no way that's what it is. That can't be true. Yeah. But at the same time, I think the only reason we're scrambling to try to find some story like that is because we can't deal with it if it actually says that women are to remain silent in the church.
Right.
We don't know what to do with that because the women of today are not going to stand for that. Mm-hmm. There's no way they're going to stand for that. And by the way, I'm not saying I think that is what it means, that women are not to talk at all. I'm not saying that. But what if it did? Mm-hmm. What if that is literally what it said?
Well, who said it?
In the Bible?
Who said that?
Who said what?
Paul said that.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
We got to be aware. Paul was writing letters to these churches to
Correct.
tell them how to conduct church.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
There was a reason for this.
Sure.
And we have taken that letter and made it the Word of God, because obviously the Holy Spirit was speaking through Paul to this church.
Sure.
But never forget, he was speaking through Paul to this church.
Right.
Now, all Scripture is for edification for all believers.
Sure.
So we can use that for edification.
Right.
But never forget the context.
Of course.
This is a letter written to the church.
Yes.
Right.
But my issue, though, is that it seems like with all the other epistles, you got Ephesians, Philippians, all that, right. Most Christians say, oh, no, yes, Paul was writing this to the church in Philippi. Yes, he was. But it's instruction for the church as a whole. Sure. It's instruction for the church as a whole. Then we get to 1 Corinthians. No, that one's just for the Corinthian church.
I know. I love the picky
because
cheesies.
We don't know what to do with some of the stuff that's in there, right?
Right.
We don't know what to do with verses like that. We don't know what to do with verses that say, women aren't to wear makeup or jewelry. And I say, whoa, yeah, exactly.
Don't cut your...
Because we have a certain way of living now where we hear stuff like that and we're like, oh, well, I don't like that. That doesn't sound good. Can we find another explanation? Because I want to go with an explanation that I like better. Yeah. And it's like, but of course, that's one of those texts where it might not be as specific as we wish it would be, and that's why there's so much debate and argument over it, because it doesn't say exactly that, right? It's like Calvinism, Arminianism. Everybody's been arguing that for hundreds and hundreds of years because it doesn't say explicitly one way or the other.
One place says predestined, one place doesn't. One place says
that's
free
what I'm
will,
saying.
One place doesn't.
Right.
But the reality is it's both. We just can't understand it because in our feeble mind we can't comprehend it.
Right.
You understand that the only reason that we think that there's free will is because we're just not smart.
Explain that one to me.
You believe that you are picking a random thing.
Okay. Because
you don't know all the variables.
Right. That could be true. Yeah. Sure. But, like all the decisions I'm making are within a grand system. Yeah,
but if there's a being that's above you that understood all the variables that into your choice, he could systematically pick 100% positively what you're going to pick every single time.
Right.
Because he knows all the variables and knows what you're going to pick before you do.
Right. Right. Well, do you believe we have any kind of free will then or no?
I believe that only in our fallen form of not being able to know all things is why we have free will.
Okay.
Right? In our mind, it's free will. But in God's mind, it's not free will. Right? And there is a scientific hypothesis that proves that. It's the, I believe it's called the theory of randomness or something.
Okay.
And it absolutely proves it. You can
theory of randomness.
You have to look it up, yeah. It's the fact that nothing is random. Right? We only perceive it as random because we're not smart enough, we aren't intelligent enough to realize that nothing's random. If you figured in the gravitational pull and blah, 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 blah,
Right.
down to the finest nymph, you would understand that
Yeah.
nothing is random.
Okay.
Everything, even our choices, are not
Right.
random.
Right.
And you gotta listen to it. It's very interesting,
Okay.
and it proves the fact that God knows all things,
Right.
as He says He does.
Sure.
because
Yes.
He is that
Yes.
being.
Right.
And the fact that it's free will to you.
Right.
Because
Right.
you don't know all things.
Yeah, and that might be part of the issue, right? Because for most people, there seems to be just the two sides. There's determinism,
Yeah.
and there's free will.
Yeah. They don't understand that they're not exclusive.
But you're saying there's some stuff in the middle there that's kind of
to you, it is free will.
overlapping.
Yeah.
In a sense.
So it doesn't
Right.
trespass on your free will because
Okay.
it is free will to you.
Right.
But at the same time, it doesn't trespass on His knowledge to know all things.
Okay.
Because He knows all the variables.
Of course.
It's
and
only in
yes.
your
Right. Yeah.
lack of knowledge,
Yeah.
right?
And that's the way that I've always kind of explained it in my own head is that I make decisions. Yes, I do. But God is outside of time.
Yes.
And He already knows which decisions I'm going to make.
Absolutely.
And then people say, well, what if I decide something different right at the last minute? Well, He knows you're going to do that too. You can go back and forth 100 million times. He
Not
knows you're
bound
going to
by
do all
time.
that.
So God
Right.
sits outside of all of these elements.
Yeah.
That's why He's God.
Right.
Right? He created it, and He says it in the very beginning, right? Like
Right.
Ken Hovind says it's the best.
Yeah.
Right? You've heard that analogy, right?
Yeah.
He says, here it is, right here, right? He says, God created it in 10 words. He says, in order for all things to exist, we need what? We need matter, time, and space.
Right.
Because we have to have somewhere for it to exist, hence space, right? The matter. And we have to have a place or a time for it to exist, hence time.
Right.
So you have the time-space continuum, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how it works. So he says, in the beginning, time, God created the heavens, space,
Right.
and the earth, matter.
Right.
Right? And he says it right there. Those are
Yeah.
three things.
Yeah.
It's amazing, huh?
It's almost as if there's a God,
It's almost.
and then He knows what He's doing.
Almost.
It's crazy.
Interesting. But like you just said, so in that, we know that the Trinity of Trinities created those things.
Right.
So,
Okay. So if we look at a scenario, let's say like a school shooter
Yeah.
or something, right? And we see this crazy guy goes into a school and he shoots up 20 kids, okay? And then let's say then the cops show up and they take him out. So he's dead, he's gone, but 20 kids are dead, okay? So something like Sandy Hook or something like whatever, something just gnarly, like right, just terrible.
Tragedy,
Yeah. When we took a scenario like that and we look at free will versus determinism, people say, well, if God's all powerful,
Yes.
He could have prevented that from happening.
He could have.
Right, but He didn't.
Yes.
But did He determine it to happen? Did He make that guy do what he did?
Well, you're not going to like my answer.
Yeah, I might. Let's hear it.
Because God made Satan. So
Right.
He determined evil to be here. And it says that God made evil.
Right. He made evil, or He made the potential for evil by giving us free will. See, that's different.
Well, potential's there, right?
Right, which in my view, that's why that guy can make the decision to shoot up the school. But then when you get into why did God not stop him, that's where you just have to be like, well, I don't know the reason. I really don't. I don't think.
Well, exactly. So,
Yeah.
So, like we just said, I don't know those variables.
Right.
I don't have the intellect and the knowledge to know why
Yeah.
that God allows or needed or whatever it might be, fill in the blank, because I don't know.
Right.
So people can be like, He doesn't need it. They can say whatever. The opinions can go whatever.
Right.
Fill in the blank.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
But therefore there is evil.
Yeah.
It is a fact.
Right.
And I know God created all things. It is a fact.
Right.
So there's no way around that. I cannot sugarcoat that. God created
Right.
evil.
Right.
Like we could say by osmosis or whatever you want to say. But
Yeah, but
at
you
the end
do,
of the day,
you do see a difference, though.
created
Right, in the wording.
evil.
No, you don't see any difference at all?
Yeah, but I think I do and I don't, right? Because
Okay.
it's semantics. We're getting into semantics.
Yeah.
Right? How am I saying it, right?
Right.
But he did
Right.
by no matter what. And,
Yeah.
and I know like it hurts to say it. Sometimes people get offended by it.
Right.
And you can go around it all you want.
Right.
And you can say it was this or that. But I'm going to ask him, why?
Yeah.
Why? Because we could have lived in perfection. We didn't
Right.
have to. This did not have to happen.
Sure.
It didn't. We didn't have to fall.
Right.
That I know of in my feeble mind.
Yeah.
Right. The way I see it, none of this had to happen. Right? God could have made us in perfection. We could have lived in love. We could have had perfection throughout history. No need for Satan. No need to work out this. No need to prove that we love him. No need, because who are we saved from to begin with? We're not saved from Satan.
Right.
We're saved from him.
Right.
We're saved from his wrath, which his son drank.
Yeah.
And if you choose his son, he drank the wrath for you. Therefore, you don't have to drink the wrath. But if you don't choose his son, that cup is yours.
Right.
And as soon as you leave this physical realm, you're going to drink the cup of his wrath.
Right.
Right? And then he's going to put you in hell where you'll burn for eternity, and your smoke will be pleasant to him.
Yeah.
Because that's where the angels were sent. Right? Okay.
The demons.
Let's right?
Yeah.
That's God.
No, I'm with you, dude.
I'm definitely above my pay grade if I start thinking that I need to tell God,
right,
anything in this,
right.
or
right.
if I need to try to defend God.
Right.
Because I sure don't because we do as Christians. Well, let me defend God.
Yeah.
Now, the reason he did that,
right.
let me tell you the truth. You don't know, Pastor.
Right.
You don't know. You don't know why he did that. You can think and say and blah, 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 and guess and do and that.
Come up with theories. Yeah, for sure.
But like we just talked about, that very first thing. He knows all the variables.
Right.
You don't.
Right.
How could you fathom that mind?
Right.
You can't begin to.
And I'm glad we can't begin to.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Our egos will take over.
I don't want a God that's on the same mental capacity as me. Yes. We're all in big trouble if that's the case.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that shows to the, like you just said, you hit it right there. Like the capacity is beyond even what we could begin to think who he is, really. And yet he loves us, right? That's just... Right.
Well, and that's what I was going to say, right? So when we talk about the creation of free will, or the giving of free will to his creation, because again, we could go back to the beginning and say, did he have to do it that way? No. He could have made a bunch of robot-like creatures that had no free will at all, had no thoughts of their own, and just literally did whatever he determined them to do, okay? But he gave us free will, and through that, you created the potential for evil, because now the person has the choice to choose one or the other. But the other token is he's also created the potential for love by the same token. Because if you created robots, and I always use the example of my wife, and I say, do I want my wife to love me because she chooses through her free will to love me, or because I have a gun to her head saying, you better love me or else? I don't want that kind of love, because it's not real love. That's not true choice love. So by God giving us free will, he's also created that, right? So we have the opportunity to love him by choice, as opposed to being forced to love him.
I'm thinking, though, like I'm a person with a mind, and I'm thinking, I'm sitting alone.
Yeah.
And I have the ability to make something, a being.
Right.
I'm going to be like, what do I want to make?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And in my thought process, I'm probably not like, I want to make this independent being that has the potential to kill me.
Right.
Right? That's never going to be like in my thing. Or the potential to hate me.
Right.
Or the potential to...
Right. Well, from a human
standpoint. I'm not going to do that, right?
Right.
I'm going to think, I want this thing to be like my best friend. So I'm going to give him everything that I like in a person so I can like him. Right. And I'm going to make him like everything in me. Right. Right? That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
But don't you feel like that's forced, though? Like it's a forced...
I don't care.
You don't care, okay.
Right? I made that thing. Yeah. That's mine.
Yeah.
Right? No, but I mean, seriously.
No, I got you.
That's my
thing. Yeah.
I'm his thing.
Right.
Why does he care? Like, I'm his.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's a very deep question,
right?
Because that I think is easily skimmed over by. Oh, I bet you want your wife to love you, right? Because I've heard that analogy many times,
right?
And like, well, he had to do that in order to prove our love. Well, he didn't prove anything. He proved that we don't love him, that we're horrible beings, that we suck, right? Yeah. That's what he proved.
Sure.
And then he said, oh, great, now I got to go die for him, right? So everything that you, like, in the end of that, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
but he already knew
why you would have done it, like, it didn't do that.
Right.
Went the other way.
Yeah.
And then, so he could have, like, done any...
But that was all part of the plan, though. Like, he already knew that he was going to send his son to die and all that when he made us.
So, okay, if you run these variables out, of a story, this is where I do like Jordan Peterson on this.
Oh, yeah.
Because he says, the reason why that is the story is that is the greatest hero story you could tell. And that's the reason why.
Yeah.
So I guess if you ran it out statistically, you know what I'm saying? That probably is why it was done that way. That is the greatest way a being could prove its love.
Right.
That's probably why.
Sure.
To die of an innocent death to giving yourself for something, right?
Right.
That's probably what it is, because that's the ultimate hero, right? To lay down his life.
Yeah, I was going to say the verse says that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
All right.
that might be why, right? In the story, right? Mm-hmm. The reason it's told that way. I think so. But at the same time, like, of course, it really happened.
Yeah.
Because it's the ultimate story.
Right.
And I think that's what's beautiful, right? So that would be my guess on that. But again, it's just a guess, right?
Yeah.
It's just an opinion.
Right.
Like, that's what I find the most fascinating when I get into all the doctrine, because there's so many little things they argue over, and you're like, does this really matter, guys?
Yeah.
Really
well, I wrote that down. Let's go there next. There's two main things I want to kind of talk to in our last, 20 minutes or so here. So you better have quick answer. No,
I'm gonna go,
just messing with you.
I got it.
So we talk about like denominations. We talk about which obviously most denominations, especially within like Protestantism, are divided over kind of almost minuscule doctrine, right? Mm-hmm. It's not really make or break stuff. It's not really like, oh, this denomination says that Jesus is not the only way to heaven. I mean, like you don't get any of that kind of stuff, really. You get that if you go outside of Protestantism and you go into other areas. But when we talk about like denominations and stuff, and I'm kind of with you and saying, is that a make or break? No. Is it just the Baptists are going to be in heaven and all the Pentecostals and the Presbyterians and the Methodists, they're all going to be in hell? No, of course not, right? Because what you said earlier, I agree with, is just true biblically. You either are a sheep or you're a goat. You either have Jesus Christ dwelling within you or you do not, right? That's what matters, right? Doesn't matter necessarily what church you go to, what doctrine you hold. I mean, unless your doctrine is there is no God. In which case, you probably don't have Jesus inside you.
Right.
But I mean, so when you look at all that kind of stuff, do you think any of that is important at all? Or do you think it's all a drop in the bucket?
Well, so everything's as important as we make it, right?
Okay.
I would say that, like, I'll tell you a quick side story. So in martial art, right? Mm-hmm. And I give a promotion to someone. That you could care less if I promoted that guy, right? Like, you don't care,
right?
You're over here at your house, you don't care, right?
Yeah.
But that guy, that's a big deal for him, right? That, like, my friend Steve, he just got his master's in Taekwondo. Oh wow! It's like getting a PhD in Taekwondo, right? He did it for years and years, Wow. And so he got to the level of fourth dan, which is master, which would be like professor, the title, right? Wow. And I got to bestow that title, so that was an honor for me. I'm a fifth degree, so I got to give a fourth degree. Very cool. Only one I've ever given, right?
Yeah.
And good friend of mine. And I made that as big as I wanted that to be, because it was a big deal for him, right? And that's what I always do. Like, this is a big deal, man. You achieved this. Now, I could just be like, hey, cool, man. And he'd be like, wow, I worked for 12 years for this? Oh, neat. Right?
Oh, my belt's a different color? Wow, big whoop-de-woo.
Or it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Because it's as big as we make it, right?
Right.
So it's the same with that, right?
Okay.
I can look at those doctrines and be like, that's not a big deal, man.
Right.
Or I could go, oh, that's a big deal.
Right.
And I can make it a big deal. And I think that's what we do. You know, like, I always liked our church's stance on, like, homosexuality.
Yeah.
It's no different than somebody who's addicted to alcohol, man.
Right. Sin is sin. Right.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Come to the church. I don't care. Be gay. I don't care.
Right.
Hopefully, through being here and the process of seeing what's wrong, what's right, what's wrong, what's right, what's wrong, what's right, what's wrong. Oh, God's working on your heart. Oh, it turns out you're not gay. Right? Whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. God worked that in you. Just like the alcoholic. He comes, he's drinking, he's beating his wife, he's drinking. Oh, man, I should not be an alcoholic. This is horrible. I'm beating my wife. I'm beating my kids. I'm doing all this horrible stuff. Or maybe I'm not doing any of that stuff, but I just realize I'm losing every day to alcohol.
Right.
Right? And he fixes his life, and God works in him. That's what church is for, is to go be around people. Not to go be judged by people, right? But to go be around people who are trying to fix their life, too.
A friend of mine called church is a spiritual hospital.
Yes.
Right.
That's what it should
be. Where those need to go to be mended.
Yes, we go there, not to be judged, right?
Right.
That's why I just really despise that, because that doesn't heal people.
Right.
Judging people doesn't heal them, man. It makes people run away. Nobody wants to be judged.
Yeah.
You know, it says Jesus came not to condemn, right, but to save.
Right.
Right. Now, is he to be the great white judgment seat?
Right.
Absolutely, for all those goats, right? Mm-hmm. Also, a lot of people act like you're going to stand up there and be judged as a believer. Don't let them tell you that you're going to be judged as a believer.
Right.
you're going to be rewarded as a leader. It's a different word. It doesn't use the same word that their judgment seat word. It uses the Olympic word, that you're going to be rewarded with your crown because of what you've done for Christ, right? And what He's done through you. Right?
Yes, thank you. Nice.
So
nice catch.
Yeah. So, but my point.
I love it.
Yeah. So my point though is that it's
yeah.
We skew these things, and
right.
it's detrimental to other people because then that guy that's not as mature as you walks out and he thinks he's being judged even though he's a believer.
Right.
And it's important to realize that can cause a lot of anxiety in people. That can cause a lot of things in people that don't need to be there necessarily. They need to know God loves them.
Yeah.
Right. Not that you're going to be judged.
So
right? That's the fear that the Catholic Church was guilty of for a long time.
Right. Right.
And I'm not saying that they're always guilty of it because there are good blood-bought, born-again, believing Catholics.
Sure.
Just like there are Baptists.
No, I'm with you. Yes.
Protestants and
because again, it matters who's indwelling you.
Amen.
What are you putting your faith in for atonement? Right. That's what matters. But so you're talking more about individual judging of a person. Like let's say alcoholic comes in and we say, "Are you an alcoholic?" "Oh, you shouldn't be," and then we start going off on them.
And we naturally do it.
Right.
We do it as people.
But I'm saying
that's what we have to stop ourselves from doing.
Sure. But what I'm saying is let's say you're the pastor and you know a guy's an alcoholic.
Now that's different.
Okay.
That's different too.
Oh, as a pastor.
Now you have to
make a distinction.
There is a distinction here.
Okay.
I'm talking about me, you, me, this, but
right.
This.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about Pastor Pat and Pastor Connor and Michael in church, talking church. This is now is under the hierarchy. It has express directions.
Okay.
For monitoring and overseeing that hierarchy, right? In the church.
Right.
Right.
So you think they have a place and a position
where they are
to maybe say something about a person?
Not necessarily. I'm saying they go out after the congregation.
Okay.
I'm talking about overseeing the church themselves, right? Monitoring and overseeing.
Yeah.
Like absolutely, Connor should be, and of course they're not going to get because they don't do this stuff. Right, but he should be like, "Hey, Pastor Pat, you shouldn't be out drinking on Saturday night." Fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they're in a position of leadership.
Because so and so is going to see you at the bar, right? That's.
But I was talking more like as a pastor, if you happen to be preaching through a section, let's say that talks about drunkenness, right now, and you know a person in the congregation is an alcoholic who beats his wife, like you just said, and there are some pastors that would say, "Well, I'm going to skip that section because I don't want to be too judgmental on my alcoholic brother." Or if there's a gay couple in your congregation, and you're like, "Well, I'm not going to preach on this little section that talks about homosexuality because I don't want them to feel judged." To me, that's different than on a personal level. Like, let's say I'm a greeter at the church and two guys walk up and they're holding hands and it's very obvious that they're a gay couple. And I'm a greeter outside the church and I say, what are you doing? Get out of here right now. There's no place for you in here. No, right? See, that would be totally wrong and 100% judgmental in the wrong way. Mm-hmm. But let's say they happen to show up that morning and the sermon just happens to be on what the Bible teaches about homosexuality. Right, and now they might still get really mad about that. I'm never going to that church again because I can't believe they said our lifestyle was wrong.
That's between them and the Holy Spirit.
Correct. Right.
That's not between them and the pastor.
Right. And that's
what he had on the day, and he brought them on purpose. And I don't think that anything is a coincidence.
Right. And if that happened, you'd have to think it was an act of God.
Absolutely.
Like, what are the odds? I mean, there's only a few sections in Scripture that even talk about that.
Yeah.
So, what are the odds on that happening on the exact Sunday where it was going?
So I'm not saying that at all. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying.
I know, I'm agreeing with you. I'm just clarifying.
I'm saying he wouldn't then go down after he preached that sermon and admonish them.
Right.
That he wouldn't.
Did you hear what I said up there?
And I just want to make an extra point.
I was talking to you.
So I mean, I think where it comes in, what I'm talking about is how easy it is. You find out so-and-so did something. Right? Instead of being like, I've probably done worse. On with my life,
right? Right.
On with my life. I'm going to pray that he can get through this and figure this out. Yeah. I've battled that.
What about the case of unrepentant sin though? Like when it talks about in Corinthians where the guy was sleeping with his stepmom and they told him to stop and he said no and then they had to excommunicate him and all.
Again, that was the church. See how the church did it? It wasn't a person. It was
correct.
The church.
Yes.
And that's what's important to recognize.
So you think the church should be doing that if that's the case?
Now it doesn't say what his position was in the church, what he was doing.
Right.
He may have been part, like a deacon boy or something. He may have been part of the church, and that
Could be.
that would definitely require them to.
Yes.
You need to step down.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody ever argues about that. I mean, if you're in positions of leadership,
yes,
that's a whole different ballgame.
Of course, because how do you lead if you can't live?
You're the example, right? Yeah, exactly.
No, it's So I mean, that's my thought of that. My main, like what I'm talking about is the more the gossip of it, right?
Okay.
Because that's what it is. It's not them helping you, right? It's not them helping the person. It's them.
I even think a lot of the prayer meetings sometimes turn into gossip fests. It's like we don't need to know. God knows all this. Just say, let's pray for so and so. He's struggling right now.
That's all you need.
You don't need to be like, and he's this, and he's cheating on his wife, and he's
specifics here. Well,
because he doesn't know. He knows. Cort, he doesn't know unless we tell him.
No, you gotta let him in on it.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, you got that right, 100%. Yeah, that's. Or they go on forever and ever. It's like God tells you not to do that. He says don't babble.
Right.
He tells you don't babble.
Yeah.
To ask me what you want, make it straightforward.
Yeah.
Call it good.
Yeah.
A long prayer doesn't mean anything more than a short prayer to him.
I know. Drives me nuts, dude. Especially when I'm in like prayer groups, and then every person has to spend their time doing the actual verbal part, and then they pretty much say the same thing that every other person just said. It's like, look, we already said this. We don't. It's not like God's up there going, all right, I've heard it 10 times. I guess I'll do it.
That's the magic
The
number.
prayer meter has been reached.
You have reached it.
Now I will do my magic genie work for you and do exactly what you asked.
I'm giving a wand.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, all right, man, we're going to end on this right here. So this is something I do sometimes, in a sense, play devil's advocate, just because I'm always curious how people will defend the faith. But the first thing I would ask you, and I think I know the answer to this, obviously, but because of the things you've said. Because you already said sheep and goats, you either have Christ and you don't. So then, obviously, if you don't have Christ, you're in hell for all eternity. You've already said you believe that as well. So if I'm an atheist and I'm talking to you, let's say we work together, and I'm asking you to explain to me why Jesus is the only way of salvation and not some of these other religious beliefs out there or other, sects. I mean, where would you start with me? How would you try and convince me that that's correct? That you have the right belief system.
So I don't try to convince anyone.
Okay.
That's first of all,
Okay. So you just tell me, hey, that's up to God. You go pray, and you leave me alone.
I'm really bad at convincing.
Okay.
Really bad. I'm not going to convince you.
Okay.
If it comes to that,
right.
If it comes to me, sorry, man.
Yeah.
Going to hell. Don't depend on me.
Well, the Lord could use you for that.
Well, that's my point. So. In situations like this, right? I don't have a pre-planned anything. There's nothing I'm going to tell them that I've got memorized,
right?
Like that, right?
Right.
First of all, I want to know who this person is, right? I'm going to get to know this person. I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to find out who they are because I'm interested in who they are, right?
Yeah.
So if it's not going to be some random person,
right?
I'm probably working with them. Like
you're not going to be standing on a street corner preaching to passersby.
I'm not holding signs on
right, right.
But what they'll start seeing is that in my conversations, my like this, they always, you're martial art, and you do this and this, and then it just starts coming out. Oh, you're a little different. Oh, blah blah blah, and then it just kind of naturally occurs, man. Before you know it, like we're talking about God.
Yeah.
And
then
I know.
Okay.
Oh, God brought this.
Yeah.
And then when I walk away from it, I go, that's funny, God.
Yeah. Yeah, but like, okay, so let's say it happens just like you just said. But in the middle of that, they say this to you. They say, well, yeah, that's really cool. And I mean, I'd really like to have what you have. What you have sounds like something desirable to me. But I've been an atheist my whole life, and I can't get past all the hurdles that I see in believing that what you believe is true. I can't. I'm having a hard time believing that it's real and true. Would you, at that point, just be like, all right, I'll pray for you and just send them on their way? Or?
I don't know, man. It's very hard to, because I've never been, like what you're saying, like to have that kind of card. It's never happened.
Never happened. Okay.
Like it would be, well, you gotta understand who I deal with, man. I'm in construction. I deal with guys that are like, rough guys, right? You know what I mean? Like,
man's men, yeah.
I'm not dealing with like
right.
people that are like, I don't know. When I was at Harvard, I figured that I don't know those people, man.
Right.
Like, so the guys I'm dealing with are like, rah, 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 and then it's like, somebody close to me died, you know, and then now it's like, okay, death is definitely real. We all face it.
Yeah.
This is. Just
Isn't
have
it
a
interesting?
conversation, and that
Yeah.
usually opens a door to.
And it's interesting how a lot of times atheists, maybe people that even kind of poke fun at us for our beliefs, in those moments,
Yeah.
we're the ones they want to talk to.
Well, of course. That's why I say
Right.
I've
Yeah.
never talked to an
Yeah.
atheist. I've never really talked to an atheist.
Yeah.
Every atheist I ever talked to later starts mentioning God,
Right.
and it's like,
Yeah.
how did you get an atheist?
Yeah.
I got a guy working,
Yeah.
and same thing. I'm an atheist. And now it's like
Yeah.
years later, like now he believes in God. Now he's this. Now he's that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, because God's real. And then we were just having a conversation. His
Yeah.
mother-in-law had passed away. I said, this is really the beauty of how God
Right,
works, man.
right.
It's not like they show you missionary school and you're like, hey,
Yeah.
we went out and saved all these people. They accepted Jesus on the street.
Right.
No, they didn't. They went off and did whatever
Yep.
they wanted.
Yes.
It was 10 years later that God actually, through this 10 years, worked on them, and then they were saved, right? You didn't see that part. You just planted some seeds somewhere.
Right.
But somebody was watering that seed.
Right.
So a lot of times I find that that's where God uses, like in the watering more than the planting, right?
Sure.
It's through your life. Like that's what attracts people when they look at your life, not your words.
Right.
Right? They go, huh,
Right.
this guy's different.
It means more. Yeah. Yeah, because words are words.
Yep.
I can say whatever I want right now. I can tell you I'm an atheist. I could say those words, doesn't make it true. Right? I can meet someone in the street and tell them that. And they walk away thinking, oh yeah, Ryan, he's an atheist.
Yeah.
And they'll go on their whole life believing that I'm an atheist.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
You know, words can be true or false. You know, what matters is the truth, which for a belief system is generally on the way you live. I mean, because we can say it about non-Christians too. You could say, oh, this guy's a Buddhist. And I know he's a real Buddhist, not just one by mouth, because he lives his life as a Buddhist. Like you see that, right?
Yeah.
It's real to him, you know.
Right. He lives
So,
the life. He plays it
right,
out.
right.
So so then you have to ask yourself, here's the key. Here's the thing. If you're a believer in Jesus Christ, what are you supposed to do?
Good one.
How do you live it out?
Right.
And it's not following some magic code.
No.
He tells you.
Right.
It's one word. Love.
Yeah.
Love. Love God above everything else. And love your neighbor as yourself. That's what he says, right?
Right.
So if we lead our life, and the love he uses is a beautiful love too. He doesn't use just like love. He uses charitable love, right? The love of giving of yourself.
Yeah.
Like so that's like
sacrificial.
ultimate love, right? Like to just, and if we all lived like that, there's the answer to everything,
Right.
right? There's we need an answer. Nope, there's the answer.
I'm going to throw this at you just because after talking to you, it sounds like you have a lot of the same mindset as me, which is really cool, by the way, because to be honest with you, I don't meet a whole lot of Christians that kind of have that mindset of God being the one that does everything. So when we talk about like the agape love that you're talking about, because the Bible says God is agape.
Yeah.
Right? He is agape. And it talks about in Galatians 5 that agape is a fruit of God's Spirit, right? So when we say that we're going to... Sorry, let me back up. When that verse that you just quoted where Jesus is asked, what's the greatest commandment? And he says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and might. And the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. When you break that down, those are all, in Greek, what's called future tense indicatives, right? So and I think you know some of this. See, this is cool, man. So it's not so much of a, you need to go out and start agapeing people to prove that you're a follower of Christ. It is a guaranteed byproduct. You have God who is agape living in you, and he is going to agape through you, right?
And that's why you can't deny it.
Right.
That's the reason.
Right.
At the end of the day, you can't, because it's not you, it's them, and you're like,
Yes.
okay, well, there's this entity in me now that's loving things,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Okay, and
Yes.
and not me, because I know me, right?
Right.
So it's like, how
Right.
do you deny it? And
Yes.
it's impossible to deny
Yeah.
it. You would be lying to yourself,
Right. Absolutely.
And you said it right there. It's that love, and it's letting that love and that kindness live through you to the people around you, and seeing the fruit of it, right?
Right.
And you can see it in you. People can see it in you, and it's viewed as joy, right? And we talked about this.
Yes.
So, I readily, all the time, make time for and sit down with. And now the Mormons don't come anymore. They went to emails, I guess. But Jehovah's, I always sit down. Like they come. I have a group, and we do a Bible study
Nice, dude.
on my front porch all the time.
Are you being serious?
I'm serious.
That's awesome.
And they love coming and talk to me.
Okay.
Because I don't judge them.
No.
I'll sit there and we can just talk
Yeah.
scripture all
Right.
morning long.
Right.
I'll just sit there. They leave me. They're like, we gotta go. We got houses to hit, man. I'm like, you sure, man? Come on. I'm ready.
You're like, I'll be here next week. Come back.
I love it. I know a friend. One of them is a real good friend of mine now.
Yeah.
And he's been coming for years.
That's awesome.
And the reason is I can see the Holy Spirit in people. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, but I've seen Mormon boys come up with the Holy Spirit. And I go, how's the Holy Spirit? So I don't know if later in life that boy's going to be saved or something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what God's showing to me.
Right.
I don't know.
It's possible.
But I can see it.
Right.
Because light can see light, right?
Yeah.
I can see it in you.
Yeah.
So I go, wow. And so I that's another reason why I don't judge people
Right.
on their denomination, man.
Right.
I think God judges the heart because he says that.
Oh, he does judge. Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Individually. Imagine that, right? So it's like,
Right.
who am I, right? Like, so I,
Yeah.
you can say that in front of people, but oh, that never happened.
Right.
That couldn't be. It's impossible. Well, I've seen it with my own eyes, so
Right.
you can figure out any explanation you want. But
Yeah.
I've seen it, and it just as well as I've talked to a believer at Calvary and a believer at a Catholic church and a believer at. So
Yeah.
he's pretty explicit on what he says it takes to be saved.
Right.
And believe on me.
Right. Right.
So I don't know what all that means other than believe on me.
But
You can add more to it, but believe on me.
Well, for sure. But so do you think, though, that there's people that would say the words, yeah, I believe on him, but aren't really? Do you think that's possible?
But I'm not the person to tell them that.
I know.
Right?
I know. But do you think it's a possibility? I know it's not our job to judge that per se, but is it a possibility?
Is it something that I'm going to waste of my 3 wishes when I get up there? No, I'm joking. Only get 3.
Yeah.
No, but is it a question I would pose? I don't even think I'm going to care when I'm up there, right?
Right.
That's going to be one of the questions.
Sure.
I'm going to want to know about the dinosaurs and other stuff,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Like they're important.
Yes, yes. 100%, man.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, but I guess I look at like the Mormon guy that you're saying, like if you see the Holy Spirit, like you think, well, 10 years from now, is he going to get saved?
Yeah, I don't know.
And nobody knows except God, right?
Nobody knows
that at all. We don't know the end result.
I know that
anybody.
I always had the Spirit of God with me, even when I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing.
Right.
But He never left me.
Yeah, because He won't if He's already there. But I also, and I think you agree that not everybody has that.
Of course.
Right? Because I don't believe you can lose your salvation or that you. I mean, Jesus is there or He's not, and if He is, He's there for the long haul.
Yes.
You can drag Him with you through a life of sin and go through all this and go do terrible things and all that. But the difference is now you're going to be convicted of those sins, to where as a non-believer you might not care so much. You might have some guilt. There might be some guilt, like if you've been brought up to believe this is wrong or this certain thing is wrong. Yeah, you might have some guilt. That's different.
Yes.
Right? Now, if you're saved, there's a struggle between flesh and spirit that's happening within you.
Absolutely.
That wasn't there before. To me, that was one of the biggest, the first, I should say the first, not the biggest, one of the first changes that I noticed is I began to hate what I used to love.
Yep.
And and it's not to say my flesh didn't still want certain things, because it did.
Of course.
And it doesn't mean I didn't participate in certain things. Of course.
He says you're going to battle with it until the day you leave
but
this
it's
earth.
a different relationship with sin that I had before that. Right? And that was a big, because I didn't get saved until I was 24. And I spent my life before that hating Christians. I thought stupid, one way garbage, all this stuff, right? Who are you to think you have the one way? This Jesus guy says he's the only way to heaven. That's too narrow-minded for me. And the Christians were always my target because of that. Yeah. I was fine. In fact, I just heard somebody on the radio or on a podcast say this this morning. If Christians would just say Jesus is a way to heaven,
right,
he'd be fine.
Yeah.
Nobody mess with you. It's the idea that Jesus is the only way to heaven. They don't like that, and I didn't like that either as a non-believer.
That's what makes it not a religion.
Right.
That's the beauty of it. That's what they can't see.
Yeah.
Everything else is a religion. We're practicing a predefined, like this, ABC. We do these things,
right?
Whatever it is, as well as the Jewish religion, it's a practice of these things. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. We got to do an order. 1, 2, 3.
Right.
But Jesus says none of that.
Yeah.
There's none of that.
Yeah.
It's a personal relationship with the God-man.
Right.
That is obscene and crazy to the world, right? Like,
right.
You're nuts. That's crazy.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, and that's why when you're talking to a devout religious person, whether a Protestant, a Catholic, a Mormon, a Jew, whatever, right? That's why that concept is so hard to grasp.
Yeah.
It almost doesn't make any sense. It's like, no, what's the steps I need to take to become a part of your religion?
Yeah.
There is no steps.
Yeah.
Believe in Christ.
Yep.
Surrender your life to him.
Yes.
He'll come in and indwell you, and then for the rest of your life, he's going to be working things out in you that need to be worked out, and he's going to be using you for his glory.
And he'll use different vehicles to do it.
Right. Right.
And you should, when you see these vehicles, jump in.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Because trust me,
especially if it's a tank, because that'd be fun.
You better.
Yeah, yeah. Tanks are cool.
Yeah, no, you said it. That's it. And I think that because we gravitate to religion, we want that.
Yes,
That's
because it's
the reason.
easier.
Yeah, well, because it gives us work.
Yes,
we want to work.
Well, and
We
for me,
naturally
that's
want to
easier.
work.
It's easier for me to say, "Here, Ryan, do these things."
Yeah.
Oh, piece of cake.
Yep.
I mean, if I'm
Check
able
the
to do
box.
them,
You
check the
gotta
box, do this, go to church on this day. Okay, done. Pray, done.
Yeah.
Be nice to my wife. Okay, done. Whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But to say, no, you have to follow the Lord now.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what does that mean? Oh, wherever he leads you, just follow him. Whoa, what if he leads me somewhere I don't want to go? Doesn't matter. Follow him anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to. Well, you see, that's more difficult, right? Then you become like Jonah, like, I don't want to go to Nineveh. Well, you're getting there. My way or your way.
Yeah.
So
it's a thing that, like you said, that gets so skewed, and because of that, it's hard. That atheist you were talking about, that's what he sees is that religion. He doesn't see that the relationship.
Right.
So when he sees you, me, the different person, it's not the religious person. I'm not religious at all.
No, me neither.
Like, you would not come to my house and think I'm religious.
Right. I've told people I hate religion, and they're like, "Aren't you a Christian?"
Yeah, same thing. Yeah. But then when they start seeing how I live my life, they're like, "Oh wow, like everything's about Jesus, right?"
Right.
Like,
Right.
Yeah, because that's who I love, right? Like that's where my passion is in Jesus, right? So but it's through living the life of not through living the religion, right? I don't practice a religion.
Yeah. But it's not a life that you have to try to live either.
No, yeah.
It's the life you are living.
Yes.
Yes.
And the beauty is that when you look back through it, you're like, wow. It's almost like you're not living it sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You just see it. They're like, whoa, that was God right there. Look at that.
Right.
Look at that. And that's it's like a gift every time.
Right.
You see it and you're like, wow, what a gift.
Yeah.
What a gift. Our kids, as they grow and they say things that, that you realize, oh, God's working in their life too.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah.
Really. So that's why, living a life worth people remembering to emulate, right? That's what you want to do. Like, live your life to God, and then they want to live their life to,
right.
As opposed to living your life to self.
Yes.
If you live our life to self, it's an empty life, man.
Right.
And at the end of it, you'll end up with a bunch of stuff that you can't take home.
Can't take with you. Yeah.
None of it.
Yeah.
None of it, man. None of it can you take. We came into this world empty, and we leave it empty.
Yeah.
I read I'll read this to you. It's so good, man. I said, this is how I'm going to live my life. I'll end you with this. This is one of the best poems I've ever read. Is it a poem? Okay, it's got a poem. Kind of like a poem.
We'll call it a poem.
We'll call it a poem. It's a quote. There we go. It's a quote.
Okay.
This quote is by James Michener. Michener.
Oh, he's an author.
Yeah, it says, "The master in the art of living makes little distinction between his work and his play, his labor and his leisure, his mind and his body, his information and his recreation, his love and his religion. He hardly knows which is which. He simply pursues his vision of excellence at whatever he does, leaving others to decide whether he is working or playing. To him, he's always doing both."
Wow.
There you go, man.
That's heavy, dude.
Live your life like that.
Yeah.
And you'll never be like
That's
disappointed,
nice.
man.
That's nice.
Just take joy in everything we do because it's all a gift from God, right?
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
As you were reading that, I remember the Abraham Lincoln quote.
Oh, yeah. What's it?
It's a house divided against itself cannot stand.
There you go.
People always quote, and they quote Abraham Lincoln. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, that's like a direct Bible verse.
Yep, and it's talking about how evil can't go against evil.
Right.
But yet we see evil go against evil.
Right.
So that is a confusing one.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, let's spend another hour going. No.
Yes,
All right,
do
man.
it.
Thanks,
All right,
dude.
man. That was fun.
That was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks again for checking out this podcast, and please tell all of your friends about it. Don't let those shadow banning savages win the battle. Also, I would love to hear your feedback. You can contact me at whycan'twetalkaboutThat at proton.me. Make sure that you subscribe so that you'll be notified whenever new episodes are released. Thanks.